Hey guys, my name is Ryan Central, and what's the meta? I don't know. Ask Cozy or Moxie or any of the various co-streamers that are watching this tournament. Ask them what's the meta, because in all honesty, I don't really know. It's been a few weeks since preseason ended, and we've had two new characters added in, Black Cat and Devil Dinosaur, that are going to shake up the meta, as well as various balance changes over the last season. So I want to use this episode almost this week to use it as a chance to recap what happened in preseason, counting down the most impactful heroes across the draft phase, the bans and protects that we've seen in the esports scene across all four major regions and all 504 maps that were played for preseason in Ignite. Let's just go over the top 5, and 4 out of 5 of them are strategists, which is kind of crazy, but one of them is Loki. Understandable he's up here, right? Regeneration Domain is still one of the best abilities in the game, bar none, and no matter what, he always has to be respected in a pick ban phase, even if you don't intend on playing him, because of the fact that he can copy ultimates. Certainly looking at stuff like Gambit, some of the NA teams in Americas going for triple Vanguard to just farm up a Gambit Loki combination and just get those Raging Royal Flushes going over and over again. It really is a case of like, if Gambit or Invisible Woman manage to make it through the draft, getting rid of Loki or protecting him if you want to play around him is good. Invisible Woman actually makes the 4th spot. For like EMEA in America, she wasn't as popular when it came to like pick or bans, but it was like the Pacific and Chinese teams that wanted to make sure that they got a hold of her. But Invisible Woman in her own right, strong healing output, force physics to punish diving targets, to be able to pull them back as they're trying to get away, the barrier that she can give to her duelists to give some healing, mitigation, and basically just set them up to succeed. And then obviously you've got the invisible boundary to play in these tricky fights, put it on your team to protect them, but also as a way to catch enemies trying to disengage, because you can slow them as they go through the radius of the invisible boundary. You can use it offensively, and some teams did try to do that. 3rd place is Mantis. It took a while for Mantis to get going, but her popularity definitely started to surge towards playoffs across all of the regions, most certainly again in Pacific and China, where she was the 2nd most rated character over for those teams. Making sure that you have Mantis or the enemy team doesn't have Mantis basically limits your impact of triple strategist, whether you can play around it as well or not. Damage boost helps. Her ultimate is good in all sorts of situations. You have the team up again with Groot and Loki. It'll be interesting to see how she does now that her damage boost has been nerfed and now she adds like movement speed. I still think she's going to find impact, but is she going to be the linchpin of triple strategists going forward, or is somebody like Ultron going to potentially take that slot away from her? Hard to get a gauge, but Mantis is definitely up here as a strong choice. The 2nd spot goes to Elsa. The queen of the preseason finishes in 2nd place from how much she was picked and also banned. She was like the leading woman. In EMEA and America, she was the most potent character. It's just that Pacific and China, again, would have preferred to put Mantis and another character in that sort of first ban, first protect phase. The percentage damage that she was doing was strong. The fact that Instinct put Helix Advance down to a 2-second cooldown is really strong, and the great CC from her ultimate. Lots of these elements have been toned down. I would be shocked though if she doesn't stay in the top 10 for like the impact here when it comes to stage 1. Definitely expect her to drop, but I think some other duelists might contest her a little bit more. But yeah, here it was just put your best duelist on this character, feed resources into her, and she is going to absolutely feast for you. But there is one character that was a lot more impactful, and that was Gambit. To really highlight how impactful Gambit was, there was basically 1,008 chances to be involved in a draft, and Gambit missed out on 8 of those. There are 8 opportunities that he could have been picked in, and he wasn't. And almost 800 of those were bans. Teams did not want to play him, certainly in Pacific and China, where he was almost consistently in every single game the first ban. Raging Royal Flush providing ultimate charge boost, explosive damage, movement speed means that it was synergy with various ultimates was incredibly strong. And a key thing here is, unlike a lot of the other characters that I mentioned, he wasn't nerfed in season 7.5 or season 8. So Gambit still could very much be the top dog when it comes to stage 1 rolling around. It really is just a case of whether the likes of Devil Dinosaur could really start to push for like that first ban slot. I expect him pretty much immediately, but also like Black Cat could have those moments if teams can actually get used to playing her. We'll see how things are going to look for stage 1, but thanks for watching. Ignite the battle, and let's get back into the action. Hey guys, my name is Ryan Central, and what's the meta? Stage 1 has officially begun across all of the major regions, so let's see just how that meta is looking across the 108 maps of action that we've seen in Ignite so far on this patch. From this first week of action, we've got 4 major winners and 1 big loser, and the biggest winner is the king of the meta in preseason, Gambit, who has actually climbed up in popularity. He was the sort of most impactful character in the game at the end of preseason. Not only is he still at the top, he's actually climbed in popularity. He is constantly the first ban, first protect at this stage, and everybody's agreeing on it for the most part. He's been involved in every single draft across all of the 4 major regions, but there are a small group of teams that are trying to splinter away to go for different bans that aren't Gambit, some of these other names on this list as we're about to highlight. And the reason for that is these teams, because nobody's had the chance to practice Gambit because he's constantly banned out, if they leave it open, teams are going to be like, well, we're really rusty on Gambit. I don't really want to pick him, do you guys? And so they're trying to see if they can actually put them on compositions that they're just not well versed on, certainly when people are trying to get the reps in on stuff like Devil Dinosaur. And speaking of Devil Dinosaur, he is the second winner. It's been a roaring success for Devil Dinosaur with him being introduced into the game in Season 8. And he has been contesting Gambit a little bit as a first ban, but really not that often. Like I said, teams splintering away. Dino's been the first ban and trying to one-side it in some cases, because teams just have been prepping a lot on Dino because of how much he has really thrown the meta into a curve. He kind of fits into all sorts of compositions, even though he's just naturally brawly. It seems that you can sort of throw him in and play around him no matter what the map or the stage. So some teams have really started to just build on that as much as possible. It's maybe an over focus or an over correction, and some teams have certainly been okay to let the Dino through, play up against it, and actually have good counters for him, such as Emma Frost. But really, it has been like a good standing for Dino. But I do think that that hype is going to drop and taper off over time. I would imagine so, but of course, we'll see exactly how these teams want to play it. The third winner actually is Luna Snow, which is more of a surprise. She's jumped up massively in popularity, and specifically as like a ban option. Teams do not want the other team to be playing it, so they want to get it off the table. In previous patches, her healing and damage output was improved. Stuff like Ice Arts' cooldown reducing when your player that you've put the snowflake on gets an elimination means that you can really just snowball the way that you can keep and contest these fights and keep them going on. And of course, like a team up with White Fox, who's gone up in popularity, not to the same level, but the fact that you can allow like healing cleave and charm cleave and orb enemies off of that with Luna is really handy. It basically means if teams want to go for White Fox, they can. You just want to make sure that that team up isn't available. And the fourth and final winner, is worth saying that a lot of characters have benefited from this patch, but the major winner, the final one I wanted to highlight, was Black Cat, who is another big addition now that we start to see her actually being played in Ignite. Similar to Dino, she's one of the top protect options for various teams. They really want to play around it. The skill floor is massively high. It's hard to be good on Black Cat, especially in coordinated play. So it's hard to see teams get the most effectiveness out of it, unless you're like Tanuki with some of the gameplay that's on screen. But teams are starting to get a lot better with it, and they have some good plans, and they really want to incorporate Black Cat into their compositions as much as they possibly can, especially because she's pretty decent against Devil Dinosaur, whereas Daredevil can get run down by him a little bit. So Black Cat and Devil Dinosaur having really good debuts in Ignite, but there's one character that is certainly fallen off the list, and that is Elsa Bloodstone. Not only has she fallen down the rankings from being the second most impactful character in the game, she's dropped off the face of the earth when it comes to how popular she is. In Stage 1, she has not been banned nor protected once in any of the regions. Instead, the likes of Phoenix and Star-Lord have found leaps in popularity after their own individual buffs, but I still think that Elsa is underrated. We have seen some moments like Chupio actually having a lot of success with Elsa and some of the other EMEA teams, just when it's appropriate, right? She's still good. She's obviously been nerfed pretty hard over the last couple of patches, but I still think that she's going to be contesting a little bit more. I'm just shocked that she has fallen off massively, but I would like to see that improve just a little bit, just not too much, a little bit. Like I said, there's a lot of characters that have either been benefited or are struggling on this new patch, and we're going to see how the action unfolds as we get more data, but that's it for this time. Thanks for watching, and back to the action.
누워진 밤하늘을 가로질러 Oh yeah, oh yeah. 필요할 때 내가 널 지켜줄게 간절히 바라면 이루어지는 마법인 거야 분명한 소리 들려 여기서 저기서 날 찾으면 달빛이 날 비춰와 시작해야 let's go 어둡고 흘러는 우주 따뜻한 눈으로 감싸나 손들 신비롭게 녹아내릴 거야 좀 더 기다려 I'll be there 쓰러지지 말 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 결정을 쳐봐 어둠이 떠날 때까지 아름다운 꿈을 밝혀봐 우리에게 달려서 그 세계 운명 어둠이 떠날 때까지 세계 운명 오랜 시간 간직해온 열망 까만 밤의 별빛처럼 빛나 네 눈앞에 바로 왔던 나라 잡아 딱 봐도 스파스타 딱 보면 모든 날널 지킬 나란 걸 더 지켜볼수록 점점 빠져들어 카리스마 넘쳐 흘러 oh yeah 분명한 소리 들려 여기서 저기서 날 찾으면 달빛이 날 비춰와 시작이야 let's go 어둡고 흘러는 우주 따뜻한 눈으로 감싸나 손들 신비롭게 녹아내릴 거야 좀 더 기다려 I'll be there 쓰러지지 말 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 결정을 쳐봐 어둠이 떠날 때까지 아름다운 꿈을 밝혀봐 우리에게 달려서 그 세계 운명 눈이 부신 모든 순간들 지켜내야 해 내가 주어지는 면 느껴지는 마법인 거야 운명의 소리 들려 여기서 저기서 날 찾으며 달빛이 날 비춰와 시작해야 let's go 어둡고 흘러는 우주 따뜻한 눈으로 감싸는 순간 신비롭게 녹아내릴 거야 좀 더 기다려 I'll be there 쓰러지지 말 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 결정을 잡아 어둠이 떠날 때까지 아름다운 꿈을 밝혀봐 우리에게 달려서 그 세계 운명 어둠이 떠날 때까지 세계 운명 오랜 시간 간직해온 열망 까만 밤의 빛처럼 빛나 네 눈앞에 바로 어떤 나라 제발 딱 봐도 스포츠다 딱 보면 모른다 널 지킬 나란 걸더 지켜볼수록 점점 빠져들어 카리스마 넘쳐 흘러 oh yeah 운명의 소리 들려 여기서 저기서 날 찾으며 달빛이 날 비춰와 시작이야 let's go 어둡고 흘러는 우주 따뜻한 눈으로 감싸는 순간 신비롭게
Coming, but with it not having any follow-up, and now they're just staggering to the goal.
And the butterflies come through from Saffron, instantly honing onto stage 0. Ultimate to overcome it as Selection gets grabbed out just manages to get the invisible back.
Used early, actually, from Kit Kat. Heaven's Retribution trying to go in for the dive. There's not really that much time to work with.
Welcome everyone, welcome back to Marvel Rivals Ignite! We are officially diving into week 2 of stage 1 for the Americas group stage, and the race to make top 4 is on. I am Zoe, and joining me on this virtual desk are once again two of my absolute favorites. It's Iron Ship and Dogman. How are we doing, fine gentlemen?
I'm stoked to be back with you two. Honestly, I'm ready for some action here. It's been a while since we've grouped up, but I'm feeling good. How about yourself, Doggy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I mean, today's going to be a fun day, and just like Zoe and you, Shib, I mean, yeah, I'm excited to be back with you too. So today's going to be a lot of fun, Zoe, and I can't wait for you to kind of bring us back into this week.
It almost feels like we color coordinated as well, our outfits. I know we're off to a great start today. Speaking of great things, Twitch drops are live as well. Season 8 is here, and we got a fresh wave of Twitch drops for all of you. So make sure to tune in to your favorite streamers. That could be us, by the way. Watch the shows live and earn these beautiful exclusive rewards. Honestly, freer skins have never been available, and it could be easier than that. I want to cop myself that 4 hours watched Rogue skin. That looks good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Like free 99, right? There's no reason not to grab these, and those are the skins that you look back on, right? Like, how did you get those? Why can't I get that anymore? I've seen that a lot in the past, but I'll tell you what, now's your time to snag those skins. But guys, I'm first off, got some fun games today, but how about these series so far? This NA region, has been wild and incredibly fun to watch.
Yeah, it really has been, and it's only going to get wilder from here, because if you really think about it, like, this is week 2 already of the group stage. We only have 3 weeks of group stage, right? And that means that the teams really have to give it their all, each and every single one of those 3 weeks. If you're looking at your calendar, yeah, 3 weeks, as I said, 12 teams divided into 2 groups. So that's groups. That's 6 teams per group. They will be playing in a round robin format. That means that every team will be playing against every team. And the top 4, as I already mentioned twice now, from each of those groups will advance to the playoffs. Now, in the group stage, the matches are BO3. So that means the first team to win 2 maps is the winner. And in the playoffs, of course, we're going to fight it out in a best of 5 and best of 7. So it's even more strategic depth involved and required to come out on top of those matches, Dogman.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of strategy that goes into it. And, you know, with the Ignite series, instead of MRC, we have that ban and lock phase that, you know, a lot of teams have to prepare for. But we can talk about that later. What happens on every single map, even back in MRC, is we start on domination. So you have any chance to get any of these sort of maps. And then, you know, a lot of these teams are kind of domination one tricks almost. And a lot of teams, you know, prefer convoy and convergence, but those happen later on in the series. But there's a matter of momentum. And, you know, we saw last week, like Shib pointed out, we had some close games when it came down to that map number 3 in between a lot of series, like 100 Thieves and NRG. I think that was probably the highlight of last week.
And I honestly, Shib, I love that we started off on domination, because even top dogs such as Swamp Gaming, that is their weak point, right? Like, that's where they look the least strong. That means for the underdog teams, that is always an opportunity of just, like, you know, grind it out based on pure skill and, of course, some strategic insight, which will be showcased during the pick and ban phase.
Yeah, as you see here, the pick and ban phase, I'm with you, though. I mean, it's completely kind of up for debate as to who can win. You know, getting that point first is a huge advantage. We've seen upsets like crazy, even map wins, you know, potentially a full sweep, taking it all the way and taking domination. But yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to see what team shows up. I do think our first series here is going to be a fun one with Fly and Swamp, but we'll talk about that in just a moment as we look over at this prize pool, Zoe.
Man, 200K, and that's just for stage 1 in Americas. The winner of stage 1 in this region will be walking away with 64,000 US dollars. That is a lot of coins, so definitely worth to fight it. And of course, also keep in mind that we'll be qualifying for our first LAN event of the year, and that is worth even more. And of course, bragging rights, Dogman. What would it be without the bragging rights?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of matches today, too, that we get to, you know, see those, like you mentioned, bragging rights, Zoe. Like, we get that classic matchup. I don't want to maybe spoil it, obviously, but there's going to be some fun games and maybe some fun, maybe tweets later on today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love when the tweets come after the matches. That's my absolute favorite. Gotta come in with the confidence prior. Now, of course, something we need to discuss is what will we see ban and lock-wise, because as we expected, you know, our Devil Dino has been a bit of on the chopping block. Such has been the Gambit as well. It's kind of been where the teams have been focusing on, right? They either try to get the Devil Dino through or they prioritize the Gambit. Just based on the eye test, which has found more success, you feel?
I think it's got to be Gambit. I think Gambit, for me, when Gambit gets through, it's a big winner. I think right now it's like 64% win rate in the Americas region, which I'm going to be honest is a huge win rate. So Gambit's up there, and Dino is down in the 45% region. So for me personally, I think getting Gambit through is more impactful. But outside of that, in terms of the duelist front, Phoenix is just unstoppable and looks great out there as well.
Yeah, no surprise to see her being banned out a lot. We have so many great Phoenix players here in Americas as well, so lots of target banning happening there. Now, if we're looking at our two groups and how things shook out, or up rather, in week 1, Dogman, not really a big surprise here in either group, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big things are, you know, starting off 2-0, right? Like, it feels like, you know, if you start off the week or the whole group stage in a 2-0 fashion, that sets you up to, you know, get into the playoffs. Also prevent yourself from being potentially relegated if you're not a partnered squad. So for Stick Drift, that was a huge win last week that they got over TSM. You know, that sets themselves up this week to maybe keep improving and getting better, because it's always these MRC teams that have these, like, up-and-coming talents that, you know, need to keep improving and getting better. But, like, for these teams that are 0-2 right now, they need to step it up this week. Otherwise, you know, that really is a decent deficit to come back out of.
Oh, absolutely. As we already discussed, right? It's just 3 weeks of group play. And especially for the MRC teams, they want to keep themselves out of relegation later on in just a few weeks from now. So having a good start like that definitely is going to come in clutch towards the end of stage 1. Now, these are our 6 teams that will be battling it out today. We're kicking things off with FlyQuest, who are still chasing the first dub of stage 1, going up against Swamp Gaming, who came into stage 1 red and hot. They did not skip a beat. Now, Sentinels will have the utmost displeasure, I guess, going up against our 100 Thieves, who also have been looking mighty strong on Arc to redeem themselves from their preseason performance, and then we're going to close out the game, the day with the game between TSM and TLC. And of course, also once again a little PSA. That's right, you gotta connect your accounts, guys. You can earn these beautiful Twitch drops here in the Ignite Stage 1 group stage. Looking at that spray, I love when an actual iconic in-game moment makes it into like the sprays. I don't think any other game has done that. Like literally, if I were Crimzo, I'd watch the heck out of this show just to like capture my own moment.
Yeah, and you love the animation. I mean, it looks so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, we're going to be heading in here shortly into our first match. I think it's worth mentioning as well as we look at the standings. You know, there was a preseason, but there's been a lot of shifting. Teams were able to grab free agents, pull from other teams to try to find their perfect squad. And that is the utmost example of FlyQuest, a team that looks very different than they have in the past. And they have yet to find a W, but talent-wise, they look so good. What do you think, Zoe?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, FlyQuest, yes, they lost their first match, but as you just said, they're coming in with big changes. Now, these are not unknown players. Like we haven't seen Techie in action for a while, but he's a well-known face around the Marvel Rivals universe. Then Card, of course, coming in, and Velocity for them. So they're high-caliber players, but the team hasn't quite gelled yet, Dogman.
No, and this team, you know, is a completely different squad and has been, you know, for a while. Like you mentioned, Zoe. I mean, they've mixed things around, losing Vest and then picking up Techie. I mean, like this time last year, FlyQuest roster looked completely different when they qualified for the LAN event. It's a totally different roster. Obviously, picking up Velocities and Zelios as their backline. I think this team has potential, and it always has. But they need to synergize with Cart for sure. Like this upcoming week has been, you know, very, very high pressure for this squad, and I think they have a potential to keep this up going forward, because, you know, they're still sitting in an okay spot to actually make it out of this group. It's just Group B is a very, very difficult one to make it out of.
It really is, and they did kick things off going up against one of the strongest teams in their group, and it's not going to get any easier, because today they will be facing off against Swamp Gaming, who had a phenomenal performance in the preseason and are looking to do just the same here in Stage 1. I think one thing that really stood out in their opening match was just, you gotta stop Mellow, or Daze, or both, but can you? Like, is it possible? I don't know. They were firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I think this is like the polar opposite in terms of a different team. This team has stayed exactly what they were in the preseason. They looked great then. They look great now. Nothing has changed. It's funny because in the preseason, they were testing out, subbing a little bit with a Madian coming in, who also looked incredibly strong on the duelist side. But now they've kind of hard locked into keeping Daze around, who's really flexed on multiple different heroes. One of the few and great Wolverines that we have in the Americas region as well, outside of things like Strange and more. So yeah, I mean, this team, it's really the battle of the new squad versus the old squad, and whoever comes out on top.
And I'm going to be very interested to see where they take us map-wise, but then also, of course, with the lock and bans, because I think for especially FlyQuest, we haven't quite gotten a good understanding of what the team identity looks like, what their style is going to be, since they kind of got handed a brutal loss there. So there weren't many opportunities for them to really shine. They were playing that triple strat, and I feel like a lot of people in chat were just mauling over the fact that Melio was on support. I know just what a phenomenal DPS he is, but I guess that's the sacrifice of running a triple strat, right, Dogman?
Yeah, absolutely. It is, I guess. Like, you know, a lot of teams kind of get pigeonholed into playing it. But like, I feel like, you know, it's tough for FlyQuest. Yeah, they just keep getting into the same boat where they have to play against Swamp Gaming again, who have been one of the best teams. And as Shib said, they've been consistently together for a while. And, you know, this is their time to kind of like perform. So for them, they have a ton to kind of a ton of expectations to live up to. And for FlyQuest, man, they just keep getting the short end of the stick, and they need to be able to rebound from these top games. Because like you said, Zoe, this is a really tough first two matches for this squad.
I think this team, though, it's like this would be the time. If you're able to show up against Swamp, that is a huge tone setter. And I think talent-wise, they have the names. It's not that, I mean, Swamp is disgusting. There's nothing, can't hide that fact. But if you are able to get a win now, it's a huge confidence boost, even if you just take one map.
Yeah, and I mean, they took one map, as you just saw in the graphic. We just flew there. They took one map off of them in the preseason already. It was Domination. Arguably, that is the weakest map type for Swamp Gaming. And when I say weak, they're still incredible on it. It's just like, that's kind of where they sometimes drop the spaghetti. But then on the flip side of that statement, they also managed to come back from that deficit. Like they don't need the momentum of winning that first map. So so far, that's not really been like a win con for the opposing team.
Yeah, I think there's for Swamp Gaming. I mean, this team has just not really a lot of holes, right? Like compared to other rosters, I feel like they've just been consistent at in their Vanguard line. I think that's been a big discussion this year. People talking about maybe some Vanguards not having as many heroes to play, because if we talk about specific maps, some comps are better than others, right, Shib? Like if we're talking about Dive compared to these Brawly 3-3 comps that Zoe brought up, some maps, especially Domination, can be a bit more Dive centric.
Yeah, I think it's Dive, you're going to want to, as we look here, going to Burn into T'Challa's, where we're going to be seeing that Domination map. It lends itself to be more dive heavy because you can virtually surround the team at any time and initiate whenever you want to. There's not a cart pushing to add pressure. Obviously, there's time on the clock for the domination point, but setting up prior, circling the team, and then initiating your dive with a call out is how you want to play dive. And I think domination really lends itself to find success with that specific format, like you're saying.
And of course, a reminder for everyone watching, the losing team gets the opportunity to pick our second map and also the type, so they can take us somewhere where they might be feeling a little more comfortable, as their first map is pre-selected, Dogman.
Yeah, I mean, Domination, Burn into T'Challa, it's pre-selected, like you said. I mean, this is going to be a tough map for FlyQuest, but they have to win it because Swamp Gaming have been undefeated on Convoy Convergence. So we'll see how they do. They have to win map number 1 if they want a chance to win the series, though.
Yeah, FlyQuest coming into this, trying to prove themselves and gain some momentum here in Stage 1. Let's see if they can get it done against Swamp Gaming.
All right, my friend, as we're going to be looking at the picks in bans in just a moment, but I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, in my personal opinion, we're likely going to see double Gambit on either side. That is just statistically been what's the right move. Phoenix is on the table, removing Ultron's on the table, all that kind of stuff that's more consistent. Even Luna has been a high priority ban right now, not only due to the fact that Flake is a great cooldown, Clap is a great cooldown, the ult's pretty strong, just the damage output right now from Luna in the back line. It's like more than hella. It's a huge threat.
Yeah, that character's crazy. And you know what? Having a good backline strategist can be the difference between, winning this group stages and going out early. So I guess, we'll see when we enter that ban phase what's going to happen. Because I think you pointed out, Shib, like you said, the Gambit stuff has been really good. And then some teams kind of have been focusing a little bit more on that double dino. Like, I mean, obviously last week at the very end, it seems like people got better at it. But, I think I'm kind of with you where Gambit's just been a little dominant, right?
Yeah, he's great. Obviously, Mantis is great. Star-Lord is a big threat, but it's funny because you look at some of the win rates and you might say, these heroes aren't performing. It's not always the case, right? It is still a team game. It's all about composition, and the ban phase can absolutely mess with your plan on what you wanted to run. But, the biggest targets are going to be things like Gambit, Luna, Mantis, Dino, like you're saying, Phoenix, Jeff, Star-Lord, all that kind of stuff is a big problem depending on the comp you want to run. But like you said, Domination, man, it can change things up. It can be dive focused. You can run the weird stuff. You can run multiple triple Vanguard even with a 2 backline. But I feel like nowadays we really aren't seeing less than one duelist, or at least has been one virtually every time.
Yeah, and when we go to Domination as we enter the ban and pick phase, ban and lock phase, I feel like this game for FlyQuest, it's not their best map type for Domination in general, but the problem is that it's Swamp Gaming's weakest map type as well. I mean, they lost a round to Sentinels, and if we talk about the preseason, that was where they would lose lose all the time to Team Liquid Citadel, which is when they had to end to Convoy and Convergence. They're pretty much hard to beat. Like, it's one of the hardest teams to actually take over. And by the way, ban phase already kicking off. It's, as you said, Shib, both of the Gambits getting removed. One team though locking the double dino compared to Rocket Raccoon on the other side for the first time in a bit.
Yeah, you know what? Rocket's been taking a step forward in the meta, getting that ult very quickly, being very aggro, and you just have a lot of KO pressure into Dino when you are playing Rocket, which is something, as a strategist, you don't hear as often unless you're playing, Luna, but you can see the ban here on Phoenix. Very much something we would expect on both sides.
Yeah. I mean, the Phoenix has been, the buffs for Phoenix in terms of her damage, it's just been crazy, her shots, for sure. And then it's, as you said, we're getting rid of that Luna Snow alongside it. So, one side focusing on the backline a little bit, keeping them healthy, keep making sure they get to play the characters they want, as well with the BRB. Whereas FlyQuest, they want to set up their double dino on their front line on the Vanguard. Like, what's your take so far on that lock system? The bans have been kind of the same, but we have double dino protected very, very late compared to what we would have seen maybe out of other series where they would try to ban it early.
Yeah, that's just good banning, I think, from Swamp here. Being able to still get Dino later on and then prioritize something else early. You know, I do think last time we saw Fly here in Domination, they struggled on the Vanguard front in terms of just KD. It was 7-7, I believe, and very close as well from both Cart and Techie. So they struggled, but it's not necessarily their fault. Again, it's so difficult to dissect things straight from stats. You have to be there in the moment, understand comms and what was the issue in the moment. But yeah, that is what it showed out to be. So I'm wondering if they're going to try to change things up a little bit here. We can see the save of Mantis. That's going to be a quick shift, and that might help enable some of the duelist stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I think last week we saw a little bit more Mantis bans earlier on rather than, you know, maybe focusing. I mean, there was a lot of that focus on the Luna, but just on these domination maps. So, and I wonder if that last ban on Swamp Gaming side is going to be that Ultron and stuff. I know that Ultron comps have been a little dominant. So, I mean, they just want to go that Rocket Raccoon one-sided matchup. You said this character's just been really strong, right? Especially without Phoenix in the game to get rid of all that overhealth, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of combined ultimates too. Great for setting up dual ultimates, whether it is with Star-Lord. I mean, you could see the Punisher play too. And outside of, like I'm saying, if you throw all out, if you throw the Sia out with Rocket and you just use your own weapon into Dino, it's insane how fast you can get a KO. So that's likely the strategy we're seeing. And that does favor their side in the Dino v Dino matchup, because it truly is just all about who has the more damage and the more pocketed healing if you want to run a front to back style.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems like the devs were really focusing, at least that last patch, on these on you know, individual fire, like left click damage, I guess. And yeah, like you said, I mean, Rocket just getting that extra 1 damage in the ammo upgrade seemed to have been enough. You know, I know a lot of people were talking about how Rocket's mobility is down, but his firepower is 100% up, right?
Yeah, it can definitely be scary as we're heading in to our first match of the day. Burning T'Challa, folks. I'm stoked to be here with you, dog. Let's get after it. You can see the comps here. There is going to be Mantis on both sides, floating what they're thinking of running. Ultron on the table here for Fly. And then Vanpool still has not quite been moved out of the meta.
Yeah, I mean, Vanpool's still very solid for sure, and you can play this sort of brawly triple composition alongside the Ultron and Mantis that we saw. But he's going to switch back over to Captain America. Meanwhile, for like, I feel like in the ban phase 2 last week we saw a lot of, you know, Black Cat and Daredevil focus. But this time, you know, focusing more on that Phoenix, focusing more on that Strategist line seems to be the priority for both squads, right? And you know, we'll kind of see who comes out on top. I feel like these full dives from Swap Gaming, they need to be perfect, but FlyQuest, they're going to be grouped up together. You know where they'll be at all times. They're going to constantly try to counter dive, maybe with his damage boost onto that Star-Lord.
And Kraz initiating early here. Daze able to find one off the back of that early initiation, as we just discussed. Daze finds Velocity. Stratline pick is going to be massive. Scatter trying to take out front line peeling Cav. Dino does a great job in marking Cav. As you see the tackle right to the back line. Goodbye, Cart. Melophobia cleans that up, and Daze able to find Melio. That is going to be point early on here for Swamp Gaming.
Yeah, this is the tough part about, you know, letting these kind of comps get through, as we have the actual swap from Valentino over to that Mantis as well. So they just want to go for that because they know they're going to be able to play slow, try to play corners and stuff. They can play this Mantis, play for damage boost comps. But this is the problem with giving Daze the Black Cat, is just that he's just that disgusting, right? We'll see if Velocities can even live with the bonus health, with the over assistance from FlyQuest Ultron in the sky.
Yeah, this is a comp that you'd be terrified to see in ranked, but you would absolutely love to see by a team from Swamp who's just so consistently playing around cover, playing smart. As I say that, goodbye Daze, as Melio finds one there, but it's Rocket Mantis as your backline. Melophobia holding on to ultimate here. A Galactic Legend could be a big threat. The BRB was clearly burned, or at least was out of range. There's the commitment now from Melophobia, trying to find the high side. Goodbye to Melio. Velocity finds Scatter. Forky bringing back that one. Techie goes down. Velocity and Tuzi. Goodbye, everybody, off the back of that combination.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a harder map, I think, maybe to run this comp, because Swamp's going to have all of the angles to kind of hide around and set up on these easy dives. That time they found Daze, but it didn't end up mattering. By the way, Cart commits the ult in the backside towards that Venom. He's going to be able to get out with his life. So ultimate trades just for positioning, maybe, in that case. So Cart didn't go down, but regardless, huge ult to get out in the upcoming fight. As FlyQuest tried to bring it back, Lartrox was there from Tuzi, swap to Elsa, and they actually get multiple KOs off of it. So FlyQuest worked themselves back into it, Chiv, off of a very fast team fight, actually. That kind of happened in the blink of an eye.
Nailed it there, buddy, as we set up once again to retake there for Fly. But, you know, we talk about all the time, 80% in that first set of fights is a huge take. Now, you just build ultimates as a unit here for Swamp Gaming. You win one major fight, and it's dicey on that portal play even coming through at that 20%. We'll see what happens here as Melio is building 96 and climbing. Should have 3 ultimates from Fly's side, almost 4 with Zelos, compared to the 4 coming from Swamp in this next fight. It is anyone's battle here. It's all about this first pick.
And they commit that Ultron's Rage early on to help peel off Kraz, but they actually a bit split. Velocities comes back into it with his ult. SG, Swamp Gaming, understand that. They just want to play it slow because they got ult out in the middle of the fight. Now they can go in with Daze and Valentina. Last time they did this, they got free KOs, but Daze goes down early. BRB, though, that you brought up earlier, Shib, still available. Cooldown brings Daze back.
Yeah, that's just massive, right? That early pick mentally, you're thinking, all right, we can win this fight, and then you don't realize in the top right that BRB brings him right back. Daze comes back, finds Zelos. Velocity goes down from Scatter. Do we see 3 Daze popping off here with the commitment, keeping it going, folks? Gonna find a triple. Do I see a quadra? Melophobia is able to clean up 1, and Kraz another, and that should be the retake.
Yeah, I mean, that character's just ridiculous. The damage boost plus the ult, the resets come through, still has even 1 charge left of it. But it's going to keep using the wall hacks, by the way, to keep everybody sort of in check for FlyQuest, though. Last time, they actually did deal with the counter dive well. However, there's only 10% left, and they have to move quick, Shib. If they don't get there in time to even touch, this is going to the next round. They use Invisible Boundary early, but is anybody in there to touch 3%? Yes, they send Cart to touch last second, but early use of Invisible Boundary is going to set them up in terms of Swamp Gaming for this fight.
And Scatter's doing a great job just essentially marking point. Anyone that overextends is going to take a ton of bleed damage, which is what Dino does best. Scatter going to fall down in HP, but get that built right back up quickly. It's all about these ults as Forky now starts with the sea of the combinations up in the sky. Again, goodbye to everyone. Oh my goodness, that'll do it for point 1.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good end for Swamp Gaming. Always going to be a tough fight, I think, for FlyQuest. And a tough map. I mean, Warrior Falls, I think, does enable Swamp Gaming sort of comp whenever they can set up on those flanks and just be close to where FlyQuest are going, who are trying to play hard counter dive. They actually didn't do that bad. Like, I feel like FlyQuest, in terms of, you know, the previous fights when they switched to the Elsa, it kind of enabled, they did really good, right? After they switched off to Star-Lord, I just feel like Tuzi was able to get some stuff done, especially with that Glartrox. But now we go to the next round. You're going to have to change things up, you know, against Swamp Gaming, who did use a lot in the last fight. That's the one takeaway for me, Shib, is that, you know, Swamp Gaming, they used that rocket, see you later, and they also committed the Galactic Legend in the Sky for Melophobia. And for FlyQuest, it does stink a little bit because you did use that Invisible Boundary, but I think in the neutral, especially if you have Tuzi pop off with that Glartrox, this could be a big fight to win. They have to find Daze early. Maybe on this next map, they can play a bit slower, find the melee character on Daze's side. But again, that's going to be reliant on still finding the first pick on the Daze, and even then Swamp Gaming will be able to come back, especially with the BRB on Daze to bring him into the fight.
Great call-outs there, buddy. You can see the shift in composition here from Fly, where they're trying to run something along the lines of, yeah, Swamp's idea is just heavy damage and nothing else. Damage boost for Daze, let Melophobia and Daze pop off, and then you quickly look over at Fly, who's now switched up Velocity over to that Loki. They want that backline to be extra safe. Zelos over there on the Fox as well. So their answer to this, or their idea, is just heavy response healing, self-healing, and see what we can do to slow up the pace, because that combination of the Galactic Legend with the Sia has just been way too much damage for them to stop.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That just running that White Fox will help with the counter dive. However, you know, they're playing it slow for Scatter to find these picks towards the point. Rocket Pack to jump away. Glartrox doesn't get anybody because of it. And also the Deadpool ultimate committed on Scatter, so everybody focusing on him. They take him out. So, Shiv, you talked about the target focus coming out onto the Devil Dino. This time, they inevitably take him out of the team fight, and Tuzi finds 2. So excellent work from the Elsa of FlyQuest and them to prioritize the dinosaur.
That was dirty there by Tuzi, but yeah, great call. It really is just target prio on front line and just keep it that simple right now and try to stall as a unit in the back line with that triple comp. 15% in counting here. Ultimate advantage roughly in favor of Swamp, but not for too long, as plenty will be coming up here from the side of Techie, Velocity, Melio on FlyQuest. But we know that combination, folks, with Forky and Melophobia. It has been a beautiful answer. Multiple 3+ KOs back to back. Will it happen again?
That's a good question, Shib. I mean, they do have those ults to go in aggressive, but FlyQuest have the answers. And this time,
wow.
Whoa, Jesus. Just in the neutral again, Tuzi finds Daze. And this is kind of what we're talking about earlier, Shib, is if they're focusing on to Daze, they find that first pick. The follow-up this time, the change-up to me, Shib, seems like the White Fox has been huge. Obviously, commit that Mantis ult, but so does Swamp Gaming. So they're still in a good spot. in this upcoming fight. You worry about that See You Later combination with the Star-Lord, but honestly, FlyQuest, especially with velocities, you talked about it earlier, Shiv, onto that Loki. I mean, this has been a nice kind of 1-2 punch as they sit on that high ground spot, and this is where we're talking about the round mattering a ton. The geography, or sorry, the general cover they could play around enables this comp.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of Fly right now, you got to shout this out, like you're saying, buddy. I mean, they're doing a great job bunkering as a unit with this backline and holding on. The commitment comes through. There is the dive. Copy is committed now from Velocity. Got a Mischief trying to hold on as we see more go out. The Glartrox available here for Tuzi. Will that land on the front line? Just still stalling, not needing to commit it just yet. Still dancing on the point. Fly is looking clean in response here. 90% in climbing.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. They're going for more too, Shiv. They're going aggressive towards past this choke. Can they find the KOs onto more? They can. I mean, Jesus. Beautiful work from FlyQuest on this next round. Can anybody even touch last second? Yes, it's going to be one. Maybe you switch over to that Doctor Strange to get back to the point. You find Melio as well. So this can be a dicey team fight as Daze is now over to that Doctor Strange. You can stall on the Venom for a bit longer. But still, you have to worry about Tuzi and these neutrals, who has been beautiful so far on the Elsa.
Yeah, I do love that pick into Dino. Percent-based damage is always going to be a problem. Zelos finds one. Melophobia hits the sky, though. Is there going to be the... Oh, there is no combined option here as the C is not available. Still looking for one, but it's matched right back by the Fox. The Kumiho Unleashed still maintaining those heals on everyone. OT at a sliver. Can they stay there? Daze switching now, trying to get some percent-based damage of their own with the Wolverine. The Glartrox goes out. Does it land? It doesn't seem... Oh, it does as Valentina goes down. Daze still staying on, but not for long, as that will do it. We have ourselves a series here, folks, 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, this is FlyQuest's best chances when we're talking about domination to beat Swamp Gaming. 100-0 there. Like you said, you had beautiful stuff from FlyQuest. And I think a lot of that was, I mean, Swamp Gaming's backline just kept going aggressive, going a little too far forward. Like, I think Forky got picked in that previous fight. Obviously, you focus on Scatter, too. That's been huge to have him on the Devil Dino getting countered on the opposite side. But FlyQuest, I mean, this backline has been playing beautifully around Velocities and Zelos, and then same thing with Tuzi to find those picks in those sort of neutrals. And I feel like Swamp Gaming, this is kind of their weakness when we talk about domination. They're a little bit brain offish a little bit on domination compared to Convoy Convergence. I think they're very intelligent in terms of their cerebral play when we talk about Convoy Convergence, but we're talking about domination. These guys, you know, they're kind of, at least with that last comp, were a bit one-dimensional, and I think Forky was a bit easier to pick off in the neutral. Same thing with Valentina. We'll see if they mix it up, though. I think this next round on Intergalactic will be stronger for Swamp Gaming to set up these dives and maybe be a bit more evasive for Scatter as well.
For sure. It's definitely a tough comp for Scatter to stay healthy on. I don't think he's necessarily the win condition for this comp that they're trying to run with this damage stuff, because there's just not enough healing to keep a giant dinosaur alive comparatively to Fly. Here comes the commitment now from Daze. Setting up, making some purchases, holding on for the moment. Actually going to dive that backline with the invisibility, yes, but the crystals get committed now. That's an answer. So that's going to be a cooldown called out for the team. Dropping backwards, both teams feeling each other out. It's a 1-1 series, but Fly trying to get this point early. Scatter goes very low, 30 HP. What a return. Committing alt, though. Trying to use that Devil Beast Rampage to stay healthy, but it's just a back and forth dinosaur fight on as Melophobia finds the first pick on a Techie. Cart now trades that back onto Valentina. Everyone finding a piece of the pie as the res comes through on Valentina, and that's the value of that BRB as the Sia now grows out.
Yeah, last time they were able to delete that Sia, and they actually do so this time too. The Elsa taking it out very quickly. Cart goes down, though, had to touch the point. So excellent target focus from them, and they actually force away FlyQuest, who are just going to go for that reset, maybe let these staggers come out, find these extra KOs, but it's that, like you talked about, the BRB enabling them in that previous fight. Same thing with the See You Later. But how do they win without this, right? The See You Later fight was big for the side of Swamp Gaming. Daze was the target focus last time for this upcoming fight with his ultimate. FlyQuest also have Techie in his counter dive sort of ultimate as well to kind of peel it off. Same thing with Velocities with the copy on the Melio. They can go aggressive compared to Swamp Gaming, who don't have that Mantis ult yet.
It comes there. So once again, set up for the next fight. 28%. Or, excuse me, 25 or 30. My fault. As we see now, a lot more commitment. Now goes to Soul Resurgence. Melophobia now commits into the sky. Galactic Legend crystals don't stay there. Goodbye. As Melophobia finds Techie. Walking it down to the back line is a two-piece. Make it 3 here. Melophobia tries to find 4. Daze cleans up Cart. And they are keeping this pressure on. They want to shut this down 100-0. Ult advantage heavily in the favor of Fly, though.
Yeah, that was a beautifully timed sort of grab, I believe, from Scatter. Techie getting caught out, maybe mistimed on their side, but Daze goes aggressive, maybe trying to force some ultimates out early. does go for maybe a KO in the middle of it, but does have support from FlyQuest Techie, giving everybody that sort of help. Same thing with Velocities in the copy, excellently timed. Also finding on Days, who tries to get out with his life and does so, backs away, barely sticking to his HP pool, but Scatter does fall to Zelos towards that point off of a kind of change up in pacing from Velocities, and like you said, that huge ultimate charge lead that they had.
I mean, that's a huge BRB, though, because they're able to buy a little bit more time here with Scatter. It is going to force a slight stagger, but those staggers don't matter if the point's still in your favor. So 84% here, folks, almost, as we see Swamp driven back to the spawn door. Alt still being held here by 2Z, Zelos, and Cart. And that's the, the big brain play at this level. You really don't want to overcommit. It's all about using just the right amount of ultimates, making sure you win the fight while still being able to maintain and have answers for the, the stuff that's going to be coming from the opposition.
Yeah, 100%. FlyQuest looked much improved compared to last week with how they're playing it, being patient, not panicking, overcommitting. And, that last fight, like you said, that was an excellent demonstration of it. But for Swamp Gaming, they didn't use anything because they tried to force out ults, whereas Daze now comes in with his own. Gets tried to counter by Cart, but huge sleep onto Cart to slow him down.
He's able to find one, make it two. Why don't you? Melaphobia trades Valentina as well. And wow, they take that right back with a vengeance after not even 40% here from Fly. We are going to see a portal play coming in from Techie. I don't necessarily love Strange's ability to handle this composition. This is going to be a downside for Fly here in the rest of these fights. Swamp doing exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, Melo's been big with his ult every single time. As long as they force out Melio's ult early, FlyQuest are going to be in a world of pain. Melio does commit that ult, but guess who's waiting after? It's Melo in the sky, and same thing with Scatter with the Glortrox, but everybody gets back on the map.
Wow, that was insane. And an absolutely just genius ground right on the outside of that portal so nobody could use their cooldowns to escape. Kraz able to find one. Tuzi goes down. Out goes the Resurgence as an answer. Is it going to be enough to buy them time on point? No. Forky finds Zelos. The numbers are dwindling here for Fly. Swamp Gaming stepping back into the roam. Goodbye to Velocity, too. This could be it here for domination, folks. It looks like it is. Swamp sweeping the entirety of the team. The touch may come through, but I don't anticipate a retake here.
No. Yeah, I mean, the portal's over. It's done for FlyQuest. They won a round, but they didn't win the entire map, which, I guess there's no sort of moral victories here so far because Swamp Gaming, domination, usually their weakest map type. That was the one you want to win, but they win it today. Domination will go Swamp Gaming's way. We'll see what map what we picked afterwards when we enter that next phase. We do get to go to a Convoy Convergence. We're off of domination, but this is probably where Swamp Gaming will power up. However, for FlyQuest, Chip, they looked so much better than last week, I would say, and even in the preseason. So we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we'll see you guys for that Convoy Convergence map. We'll see where FlyQuest takes us.
소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 작품을 접아 어둠이 떠 내일까지 아름다운 꿈을 밝혀봐 우리에게 달려서 그 세계 운명 small fortune. You crossed my path! Gotcha!
Strap in as Black Cat arrives in her high-octane Formula R gear, and of course witness Wolverine fully unleashed in this incredible X2099 suit. Whether you're racing through the chaos or tearing through the front lines, these looks are engineered to dominate. The battlefield is your playground, so you better own it. Available right now, so you don't want to miss out on them. Absolutely gorgeous skins for these heroes. And speaking of gorgeous things, we just witnessed a great start to our first match of the day between Swamp Gaming and FlyQuest. So we're here to break it all down for you. Zoe joined by Dogman as well as I run ship. Domination went in favor of Swamp Gaming, but let it be said, FlyQuest did fight back. They actually made it close here. I like the adjustments we saw from them in that second round on Burning Chala. But let's talk about some of the things that stood out right from the get-go. Hi, it's us. I want you guys to reiterate what you guys were talking about as we were going through the ban and lock phase, because Swamp Gaming banned Rocket Raccoon. I feel like that's the first I saw. Why did they ban it? Did that make a difference?
Yeah, I think Rocket has been kind of a sleeper pick in the meta with the new changes. Now deals more damage. The ult is threatening when placed in a good location. And Rocket into Dino Comps, it just enables your team to do more damage to a very large target that's susceptible to large amounts of damage. They tried to answer, as we see here, Kraz with the MVP. Looking really good with a 21-3. That is just a great stat line coming out of it. And again, Kraz gets MVP with a very light healing backline, right? They were more focused on just damage boosting, but if you're gonna have that kind of playstyle, you want a Vanguard that just plays his own game, much like Venom.
Yeah, it seems like that was kind of their strategy for sure, is play around Kraz, play around Scatter, let them kind of, or rather, I guess, like play around like they're them playing for their own lives almost, right? Like you could see Scatter was the focus. He had 8 KOs onto him, same thing with Daze, but they ended up winning because of how they played the game. And generally just kind of help heal for, or rather set up these 3-2-1 instant dives on domination. So this is the worry, I think, once we go off of Burn of the Chala, is that FlyQuest played it pretty damn good, like as good as you can versus a top team in this group. But it's going to be difficult, I think, once we go over combo convergence. You have to find the map that Swamp Gaming aren't as comfortable on, which is always going to be difficult because they're like one of the best when we're talking about that map type in the entire region, if not the best, besides Team Liquid Citadel.
Yeah, I think it was really good or well played by FlyQuest there. They did really explore their win con in dismantling or taking down the front line there from Swamp Gaming, enabling them to make it really close there, at least in round 2, after they were off to a rough start. Now, the big question is, of course, where are they taking us now? Because last week when they found themselves on a 0-1, they took us to Lower Manhattan against 100 Thieves. Do you guys feel like that's a map we're going to see more of since it's their pick, or was that just like, I don't know. How do we feel about their Lower Manhattan last week?
I love the map personally. I mean, you know, there's obviously some controversy around the scans and seeing alt charge. I don't want to alt track, so I don't mind it. You know what I mean? If my team's not doing it, let the screen do it for me. But no, I love the map. I think it enables itself back to having some strange portal plays. It's got some tight locations, long LOSs for poke, and it does have some height for dive setup. I think it's got virtually everything. I have a ton of fun playing the map. I don't know how you feel about it, Doggy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid map. I kind of don't like playing against Black Cat and these type of heroes on it for sure. That could set up even more divey stuff. So, yeah, I think it's an okay map. I wouldn't be opposed to it so far. I mean, I think that it's a newer map, and I think pros always want to play what they're comfortable on generally. But map number 2 will be Heart of Heaven. So it's going to be Kunlun, in fact, for FlyQuest, which is kind of old FlyQuest style to pick this one. But this is still a very unique map to take Swamp Gaming to, I feel like.
Yeah, I think Heart of Heaven, you know, it's funny because I do think you can run a lot of different stuff here. I think this is one of those maps you see some group play. We've seen Emma here. We've seen even the return of a lot of the heavy dive stuff. I think it's very tricky. It's very much a dive focused map with some of the smoke being, you know, shown throughout, allowing you to set up easier. So looking forward to seeing what they elect to do. But I think this ban phase is going to tell us a lot.
It will indeed. So let's get map 2 on its merry way. It is match point for Swamp Gaming. Can they close it out here, or will FlyQuest climb their way back into the series?
Yeah, thank you, Zoe. And, you know, I think that this is actually, in hindsight, a pretty solid map, I think, for FlyQuest Shiv, just because of what they're playing so far, right? Like, they're dealing with these counter dives. They're playing, you know, very far back, I think, especially around the Elsa stuff. And it seems like they swap it up to the Elsa, you know, more frequently than they would in the past. Instant first ban come out to the Gambit, by the way, as we skip over that a little bit, but then we go right into the Phoenix bans yet again. So same kind of play style, same ban so far, but a different map for sure for FlyQuest.
Yeah, it's super similar right now. Actually no change, at least from what I'm seeing. I think Fly thinks they maybe have found an answer to what they were dealing with. Obviously, they found success on map 2 of Dom. And, you know, it looked all right on 3. I still think it kind of bounced back in their favor. But they were panicking a bit. They had Swamp panicking a bit on map 2, switching over to the Wolverine to try to get some percent-based damage. So maybe they think they have the solution. I think the Star-Lord removal is a big change, though.
Yeah, I mean, that'll force Mello into something else, at least, like on his side. They also keep that Mantis again. You know, that we did last time as well. Like you said last week, there's a little bit more prioritization to removing that character. Swamp Gaming looks like they want to play, don't care about it too much. But I mean, FlyQuest do seem to be one of the better like triple teams. Like I feel like we've seen Sentinels do it and stuff. Didn't look as promising on it, but this time they removed the Loki. I think that's actually kind of a smart one. Considering this map again more open, and Velocity's probably one of the best Lokis as well in the region, if not you know, one of the top 3. So I feel like him on Loki is always a problem. Makes sense to get rid of it as well for their, you know, potential 2-2 style, which is just go fast, try to dive on the back line. The crystals aren't going to help him out as much. The White Fox was a problem, though. Do you think that was a bigger problem for the side of Swamp Gaming than the Loki, or what's your kind of take on it, Shipskis?
I'd say no. It's funny because if you do ban the Loki, it tells me a lot of things. One, you usually only ban the Loki, at least from so far what we've seen in stage 1 here, is that the Loki only gets banned when Gambit gets through, because you just don't want to deal with 2 Raging Royal flushes. So I think shouting out and banning the Loki like that is more of a testament to Velocity, kind of like what you're saying. I think that crystal cooldown in a Dino composition back and forth is just huge, because if you can reset Dino's HP bar after losing, you know, everyone using a ton of resources on him, it's massive for your team in a front-to-back style. So I like the decision, but I think it is kind of a compliment.
Yeah, I like that. Good call out, Chip. And yeah, Techie was that preseason to stage 1 pickup, that little off season we had there. That was about a month-ish, maybe less actually. Yeah, Techie was that pickup from he was a free agent, obviously, formerly on Sentinels, now on FlyQuest full-time. This was a guy that everybody was talking about that needs to get picked up for a team. FlyQuest intelligently went after him in that offseason and now have him on the lineup. And like you said, Chip, he was great on that double Dino, but on the opposite side, what's been getting through so far, and we can talk about this more later as we see this kind of play out, is we have that double dive sort of comp. We have Daredevil alongside the Black Cat, maybe for the first time in this series.
It is true, my friend. A lot of commitment there to the dive, allowing Dino to just kind of play his own game. Damage was still on the table here for Swamp, getting the exact backline they wanted. At least what we saw towards the end. Melio able to find one onto Daze, though. Is going to put Fly up, but again, that BRB, even in the numbers. Cart. Melio once more. Goodbye to those two. Now numbers heavily in Fly's favor as they're still holding on firm.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the pickup as well for FlyQuest. This Melio having to pick up a lot of these melee characters, you know, on the Daredevil, now onto the Black Cat. They come through quickly. So getting that Star-Lord matchup that you talked about in that ban phase is enabling them. They have to come for that portal last-second touch with their own Loki on Valentina this time.
See, now they take the point. The portal comes through very early on. Sometimes you need to have that commitment. Forky's able to find Melio. Now Swamp up a number, but the rest comes in. Psych, I lied. Numbers even, but the point has already been taken here from Fly. So it all worked out in the end. That early pick was all they needed. Surprised that touch was not able to last longer.
I think in the discussions online, tanks and vanguards have been sort of that focal point, but that was really done well by Cart and Techie, you know, coming through and finding multiple. Cart in this fight also uses that Deadpool ultimate on the backside. The Banhammer removes Valentino, gets brought back by BRB, but again, because they're on that Doctor Strange you talked about earlier in that matchup is very difficult. It just feels like Techie and Cart are holding space to the extreme. They are really a big force to deal with. And because we're on this sort of double melee composition, Chip, it just feels like you talked about that damage output that Star-Lord produces onto the double dinos. This time, it feels like Techie's been uncontested with this double melee comp.
No, I think that's a great call out, man. I really do think this is Techie's moment to shine as you get a ton of advantage being able to essentially wall off with your buddy barrier or that shield that goes around the dino. Virtually anyone that gets in melee range and turns that 1v1 very much in your favor. Tuzi up in the sky now with the Galactic Legend looking for somebody. Tries to get some damage out, but nobody falls just yet. Playing a little bit passive in that ultimate commitment as everybody just kind of held firm.
I mean, you see these Black Cats as well pop out like in the middle of the street, like a pothole, coming through for those KOs. But this time they go in aggressive with that See You Later, or rather from FlyQuest's or Swamp Gaming side, going with a copy into the See You Later from Valentina. So they actually find multiple KOs, and it's kind of interesting comp. This Loki Rocket Raccoon backline, they do have yet another See You Later where they benefited from it. And this time for FlyQuest, they have Rocket Raccoon in. It wasn't banned out in the ban phase like it was previously, so Zelos does have his own See You Later to match it. As well as, I mean, on their side, they can actually delete the See You Later maybe a little bit quicker than Swamp Gaming can if they have good placement, but immediately Mello goes in and finds Zelos, so he pops the ult before he dies. However, him getting out of that fight is huge. No BRB will be here.
Yeah, we're going to find out if that was worth it in just a moment as the fight continues now. Melophobia diving. Daze takes out Melio, and it looks like no, it was not worth it as Zelos Sia gets committed to no avail. Walking them back to the spawn door now, folks, but there is 4 ultimates there for Fly in the next fight. And the same exact answer from Swamp.
And going for early dive, you do commit that Daredevil ultimate as well, send them back into the spawn. Because those doors are super close, we try to go for an aggressive dive, maybe catch them out, but this time we actually avoid them. Also, use a ton of ultimates. Swamp Gaming are trying to disengage it, but can't. Forky goes down.
See now Melio taking out Forky Dog. Just a little bit of the reverse card there from what we saw in the last fight. Melio looking for more here. He's not able to make that work just yet. Ultimate commitment. Maybe not worth it. The BRB brings back Melio, though. I think the numbers should be even here. Techie's able to find Scatter, and now they're up in numbers. Make it 2 numbers. Tuzi taking out Daze. FlyQuest really wants to get this second point here, as it is very much a defensible position. Being able to find this second point increases your odds of being able to hold on as they start their defense in just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, they're pushing the car forward. 2 minutes and 25 seconds. They actually have a good time bank. Card as well on these off angles have been kind of locking him down. Whereas Valentina goes in with the copy. See you later. Doesn't have enough healing.
Wow.
Oh my God! Nice job by Tuzi to remove Valentina.
Yeah, that was massive. Tuzi gets 2 there, if you will. Forky finds Valentina to bring that back, though. So Loki still in the fight. Crystal's likely available here to commit the very end to try to keep the team healthy. Will it come out in time, though, is the question. I'm not sure. Daze takes out Melio. Fly down 1. The res comes through. Tuzi onto Scatter, and that's a big frontline pick. Daze, though, on the back line of Zelos. Melio trades that onto Daze. It is red and blue back and forth here on the KO feed. 3 meters is all it's going to take here for Fly to get this through. Portal commitment comes out from Scatter. Tuzi and Cart able to find 2 more. FlyQuest wants this. The question is, can they get it? Tuzi with a 3-piece now and make it another from Cart onto Scatter. This is just a matter of time, I believe, here for Fly.
Yeah, this has been super good for FlyQuest. I mean, it's been clean so far as they remove everybody that came out of that Doctor Strange portal. We're entering 3rd phase. I mean, they've only lost basically like a team fight. There's been a lot of delays out of Swamp Gaming. But honestly, as long as they're not getting like 3-2-1 Dobon by Daze and Mello and maybe outliving them long term, it does feel like their duelist line is doing excellent. Same thing with those strategists. Their ultimates have been really good. This FlyQuest looks reinvigorated from the preseason, and I think this week as well, compared to last week, they look so much better from a synergistical standpoint. However, Melio does go down. The Black Cats, again, have been a focal point so far, but Melio slowed it down in the streets phase. We'll see if it can come back after this.
I'm with you. I think they look like a refreshed team. I think they just needed time. Truthfully, I think it's so difficult to come in as a new unit and try to perform, especially against the teams that they've been going against here. But looking very good right now. There goes Let the Devil out. The Sia's out there as well. Black Cat committing. Everybody from Swamp wants something, but Cart is able to get the first pick. Out goes the Legend, the Sia to answer, and the Rampage from Techie. And it looks like Fly's commitment was just a little bit better here as the point continues to move. More touch from Kraz, but it won't last long as Cart gets that pick.
Yeah, nice job again. Cart in that neutral, being an impactful player, has the ultimate available too. No straps either available for Swamp. And again, they've been able to delete these See You Laters with that Star-Lord in the sky, with the follow-up from Zelos. And on the opposite side, Swamp Gaming just need to get these like kind of one-shots. And if they don't get that setup dive, you know, they've been really struggling. Same thing with the backline support cutoff of healing from the Deadpools. But Melio finally gets counter-dove by the opposite side, and then Kraz comes through to find Techie. So they're finding those KOs. BRB does bring back Techie into the fight. And FlyQuest actually have committed a ton of ultimates to no avail for them in this upcoming fight, but Swamp Gaming at least use something against it. They do have Satter Genji with his own ultimate in the upcoming fight, and they only have a minute left to go. We'll see how FlyQuest take it. if they could play it slow, maybe find those picks in the neutral. Melio now is over to that Daredevil off the Black Cat for these neutral fights to help find these kind of off-angle flanks, maybe give his team a little bit more awareness for them too, to keep their backline healthy, as well as stop Scatter. But Scatter goes aggressive with Daze, I believe, on that front line. They went for that dive, 3-2-1, removed everybody. Excellent sort of tempo, pace, change up for Swamp Gaming. However, that fight might have been a little bit too fast, though, because FlyQuest still have 40 seconds on the clock.
We definitely still have time. Valentina trading like you called out. Ultimates there. 2 for 1s and getting a pick after the fact. Shout out Val in the back line, making that work out. Here goes the commitment now from Fly. We're in final fight territory here where Portal plays will be committed. Daze trying to flank the back line, not able to pull anything out just yet. Biding time, and the commitment will go on top of the backside of a rocket here from Zello. Zello's now in a dangerous spot. The commitment is there, dancing with velocity, staying healthy. Well done by the strat line. 2Z throughout the chaos is able to find Melophobia, and now Fly is up in number. No BRB apparently at this moment to make that work out. Kraz takes out Zealous to trade that back, and once again, Kraz doing a great job of engaging whenever they're not expecting it. Huge crystals there from the side of Valentina. They're going to negate a bit of this ultimate. Will Tuesday be able to find anything through it? No. But there is a back and forth. And oh my goodness, Melio able to find 2. The res comes in from Valentina, and that's the backline. Daze on to Techie. Will Techie res from the BRB? Yes. Cart goes down from Daze. Numbers are back and forth, but at this point, Swamp is up. It's all about, can they maintain presence on this point? Fly still trying to, but Daze takes out Tuesday after Tuesday gets a pick, and it's still a back and forth fight. There's going to be that copied up once again. Zelos throwing the Sia, and Valentina doing the same. Whose is going to be the better Sia? Looks like that answer is Swamp Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, Swamp Gaming as well pushed them off the cart, and yeah, lived a little bit longer. You can see the target focus is there. They had more people on that payload, but they get stopped. So excellent work from Swamp Gaming towards the very end. FlyQuest did look very good up until that point. Swamp Gaming finally stopped the bleeding, though. Towards that third phase, they were able to kind of delete those ultimates like you talked about, Shiv, that see you later towards the very end. I think the big change up was about 50 seconds left to go. You know, maybe it didn't leave too much time on the time bank either for the side of Swamp Gaming, because I want to watch that back later. I believe in the sky, Scatter went in aggressive with his Devil Dino ult. He did the classic, you know, where people were trying out early when they try to fly in early with the shift from Devil Dino. They fly up into the sky and then laying down on their back line with an ultimate. So Scatter did that, and they were able to find KOs after it and continue on that moving forward. I think their backline as well starting to play a little bit better. You know, that they were able to kind of stabilize with the Loki in the far back. But still, this is not a bad sort of push, I think, from FlyQuest. For Swamp Gaming side, this is the worrisome part, is that they're very coordinated on their attacking side of their offense. This is kind of where they shine. We'll see if FlyQuest can stop them. It looks like their comp is going to be that triple comp as well. So they really want to make sure this is a tough first fight for Swamp Gaming around this point. We'll see if Swamp Gaming have the right angles to kind of take it, though, and avoid a lot of that damage that's surely going to come from FlyQuest.
Yeah, it's all about just buying a little more time than what happened there on their defense, because they got pushed that point through almost instantly, gave them plenty of time on that point too. So yeah, and they're instead going to try to be very aggro. I think we hear a portal play being committed now. We do. Everybody just setting up. Notice the height, owning the height up there. The portal goes through onto the back line into the building, give them some security to bunker up before they attack. And you can notice they're not just immediately starting the fights, they're having conversations about when they need to go in. And they say now is the time. Starting up towards that front line. Commitment with Daze. Goodbye here. Techie falls. Well done from the cleanup crew that is Swamp Gaming.
The BRB brings him back. So this is the tough part, is they're against that triple comp, and you know, can they get the KOs through it? Melio does go down. That's huge. Okay, excellent work to remove everybody afterwards too. Cart can't throw the ultimate down. And I was wondering if Swamp Gaming were going to change something up. The change to Bucky, first of all, is big because of the Phoenix ban. They go over to that meatball, you know, left click enjoyer for Melophobia. And they can find those KOs through it. Cart switch back over to the Hulk, by the way. They want to come back, retouch, get the bubbles. Techie again goes first down. That dinosaur, unfortunately, will be ragdolling towards that objective. As again, you have to deal with so much damage onto your tank line from this Bucky Wolverine front line that can just absolutely beam and destroy any Vanguards that touch, or anybody in general. I thought they would try to set up for backline, but this time they've actually changed up their entire playstyle. Just went through Vanguard's front line and removed them all. And just like FlyQuest, they take this first point in incredible pace.
Something to notice there is just Valentina sitting on top of that high side structure that you saw them initially holding on the defense. That position is insanely strong, but especially for something like Loki, where you can set up a ton of clones and just create a firing line to deal a ton of damage and heal, getting that all charged very quickly. Valentina will have ultimate here with Melophobia, and that will be unanswerable, at least at the current moment, from the side of Fly.
I mean, I think both strategist lines have been playing very good, especially Valentina on their side, like you said, just taking control of it. Poppy now goes forward with that see you later. Nothing to match on FlyQuest's side. They try to combine Melo's ult, and they actually find Techie in the middle of it too. So down goes the dinosaur, buried into the graves, surely to become gasoline in the future.
Jeez. Just waiting under the earth right there, turning into some gasoline. Melophobia finds 3. Oh my goodness, make it a quadra Melophobia. It's been a while since we've heard again this many times this stage of Ignite. Goes to show you, Bucky still in an incredibly strong place with those recent changes.
Yeah, it's actually a known fact, Shiv, that Bucky Barnes is actually the Kraken Impact. Acts as like a hydraulic press that immediately turns dinosaurs into fossil fuels. So it's actually a very unique thing in the lore that nobody even knows about.
Yeah, I saw that in a comic once. I'm with you, buddy. As we see the first pick here, Scatter finds Techie, and that has been a consistent story as the BRB turns Techie right back into the fight, tries to get that turnaround onto Scatter, and looks like that will come through. Tuzi making the switch up here, and that Elsa, again, percent base damage is the idea of this game. He's able to drop backwards on that Wolverine, but does have the last stand available as Forky and Craze in the same boat fly with almost everyone with Qs.
He found the BRB to remove that. Tuzi again, that mix-up. We saw this on the last map on Domination. Finds Valentina. No strat ults either outside of Forky's ultimate's committed, but they do find Techie. Everybody trying to run away from Daze, who has the ultimate last stand available. But everybody's split. They're so far back. He gets out the pass. It goes down to the back line, but they go down. I mean, only onto the Vanguards. Not enough people caught in it, and they have to back up. Swamp Gaming commit a ton of ultimates. We saw this on the last map where we had the mix-up. We go over to that Elsa instead of the Star-Lord, and, you know, maybe some people are wondering about it, but I feel like Tuzi, whenever he's on this sort of character, can do a ton of damage to people diving, especially that sort of Daze Wolverine. He goes over to that Daredevil now to help set up his dives a little bit more on Kraz, though. But this mix-up, again, is nice for Tuzi.
Valentina takes out Melio. You see, ready on that Glartrox now is Tuzi. Invisible Boundary is committed. The Sia goes out from the copy, the God of Mischief, and we're going to see this ultimate. Oh, I think the plan was to set up there, but Daze finds 2. Melophobia is going to find a 3rd. Scatter on the 4th. And this point is moving, folks. We got to see if they can get there. Potentially a portal retouch.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have to come. I believe it will be up Melo again. Nice hook into Cart.
Wow.
Takes him out. I mean, Melo's swapped to Bucky as well, has been shutting down Cart, who was kind of a menace, and now Swamp Gaming have more time than FlyQuest did in the 3rd phase. And, you know, they've really figured something out. Daze swapping back and forth, going back over to that Wolverine, off of that Daredevil, Melio, back over to the Star-Lord. So this time, Melio's off the Black Cat entirely. They want to keep that Star-Lord in their back pocket. A lot of this has been on these duelist lines to mix it up throughout so far. We'll see if they can actually deal with Melo, who again gets another hook, and Melio on the opposite side has to live, does so with the iframes. But again, that's so many cooldowns out. He'll be removed from the team fight, and Tuzi goes down after the portal arrived.
And you gotta love the Melio comms back and forth here. I'm sure everybody in the chat loves to see that. Melophobia, though, come on with a triple. Looking for even more. You cannot stop Melophobia on this hero again and again. And that will be consecutive Kraken impacts with immense value. Potentially looking for more, turning that back towards the team.
He's been nice with it, man. And also, I believe in the middle of the fight, Forky Dot even body blocked like Zello's trying to run away. So the Rocket Raccoon on Rocket Raccoon crime sort of happened. And like you mentioned, excellent tracking. Poor Melio, man. Oh my God, that was beautiful for Melophobia.
Yeah, I mean, these shots are just insane. Daze with that percent base damage on the front line. This could be it already. It is. Wow. Come on now. Swamp Gaming stepping it up after that defense and just locking in without missing a beat. Walk them through and take this home. Swamp Gaming 2-0.
Yeah, that was a really clean work out of Swamp Gaming side. And, you know, I think that the Bucky switch up was huge. Like, I feel like, yeah, I mean, we had Melio go pop off. Same thing with Daze, but huge map win from Swamp Gaming, and we talked about in the previous one, you can't really give, or you have to win Domination versus Swamp, otherwise they're going to do this, right? Like, even if you take them to a map they're not as comfortable on in terms of Convergence, they're still very good on these 2 maps. So once we get Zoe back in here, we'll break everything back down, and I think Swamp Gaming, you know, they figured out the right switch, and on the opposite side, there really wasn't much to be done. I mean, Melophobia was just getting absolutely shut, or was shutting down Melio on the opposite side. Basically, was Melophobia at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have to say, though, I'm excited based on what we've seen from FlyQuest. Even though they were not coming out victorious, which I quite frankly didn't expect them to against Swamp Gaming, which were really the heavy favorite in this very match. But I do feel like that what we've seen from FlyQuest, that should give us enough hope moving further into the competition. They arguably had two of the toughest matchups in week 1 and now in week 2 to, kick things off in stage 1. But I'm not saying it's easier from here on out, but definitely more winnable.
Yeah, I think they Flies, like you said, definitely looked better. But yeah, going against Swamp, I mean, this team is just so locked in. I liked seeing the Rocket play, a strategy we haven't seen as much here in the Americas region of Ignite. Bucky coming in and looking dominant, going against that Vanpool, marking like you said, and then hitting massive Kraken impacts after Kraken impacts back and forth. So yeah, running some different stuff, finding success with it, and whether that's a test to them wanting to see if they can do this in the future, or if they just know that is a good answer to some of this stuff. Either way, Swamp has not missed a beat.
No, they definitely have not. But again, that is what we expected. And for FlyQuest, they're on the right trajectory, right? Like, especially on that second map. But we did see great ult usage. They synergized a lot more. Like, it feels like the pieces are really starting to come together here, Dogman, for them.
Yeah, I mean, Swamp, and same thing with FlyQuest. Yeah, they've been figuring it out slowly, but yeah, like you said before, even we started, Zoe. Like these first 2 games are always going to be really tough for FlyQuest. It's a matter of how they bounce back later. I mean, O2 deficits aren't really that hard to kind of come back for them. If we talk about strength of schedule, all of Group B is going to be basically a death sentence for all of these teams. But, FlyQuest, at least they get the harder matchups out of the way early, theoretically, especially with how 100 Thieves are looking, compared to, where Swamp Gaming is now. That might be a fun matchup. Because really, this group is going to be tough. At least you remove those top 2 teams out the way early. You just got to hope you don't lose too much momentum, like you said, as they build moving forward to the future.
I love what you just mentioned there as well. Like, you want to get those losses out of the way against the most difficult teams, because that means that you have plenty of weeks to grab footage, get VODs on the opponents that are arguably easier for you to beat. So with more tape, you can prep better for those and make it a guaranteed victory. Now, speaking of guaranteed victories, if you have Melophobia on your team, that should do the trick. Dropping 40 in this series. I mean, what a guy, what a duelist. Like, this entire team is just so stacked. Like, you can't really band them out. Like, it's really difficult to go up against those individuals just on a mechanical basis.
Yeah, the Swamp Gaming team is like, I mean, you could talk about the shit, because when you play against these guys in ranked and stuff, like Melo is just that guy, right? Like, he can play basically everything. He picked up the hit scan roll to a flawless degree, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we saw him, I think it was the best testament when we saw him in that Elsa meta. Dude just does not miss a beat. There's so much movement in that meta, and he was just on top of it as well. So definitely has the mechanical skill to play virtually anyone that plays at range, whether it's hit scan or if it's projectile. But looking at these stats, guys, I mean, a lot of this stuff, shines through, but 22 finals is obviously the big thing. You got to remember, Kraken Impact does guarantee those finals go in your favor, but he was pretty much cleaning up every KO himself. So what are you guys' major standouts here, Zoe?
I mean, honestly, I'm just looking here at the backlines and how much sustainability you had on Swamp Gaming side, Dogman.
Yeah, I mean, I think Valentina and Forky were really good, and there's a reason why they're talked about as some of the best in the entire game. And honestly, Zelios and Velocity also impressed me. So both of these strat lines can be very, happy with how today went, I think. But yeah, specifically Valentina, when we saw them on Loki, she was moving around the map like a maniac, not really going down. Having 7 was still, I mean, people look at stats, probably say it's a lot, but considering how much pressure was on them and how deep Melo was going with these dives, I think it was very impressive in keeping Scatter up and healthy. Same thing with his front line. I think they did an excellent job, because that's kind of the strength of a lot of these strat players right now. And people will talk about, the pros will talk about, like, a lot of backlines are kind of victims, almost, is what they'll say. That's sort of the slang for it. People will be like, too easy to KO. And, it's not going to be an easy KO for the side of FlyQuest or Swamp Gaming. Not going to be kind of an easy out if we're talking about, baseball and sports. I know you hate that, Zoe. Sorry, but...
I'm not much of a sports ball person, but yeah, it's definitely like, even if you get the KO on the backline, you usually have to trade it for your life. Like, they make you bleed for it.
Yeah, they can aim. They got hands back there. The strat line.
They sure do. They sure do.
Yeah, you talked about, Doug, I think it's worth mentioning again, that backline getting more mechanically skilled, especially with these heroes releasing that, give them a lot of tools to battle back against some of these tools of diving and even ranged. There's just a lot of solutions now, and these strategists at this top level play, especially from the top teams, are showcasing the strength of that backline, for sure.
If you're a future opponent of Swamp Gaming, have we seen any crack in the armor? Because I personally do not really feel like we've figured something out here.
Yeah, I think if domination's always going to be sort of a map you could take them to. I think what we saw on Burnin, I wouldn't be surprised if more teams try to take them there. But that's just any domination map type. I think we just have to improve on those. For all these sort of MRC teams, they're always really good there. Also, yeah, Kunlun was not a bad map type to bring them to necessarily. However, once they tried to play that sort of poke style, once they were just trying to focus on your front line, Cart wasn't really having a good time. I think we saw him on domination pop off, not so much on that next one. But yeah, excellent work, I think, for a lot of the teams in the future to maybe read what map to take them to. Not a bad map choice in terms of the first two that we saw.
Yeah, and we just talked about the backline there. We should have Forky Dog joining us for a quick chat here after this victory. And I'm very excited to pick their brains about it all. Forky Dog, welcome to the show. Congratulations. How are we feeling right now?
I'm feeling really good. That was a pretty stressful match, but it was exciting to face the new FlyQuest because the new roster changes. So I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because obviously they made you work for this victory today. Coming into this week, what was your initial read on this revamped squad and what adjustments did you have to make in the server today?
Well, like Tuzi being on NA ping makes him Thanos. So that's literally like our read on like your team. Like them, they go triple support. This pocket Tuzi will carry the lobby. And we have to try to like kill their backline, make sure Tuzi doesn't have resources. And yeah, he's like literally just LeBron James.
That's awesome. It's good to finally chat with you, Forky. Question I have for you, bud, is we saw from you guys a lot more Rocket priority, whether it was through the ban phase or in the map. I think Rocket has a place this season. Can you walk through the thought process of running Rocket in this meta?
Well, honestly, Rocket is number one. Devil Dinosaur has a really big head, right? So Rocket, the projectiles do really well into that, and also with the new Rocket buffs, his amp is so broken that if you just have a Rocket amp, you'll kill through most support ults, which is a really big priority, especially with these teams running triple support. You want to make sure you can actually kill through these support ults, which is so it's kind of what our team realized at the recent weeks. So.
Awesome. It's cool to see the meta still develop even this deep into the season,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think Forky, on that third phase, I think, do you just body block Zelios real quick? Was that I don't know if I saw that correctly, but I saw you try to duel him in the melee range. Did that happen, or am I seeing things?
Yeah, there's actually on the first map, I tried my best to just be as engaged, because Rocket's primary fire is a really underrated part of his kit. So I'm honestly just going in there, gunning down their backline if I have to, so that's what I did on the first map. And second map too, I tried to do my best doing that.
It was a fantastic showcase of your guys' team last week already as well. So we hope to see the continued dominance from Swamp Gaming. Forky Dog, we're gonna let you go and rest up. Good luck in your next match, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you so much. So polite. We love to hear that. Yeah, I mean, that's great insight there as well. We did discuss the Rocket Raccoon there a little bit already. I'm very interested to see if other teams are going to pick it up. But what do you think? Which team is most likely to also utilize the Rocket Raccoon a little bit more?
I think we're just going to see it more in the meta as a whole. I think Rocket's just good into Dino, and like he was saying, essentially, you can burn through Strat ults. That triple strategist line is less of a threat if you do have the Rocket.
Well, we're now heading into a quick break, and then afterwards we should be back with match 2, Sentinels versus 100 Thieves. You don't want to miss it.
bring all those fighting souls, but yet across the world I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight like the sun and moon, and I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me.
Power Unleashed. Welcome to Alchemax headquarters, available from, well, checking my clock, right now, actually. The time has come to save the heroes and stop the sins of Alchemax. Although, do we really want to stop it? I don't know. I'm a bit of a villain stan myself here. I don't know how you guys feel about this, Dustin and Ship.
They got our boy Cyclops locked up in there, all right? We got to free him. We got to get him out of there. I'm excited to see what role that he's going to be. Dog, if you had to guess right now, Cyclops, what role's Cyclops?
Oh, man. I guess Vanguard? Vanguard, maybe?
I love it.
don't know.
I love it.
so.
I hope so.
You guys are, you
Another
Vanguard mains are doing
though,
good right now.
I don't know. That seems like a bait. Either way, we're excited. We're excited to see it in action. We're also excited to see our second match happening in just a little bit. So here, back with Iron Ship and a Dogman. Let's talk about the two teams on the docket. Sentinels will be facing off against 100 Thieves. Now, Sentinels, they were off to a very difficult start here in Stage 1 with a loss to Swamp Gaming. That was an 0-2. However, they did redeem themselves later on in Week 1 with a 2-0 victory against Nightmare. What have we learned from those first two showings from Sentinels?
I think Sentinels, and Dog, you can mention this. I think Sentinels is changing the way they think and not trying to force a composition all the time. What do you got for me?
No, yeah, I keep elaborating on it. I think you're right. Like, they've been kind of good, but then also, like, is their pickup Oasis been good? Like, I mean, what's kind of the main takeaway for you, Shib? I think you keep elaborating for sure.
I think this team has a lot of talent, and they can, if they're confident enough, run a decent dive composition. They really like the triple backline, and that was something I think day one they were really trying to force a lot, and it, obviously was to their detriment going against Swamp, but they've since looked a lot better, looked great against Nightmare, and they started showing that they can run things like the Cap and even the Cat. I think Amazing is great on dive as well, so they don't always need to force them on that triple strat.
Yeah, that's something they've kind of forced already in the preseason, right? They really wanted to make it work for them, and more often than not, it did not work for them. Now, for 100 Thieves, everything has been working. They coming off of back-to-back victories in Week 1. First, their opening match against FlyQuest, and of course, their victory against Energy Shock, although they did lose on Domination. Yeah, I think the big takeaway, there's actually so many, but TTK on Dino, insane stuff. Self and Delena, there's just so much flexibility for their duelists as well. The way they can swap things around to make adjustments in the game, no matter what their opponents are throwing at them, they just look comfortable.
Yeah, that's a good point, Zoe. I think comfortability is a big factor for 100 Thieves, because yeah, for TTK, a controller player as well. I think I was given a lot of criticism towards controller players last in the preseason, but after Devil Dinos come out, it does seem like a very good character for him. And then for these controller players in general to kind of improve on. So I like that, and their backline's been super good. These two teams as well, I mean, have always been rivals, you know, to the end almost, right? Like, I feel like Sentinels, 100 Thieves going at each other, not on social media, but their players always involved. These two are always sort of tied together forever, it feels like.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a beautiful story, though. It's been fun to see the back and forth, and you can see, obviously, last time going in Sen's favor, but I'm with you. I think both of these teams have been they kind of just elevate to each other's level. When they go against each other, it always seems to push the series pretty far, and I'm hoping for the same story today.
I absolutely love that transcends, like that the orcs going at each other transcends the game title even. Like, it's just kind of been a rivalry no matter where they're facing off against one another. So that kind of adds some pressure onto those players' backs there, if you will. But of course, we do see some changes here in the roster for Sentinels. How do we feel about them thus far after just 1 week of play?
I mean, I don't know, man. They've been a little disappointing, but, you know, it's again kind of the same point that we had for FlyQuest. They were against a tough team in Swamp Gaming in the first first day. But that game over Nightmare was a pretty good win for them, and I think they can build off that, Chip, because I think you were casting that one, right? So, like, What was your takeaway from that series between them and Nightmare?
It's tricky because everybody on Sen has had moments of greatness. So it's tough for me to say, like, there's really something I want them to work on because, you know, I've seen Yushers looked really good, have had some insane games. I've seen Flamme step up MVP and dominate, really flexing to virtually anything. Another one of those Loki players too that I think has kind of been pushed to the wayside in the meta unless Gambit's around, and now stepping back in just a little bit. Crimzo has, you know, sometimes falls back to comfort picks in the moment, doesn't really pick necessarily what's best for the team, but when he's on his specific heroes can absolutely run a lobby. So, you know, I can speak about all of these players and give them some gas and highlight the way they play, but it's all about just, I think, their compositional structure. They need to just lock in on trying to play more meta stuff and getting really good at it, because I think they could.
Yeah, as long as they're on the same page, really, that should do the trick for them. Of course, we're heading on Domination first. Which team has impressed you more on the Domination map type?
Man, I think it's got to be like Swamp so far, but like, you know, I mean, sorry, well, not Swamp so far. It's 100 Thieves so far.
They're living rent-free in my mind too. Don't worry about it.
They're just always involved, involved. But they've had like some close games, I think, versus some top teams on Domination as well. Like we just saw how, you know, Fly played that last one. They 2-0'd them on the previous map last time they were on Domination, and you know, kind of same thing versus Energy. Obviously lost that, but you know, I feel like they've looked a little bit better on that map type.
Let's see how close they can play it today in order to kick things off right for week number 2. Sentinels versus 100 Thieves, map 1 coming right up.
All right, my friend, we're heading into Hell's Heaven, shaking it up just a little bit here, but I don't think the bans are going to be too different. Psych, I lied. Oh, okay, I thought that was first ban out for a moment as we saw Dino and Phoenix, but it is going to be double Gambit off rip. I think that's just the smart play and something that a lot of these teams have learned from week 1.
Yeah, focusing on the Gambit for sure. I mean, that character you don't want to see play, but now this is going to be kind of a larger topic towards the end. You know, how many teams have practice on a lot of the Gambit comp. Meanwhile, Black Cat being removed for Sentinels, very, very different from the other side. And then for 100 Thieves, they go for that Rocket Raccoon. So kind of the same thing that we saw to Swamp Gaming. Maybe these two teams practice against each other, and for Sentinels so far, now can't remove that Rocket Raccoon because they focused on the Black Cat. And I guess the priority for them and the Black Cat, or not removing Black Cat, Shib, it must be that there's other better options, whereas Rocket just feels so powerful. Like, what's your kind of take on it as Star-Lord gets removed?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that as this season keeps pushing forward, teams are going to pick up the Rocket play. I do think it's not a bad decision at all, but it is still going to be what's comfortable for your team. As we see, it is going to be locked in on both sides. Cat's been taking a step up as we see the ban out there from Sentinels, as well as Star-Lord. I think those are great bans. Phoenix just statistically has looked better in terms of wins and just performance, but that being said, Cat can completely change the structure of maps. We're using that portal to just break down defenses. That will just shake up the way you're used to playing a map, so never a bad ban.
Yeah, and the tough part is I think Sentinels, obviously, you know, they got focused on in terms of that Mantis, right? Because of, you mentioned it before,
true.
They played that triple comp, and now they can't. But maybe they can finally, you know, explode upon this 2-2-2 style. White Fox obviously is still available, so they could still play it alongside the Loki on this map. As they like to prioritize that. Maybe it shifted from week to week because we're still early on in the new meta, and I know not a lot's changed. But as we end that ban phase, Shib, I don't know. Like, it does feel like things are still changing pretty rapidly week to week.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's the beauty of this game right now, and how fast these changes come into play, how many seasons come out, how many changes, the balancing. You kind of got to be flexible as a team, and I think there's a lot of strength in Ignite of being a team that learns the meta quickly or defines the meta. And I think if you're able to do that, teams are going to want to follow suit, but they maybe don't have the practice or experience that you're used to running. We can see now the packs going out, but I believe that is likely just to set up the team for some of that armor. When you use the Penny team up with Rocket, which was in the past, it's not there anymore, excuse me. So Rocket instead is giving everybody that 25 bonus health. But so we might see a portal play with the Penny. I'm not quite sure. Or potentially Dogman just wants to run it on this map, which is beautiful.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he could. It's always a potential, right? But you know, we'll kind of see as it mixes up later on. They actually do. Oh my God. Okay. So what's the plan here, Shib? You think? What are they going to do to win on 100 Thieves?
So the idea here is you just win the chomp war. You pull them right into a penny mine situation, and you ensure that even if he was going to chomp after the fact, it allows you to bite first. That Dino's already missing a ton of HP, so I believe that's going to be the idea. Dongmin going to early set up on the left side and already take this space quickly, and I'm loving this, and I'm sure all 4 of the penny mains are loving this as well as we start up our first fight.
Yeah, we'll see if it pans out for him. I mean, you know, obviously we have the Groot on the opposite side for Vinny. You know, Sentinels obviously trying to play around Yusher. You talked about him in this sort of 3-1-2 style. But again, they have to keep this pressure up. The problem is these mines are getting deleted now for the side of Sentinels. 100 Thieves doing a job focusing it as well. They have that triple comp with the Mantis of their own, so they should be able to do good damage. But Yusher, again, trying to focus on this front line, build that ultimate up very quickly. Already has the Glortrox in a moment, but has to go big with it because it's up first fight. TTK brought to the mines that you talked about earlier, Shib.
Yep, there it is. There's that example. Great combination. There's always been a question of who's the better, other Vanguard to have, and it looks like at the moment it might be Penny. The res comes through, though, already from Self, and everyone's back in the fight. You didn't catch that. Actually, it was the copy from Winnie onto Self to bring them back. They're running some unique stuff here with Adam on the field. The bond comes out. Crimzo's able to find TTK once again, and even after that commitment, still holding on to this point. Sentinels are locking in Vinny now with the prison. There's the combination of the Kraken impact. Down goes the It's Jeff. May up in the sky with Yusher, bringing him back with the BRB. The Sia gets deleted instantly. Oasis finds one, and it's still back and forth, but all the while, 26% in climbing here for Sent.
Yeah, he commits to that. No way you get the KO. Are you kidding? He's got res too from Self because they've extended the fight, but Self has to walk back from spawn. So not going to be in the fight, and Sentinels actually win it. So gonna have to switch things up. He's going over Punisher now. This is such a weird start. TTK's over to the Emma. And this is still going to be comps that are going to be working against them in terms of Sentinels. I think Sentinels have done an excellent job in the middle of these fights. They'll have to go ultra aggressive. Whereas Sentinels, I mean, they can keep playing it back, right? Make sure that you just delete everybody in the sky, as well as it seems like Self has not gotten a lot of value so far on the Adam Warlock. So excellent work from Sentinels. Now they're going to set up on the defensive mine setup as the map rotates over. We have to wait again for these walls to open up as Dongmin sets up the landmines that eventually 100 Thieves have to walk into.
This is beautiful. I guess we have our answer here, folks. It looks like Penny with Dino is a big problem, and TTK is forced to switch off. Self gets taken out from Yusher, just into neutral there. That is a massive pick. Self gonna res right back, though. Numbers evened out for the moment. This is something we've seen in the past, actually, from Na'Vi today. They actually used this on Museum, so this is definitely a strategy that has seen some heavy play from some of the top teams, and personally love to see it. Oasis finding Vinny. Flamay gonna bring Dongman back. Lena goes in heavy with the Punisher. Goodbye to Amazing, but still 90% here from Sentinels as Yusher finds another pick.
I was wondering when Self's ult's going to come out, but again, they haven't been able to take advantage of this Adam Warlock. They go aggressive with that, also finally going past that choke point. But again, nobody caught in it. At least they have to wait for somebody to get back from spawn as well. So 100 Thieves, excellent job in that res last second to bring back Vinny. But they're going to have to keep it up now. You have to come back into this fight against Penny Parker, which shouldn't be too difficult, I would say, for 100 Thieves side, but they did commit some ultimates in the previous one, and Sentinels have the Glortrox. Yusher's been big. Maybe they can rely on Vinny's wall to block it off, but again, the backside, Vinny brought in to the front of Sentinel's side.
This is some really unique play. Definitely a bunch of different stuff. The Glortrox goes out, pulls him in. The Strangling Prison on the back line. Vinny able to find two, and it's both strategists. Huge play. Can they get a third? The BRB able to find Oasis. Delena takes out Crimzo. Oasis onto Delena. Self now finds Dongmin. How many trades can we get here, folks? 100 Thieves, almost 40%, trying to get some answers back. Sentinels just needs to build up a huge ultimate party here to make something happen.
Yeah, unfortunate for Sentinels that the Glortrox brought in the Groot to connect with that Strangling Prison. And for sure, you know, Glartrox is maybe not known for being vegetarian or vegan, I guess, in that fight. So, you know, great work from 100 Thieves. They have to keep it up, though, right? Copy available. See if they use it again on Adam Warlock or the Mantis to go aggressive. Amazing over to the Moon Knight. Flamme has to get past this choke point, does so. But now they're trying to kind of get counter-comped a little bit on the side of Sentinels. Control this high ground, though. Set up the Moon Knight again with that ultimate. Maybe force them into a rough spot with that res. Where you connect onto everybody with the hand of Khonshu.
Beautiful Marvel Rivals here, just switching up to try to find counters to the different teams, and it's happening on both sides. It's working here as 100 Thieves have already gained a ton of this percentage back. We see Amazing just dealing a ton of damage, climbing up on that alt charge, 80%, and climbing. Crimzo with a commitment goes very low, still able to hold on even through the Rampage, but forces out the alt to stay healthy in that moment. There is that final judgment. Delena able to take out Oasis. It's huge. Goodbye to the invisible boundary. Dogman goes down. Flamme able to bring Oasis back, but it doesn't matter. Delena with a quadra, trying to make it a penta. Come on now, Delena. Is that enough to end this? What a return.
Yeah, this portal's gonna be too late. Surely 2%, 1%. Crimzo. He did have somebody touch though. From the right side, it was Oasis who was invisible, so we didn't see him for a second.
Wow.
They come out now. Huge save, but they have no straddles. They need Flamme's ult in the last second, and they use Amazing's hand of Khonshu to get out this choke point early.
Buys them the space that they need to hold on. There's the commitment now, using the thighs out with the cries out as nobody gets seduced from the Sonic Seduction there. Soulbond instead gets forced, and here's that res early on to get the team back in the fight.
Brings Delena back into it. Brutal committed from Vinny, but unfortunately Delena was being brought back by the res, so he's not going to be there. Then he brought back into the fight as well from those reses. But oh, okay, wait, hold on. It was Self that went down late. Does have his own self-res, so they're all still here. No ults available just yet. Sentinels, though, with Usher. Could be big. With the ult in the moment, has to go with this Glartrox to find multiple people. Green's out as well, so you can find the KOs. Diamond's used, but TTK finds Crimzo into that melee fight. Goes aggressive into the cockpit to try to find him. No! The Glartrox! But it comes back into the fight. Not deleted, not just yet. Actually gets 3! So they're stunned up on the inside. Hand of Khonshu's up in a moment. Catches on to Vinny, but no, he goes down! Self on the flank after coming out of that Glartrox. Gets Amazing, and they're actually going to clean it up probably towards this point with this Soul Bond to keep everybody held in the shotgun from Delena.
This is insane! The C is out now, too. Sonic Seduction once again from TTK to Lena onto Usher. It's a matter of time here. 100 Thieves have found the return solution, and they take map 1. What a battle here from two storied teams.
Jesus. Why, dude, 100 Thieves are just like heart attack team incarnate, man. like they're just playing a different breed of Marvel Rivals at this juncture in their sort of team's history. I don't know. Like, well, it's very unique, and I think both these teams are kind of a similar team where they don't like to play those sort of divey comps like Swamp Gaming and stuff. They like to play, I mean, maybe unless you have Self playing a lot of that Daredevil, but he's going over to Adam Warlock. Like, at first it felt kind of strange, right, Shib? But it ended up working out for 100 Thieves. The Sentinels were forced onto a kind of awkward composition as, I don't know, traditionally, I don't know about you, but it just feels like this triple comp wasn't necessarily like a hard counter to what Sentinels were doing, but it ended up panning in their favor.
Yeah, I think it was just more of a surprise factor. I don't know what has been seen in scrims, but running the Loki copy into the Karmic Revival is kind of something that we've seen in the past, but not much in this new season, as we see Winnie on the Storm for the damage boost right now. Oh, wow, there's the switch. Yeah, I was going to say, like they just get out the door there.
No, but look, Rise on is Iron Man.
Wait a minute.
Okay. All right, let's see if it works, Jim. I mean, like, there's a chance, right? If you play this corner, you play these walls in the height. You know, this is like Sentinel's thing. They play the friggin' Penny Parker first. Now they're going over to Iron Man's second round on a map where it's a little bit more open. But because they're running the Punisher, I don't know. We'll see if they just get kind of walked on first. They have the Punisher ult alongside this Mantis, which last time they went aggressive and found everybody with Delena.
You can see Rai just using these structures. The natural cover gets deleted instantly, though, as Delena finds one, trying to make the second come through. Rez is out, though, and that is kind of a decent situation here for Sentinels, only losing one with a BRB instantly. After that combined ultimate there, Millennia was forced out with a Soul Resurgence as well. So now it's all about, can Vinny land the Strangling Prison? This could be big, trying to get rid of that Buddy barrier, and there it is. The ultimate goes out. It doesn't seem to land, though. Just out of range there from the front line, and can they get a pick still? They do. Millennia finds one. Goodbye to Crimzo on the Dino, and they're still taking the space, walking it back. Dongman drops to Lena. 30% here for 100 Thieves and going up, but the invisible boundary from Oasis could be enough for them to retake. The Glartrox gets committed, able to find Vinny. Now as Dongman cleans that up, Amazing in the sky set with the Iron Man. As Dongman gets a second, Amazing finds Self, but the res is out for Winnie.
We got the Iron Man ult together. You have to break all these shields. I think Vinny as well trying to avoid that Devil Dino shield. That's why he went for it on the left side. It looked a little awkward. Goes into the sky. Shields removed. Green's out. So many invulns to have to chunk through. Winnie as well gets that soul bond. Barely lives, but it took everything to find Winnie. And again, Self with the res, so it doesn't matter, right? These people just coming back again. This is like the old seasons when we saw infinite res combos with the Mantis team up. Yeah, everybody's getting beamed down by Iron Man. It feels like Infinity War, but really in this fight, because there's an infinity amount of freaking 100 Thieves against Sentinels as they get cleaned up by the beam from the heavens. Rye with 3 in the KO feed. They finally claim the point.
You know what? Meta Schmeta. It's whatever now. Amazing with the 3-piece here off the res, which honestly, I thought the res was going to be fight winning on the return. Instead, it's just going to buy even more time with the point from the side of Sentinels trying to get back that percentage. 24% now. Dongmin holding on to ultimate. For this next fight, TTK can answer it. It's both going to be that Sonic Seduction. It's all about who gets a little bit more value here. Delena very close to that final judgment once again. And I am loving the change in compositions from these teams and finding success with them.
I mean, Dongmin switched to the Emma. He has ult available too. They've been able to disengage ults this time. Pause comes out, so referee decides to take, a little bit of a break, maybe a breather for everybody as we kind of come back to it in a moment. I imagine the online stuff, but you could see Sentinels are setting up for this counter engage. They want to run away from the side of Delena. Obviously, they have the BRB available, but that's going to only bring back Crimzo. So we'll see how many people they lose. Last time they lost 1. This is a hard point to disengage on. So it's really a matter of, can they slow him down enough? Is Dongmin going to get caught out in his ult from Delena, who's been crazy good every time with his damage boost? Again, it just seems like it's a hard pocket your hit scan playership this meta.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely on the table, but again, I'm looking at the meta and I'm like, I don't even know what it is anymore, because I like how it's been so different. The Rocket play today's been huge. The double Atom is now back on the table, which I don't think I would have put on my bingo card by any means. And it was cool to see against the Dino matchup, where essentially it's very difficult to go against the Penny Dino, where you're pulling them consistently into mines, whoever's in the front line. It doesn't matter who, and you just delete from there. But then there's just a res, and then, you do it again, and then there's another res, and it's like, what do we do with this anymore? Force them off the Penny, and now we're playing crazy stuff where we get to see Iron Man and now Punisher as the focal point. Dude, this is exactly what I'm trying to see, and this is great Marvel Rivals right here.
Yeah, this is the game has really evolved, I think, from the early days, and it just feels like there's so many things you have to worry about as a pro player, and you can see that. Like, there's so many shields involved. First of all, like, you have Invisible Woman Invisible Woman shield. You have Devil Dino shield. You have Emma Frost with her own shield. And there's even more. The Groot walls were involved in that previous fight too, and also you have people that can remove CC if you're Emma in the diamond form, right? So there's so many things that kind of you have to keep track of, and then with the cooldowns being some of them as short as they are, you have to like find that tiny window to throw in your ultimate or do whatever, because some of the abilities, especially with overhealth and what it's up to now, it could be hard to find a window like we saw. I bet that Vinny Groot ult is probably going to get clipped, but I don't even know. Like, there's so many situations where he's not going to get a good Groot ult because it's going to get blocked by Devil Dinos. We re-enter the game in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because honestly, the positioning wasn't horrendous for the back line, but it was just that the map shift was like an upstairs situation, so it didn't collide with the back line just due to the LOS. And we see commitment now as we're back in. Dongmin starts off immediately with a Sonic Seduction. TTK doing the same thing. Who gets them walking first? Who's seduced? It looks like nobody. As we see Delena, though, finds the first pick onto Dongmin. Amazing doing Amazing things. Almost escapes, but Delena cleans that up. Flame bringing back Dongmin for the fight. Sentinels are going to lose point here. 100 Thieves gaining 70% now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a good, excellent call by 100 Thieves to not really overcommit in the previous fight, just using TTK and Delena and a shotgun, able to find multiple with it. So excellent job with the Punisher so far. Sentinels in this upcoming fight have to still deal with Delena and his ult. And Yushir, again, like, there's not going to be anything to help deal with Delena, who has that 300 HP, and it's going to be hard to burn down, especially with the character, in terms of Yushir, who can connect onto people, and this character's a bit better in sort of that counter dive comp. There's going to be so much you have to worry about for 100 Thieves' side as they have to use these cooldowns to even break into this point, as Oasis used the ult early. Hides it, Amazing. Okay, that's a sick play. They sneak in that ultimate from Amazing into Delena's face.
Yeah, that was dirty. Even with so much pocket, there's not much you can do if you don't have crystals into this right here. Amazing trying to find even more. Crimzo finds one now on the group. Amazing with a second onto Self. Witty gonna res back Millennia and use another one of these Karmic Revivals. Dongmin gonna find a 2-piece. Sentinels have not given up yet. 99 here for 100 Thieves, but the point will switch here. 50% on and climbing for Sentinels, who do have ults, Millennia and Self, to answer. But now it's all about, can you shut them one down before that res comes through? Or will it come back into fruition and push them into a first 2 map win situation?
What's what we talked about, Chip? I mean, it's these surprise plays, you know, camouflaging your amazing Iron Man ult into that invisible boundary. Delena was surprised, could have played around his greens, his Loki crystals, but didn't. Now the upcoming fight, though, 100 Thieves, they can go aggressive with the Mantis ult, but they have to deal with Crimzo with the Strangling Prison. Last time Vinny missed his, can Crimzo connect onto a massive one? In this case, it is.
It is huge on the back of the Sia. Everybody goes down now. Oh my goodness. There will be no res yet. They're trying to track down the Atom. And there it is. They've got eyes on. Not allowed to happen. That's going to force them into the next map, I believe. I don't know. The portal's coming. Can Vinny get there? Usually 10% is enough. It was roughly 9. The walls go up from Crimson to try to slow the pace. Is it going to land? It does not. 1-1, folks. We're going to map 3.
Oh, wait, that was a great call out too by U-Shape towards the very end. Yeah, if you notice towards that you said, you know, they used the Groot walls to block off that portal that's coming back. Like, obviously, he's trying to get fastest to point with the portal, and you can't see it. So it's like a bit of a guessing game. But he throws down those Groot walls towards the main side as that portal gets stuck. So great job from you to notice that too. But there's been a lot of unique things happening so far in this map and in this series. And, you know, I guess these two squads are probably the, you know, Team A and Team B that you would talk about doing this sort of wacky nonsense, and people wanted them to be doing it for weeks now, Shib, but finally they're giving the fans what we want, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm having a blast with this. I love this change in composition, the stuff that we're seeing here, right? So you notice there from the side of Crimzo, he saw those crystals get committed from Winnie. As soon as you see those greens, you know you can land that Strangling Prison. Throws it on the left side away from shields in a position that'd be kind of weird to throw a shield up, and it collides with everyone on the back of that Sia. Goodbye to the side of 100 Thieves who committed every ult. Right now, again, Sentinels are up. Can Ryamazing make this work?
Yeah, we'll see if it can. I mean, you can block it on Vinny to go for that deflect, but for 100 Thieves, going for that full dive setup, instead of running that, you know, Black Cat that's available, Delena going for that Psylocke play alongside the Daredevil. So they're doing something a bit more traditional, as well as having that Luna Snow that people talked about being super good. Everybody's kind of playing back towards the middle, playing towards the inside, trying to build up Oasis's ult, trying to play counter dive. So 100 Thieves want to surround, but they need that clean dive setup onto somebody. Otherwise, they're going to go down in the middle of it to Yusher, who's been nasty so far as Delena just tries to shoot tanks.
You know what? The clutch came through from Delena last time on Psylocke. Why not again here, folks? Delena going to be on that Psylocke, holding on. Dance to the butterfly in any moment. There's that Psionic Seduction from Dongmin. So many ults available here from Sen. They need to win this early. Ryamazing able to find Self through that chaos right there. Self, excuse me. So we see Vinny now on the off angle, trying to pressure that back line. I'm not sure that it's going to be some full commitment yet. It's heavily down in numbers. Ryamazing finds another pick here. Oh my goodness, this Iron Man. Delena with 2 now. Winnie going to rest TTK. Come on, Delena. Finds 3 and tries to turn this back in their favor. And now 100 Thieves almost recap the point.
Is still in control of the Sentinels, though. They commit that invisible boundary last second to keep their Vanguards here and aggressive, but eventually get deleted by that. See you later. Everybody gets removed. Excellent work from Delena and 100 Thieves as they reclaim that point. Also forced out that invisible boundary that could set up Ryamazing. So in the middle of the fight, Ry could not connect onto his E cooldown to commit that overhealth, and he gets taken out by Delena with that bonus damage. Now they get to set up dives yet again. Sentinels have Ryamazing swap over to that triple comp with him back on White Fox.
Yeah, you know, you're going to lose that ult there, right? It goes to 50%, folks, and that's why switching with ult is a little tricky, but, you know, it's just a tough map to run Iron Man into this composition, especially with Delena trying to consistently keep eyes on you, and it found success. Flamay going to start up here with the Sia. Is that going to be enough? As Dongmin is back on the Penny now into the Dino comp, trying to do what they did early on in map 1. There's that Sia. Can they get value through? Crimzo able to find Self. The Sia still totally fine. Great positioning there by Flame. Wow, as Yusher takes Vinny off map with the Glartrox, sends one up, but Vinny's right back in the fight, and now he pays for it as Millennia off maps after taking out Yusher and resets with the team.
Oh my god, that was a lot of ults committed by Sentinels, and it almost felt like the Glartrox ruined it slightly. Like the Glartrox just went over those bumps like a motorcycle in a motocross event, like just bouncing. Eventually takes a couple people into lava, but they get those daggers. Root ultimate not available for either side because of the previous one. Now they want to go aggressive again with this White Fox diving onto Vinny. Nice job to make to the tempo. They find him on the early rotation from 100 Thieves side. So excellent job. 100 Thieves now over to that Ultron comp off of that full dive setup because of the Penny Parker that we talk about maybe in those lower ranks. But this time, Sentinels, the slow Groot and Penny Parker duo is something that I think we didn't expect today, but it's been beautiful so far.
I'm loving it. I'm sure the Penny mains are too here. As Dongmin now is holding the high side. This team is doing a great job just bunkering. This is the definition of a bunker comp, folks. Every angle they're starting to initiate from, they immediately switch and reset as a unit. Dongmin sets up and just waits and protects this spawner with his life. TTK can't even get out that door until that thing's broken, or is at least terrified to take the damage. There's the commitment they had to launch. Out with the Rage of Ultron from Self. Delena gonna start up here with the final judgment, walking them through the point. They take that thing quickly as Sen tries to kite from the double combination here from Self and Delena. It looks like no one goes down, so really good kite. It's totally fine to lose the point there.
Whoa, good disengage. They find the BRB, though. Delena reads it, zip lines up like 007 to find it. Usher does find Vinny on the main side, so really good job to come back into it. He does have that drone on him, though, so he should be able to take the 1v1 without going down just yet, right? Though gets the pocket, though, from the Rocket Raccoon. Millennia not able to save Delena on that flank either, and with him removed, they don't have a lot of that damage. Although TTK does find Dongmin off the map, does get that grab, also brings in the Groot, but he lives, has that little edge to dive upon. Vinny trades back one, though, so again, that Penny Parker goes away as TTK zones out the Groot. He goes down on the opposite side of Flamay with that Rocket Raccoon.
How are you still on the map there, Crimzo? But everybody else falls as Vinny, Delena, and Millennia are able to find the picks necessary. The portal gets committed here from Sen, and that is going to be a tough retake. They got to get here with 10%. The setup's going to be available from Vinny. This might be a win here from 100 Thieves. Can they keep this pressure? No ults available. It's all about neutral and touch. Can they touch, though, folks? The walls are up. 99%. The touch comes through. What a grab there. Winnie able to find Rymazing, who reses back into the fight. Rymazing back on the Iron Man, retaking position. Now the tackle comes through. The Carbon Crush finds some value as Usher now takes out Delena, and Sentinel say it's not over yet. The off map comes through. TTK pays for it from Crimzo, and it's matched again. Come on now. Crimzo trying to find Vinny, and now Sentinels look like they'll take this point. Oh my god.
I'm actually just like dying at that last one. How did he not use the jump in time? I think it was available for the side of TTK, but you know, I guess
think he grabbed somebody before. I think he grabbed somebody right before, so it was a follow-up after the fact.
Jesus, Dino on Dino crime. 90% of the board, though. Sentinels, I mean, holding on last second. Portal now comes out from 100 Thieves early. They'll have to come out in a moment with Delena, who could be the hero. Everybody needs to hard pocket him, though. Make sure they don't use these cooldowns too early because Ryze sitting above and could end them all. TTK falls.
This could be huge. This all commitment could be massive. Crystals are gone. Gonna try to find a window to use this, breaking the rest of the crystals so they can't hide. Here it comes, likely in a moment. Laser instead. Usher gonna find two. Ryan takes out Self, and Sentinels take this map and take home game one.
Jesus, that was only game one. Sentinels win on Dom, and in reverse sweeping fashion as well. I mean, Frozen Airfield, I think, was close. We started it off with the Penny Parker stuff, but those counter switches, those counter comps that you talked about, Chib, were the end of 100 Thieves, just being on the worst side of it at the very end. Usher as well made that Punisher swap, was a bit of a shadow swap because there were so many happening throughout that matchup that resulted in Sentinels winning map number one. 100 Thieves, though, you know, are now down the first map. We'll see if they can come back, pick a map type to come against Sentinels on in map number two after this short break.
Welcome back. Sentinels win our first map of the series, but what a map this was. About as close as it gets, you know, in classic 100 Thieves fashion. They make you think they win and then they don't, and everything gets into like, it's 100 tachycardias at this point. Like, it's not fun to be a 100 Thieves fan. It's definitely fun to be a Sentinels fan right now, because were the comps whack? Yeah. Will we see more of that from other teams? Probably not. Was this super entertaining? Absolutely. I loved what we saw from Sentinels. It was the counter switches, counter comping that really threw everyone on this server for a loop. Will they get away with more of that though?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if the comps are good, to be honest, but I love them. I don't know that they're good, but I'm having a blast watching them. The double Adam Rez bringing us back a few seasons here to what we saw in the meta. It's been great to see, but then they switched off that. We saw Psylocke, we saw Punisher, we saw Iron Man. I mean, it's just been kind of all over the place. But we look at this MVP, 55 and 9, 40k damage, and a lot of that from the Iron Man with those finals. That is just awesome to look at on the screen, dog.
Yeah, I mean, Rye on the Iron Man, literally every friggin' tweet or X he posts just is with an Iron Man gif. So this dude at all times is trying to be the reincarnation of Tony Stark himself in a bit of a different way. Like, I feel like Rye, you know, so far was getting a lot of flack, I think, from the community. Even me, like, I feel like the flexibility hasn't been there.
Iron Man, or
but
at least
in this series, in this map, and when he's playing his comfort picks, I guess you can see the maximum capacity of Sentinels when they're able to play, you know, Penny Parker Iron Man stuff.
Sure, here we can look at the stats here, following up on what Dog was saying. You just look across the board, folks. 19 finals from Delena. There was a lot of pocket. They were running that team up there to get the extra damage boost for Delena on those crystals when they had the Mantis in play. Then obviously the switch over to Rocket. So just a ton of commitment there, a ton of damage as well. 44k, most in the lobby. But then Yusher and Rye both in the mid and low 40s is already a decent enough answer to show just the amount of damage that was output right back at them, which is too much to handle as I headed into map 3.
Yeah, I think for Sentinel's side, like, if they want to keep this up, you know, obviously we have to keep countering 100 Thieves dive setup. But, you know, I'm just curious if this Iron Man stuff is going to be still good. You know, obviously on the next map once we see what that is. But, like, it's always going to be a banger between 100 Thieves and Sentinels. I think you said it's something about the cardiovascular system for 100 Thieves, because every map they've had has just been a freaking close one, it feels like.
It's a tachycardias.
Tachycardias?
Yes.
Could we call them 100 heart attacks then? Is that a
exactly?
Is that a valid...
Yeah, let's go with that. The sweat mergence, as we know them as. Yeah, no, I mean, I hope the series just continues in this very fashion. You know, like seeing some pretty out there comps. Also, I loved seeing both of these teams also leaning towards that Rocket Raccoon in their compositions, which again, that's something we haven't really seen last week anything of. So this is the week, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like they're stepping up, right? It seems like Rocket's kind of coming back into the fold. Again, I think these teams are, you know, the question is which team are learning the meta more, you know, faster. But some teams are kind of picking it up as they go, or they're just not as comfortable running it. And when they go down, they feel like they need to run it, right? It's why win rates can be tricky on different heroes, even if you're not comfortable. And sometimes you're forced to switch to that hero. It kind of can mess with win rates. But you look over on map 2, 100 Thieves are looking at the Museum of Contemplation as the next one we go to.
I feel like for like 100 Thieves side, in terms of like what they've been doing, you know, it was working towards the end too. Like, they had their moments. At least they can't get off mapped by Devil Dino on Museum of Contemplation.
Let's see if 100 Thieves can tie up this series on their map pick, or if Sentinels is going to run away with it or fly away with it if you're Iron Man. Now let's get the show going. Dogmanship, please take it away.
All right, buddy. This is one of those maps that a lot of the brawl stuff, the ammo could come into play. I don't know that we necessarily will see too much change in the ban phase, because I think both teams found success. It's just more so, you know, who could have clutched up at the end. It was really anyone's game on domination there. But I'm looking forward to seeing, as we shift over towards Convoy, who's going to be running this.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think we'll probably be seeing a little bit more of it. The Gambit stuff's going to come through as we kind of enter the ban phase after the first couple bans and a Protect. It does feel like the Gambit's been a must ban for both sides. But yeah, I mean, you guys are talking about the Rocket Raccoon stuff. The metas are always changing, you know, especially after a new patch, and the pros always have to adapt. You guys in the player base that are watching, trying to get the Twitch drops right now today, also kind of have to deal with it, right? Like, things change very fast after a new patch comes out, even after a few like tiny damage buffs to Rocket Raccoon, Phoenix, and Bucky. That can really throw the meta through a loop.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. You know, I don't know what we're gonna see right now. I think we could see the Penny again if Dino gets through. This is a totally fine Penny map for defense around that first corner. There's there's some angles to make plays. What's that?
I said you want the Penny to happen. We're gonna get the Penny Parker gonna maybe come through again, huh?
Well, it's just more so like you got to try to find. There's a lot of different solutions with Dino if you're in that kind of front to back battle stuff. Like Groot's not a bad answer. Walling off backline if they don't have a ton of damage, or if they're running dive or more poke focus, you can just wall off Dino, and there's really not a lot of wall breaks, so he has to force to use his jump to escape and forcing out his barrier early. Then there's the Emmas where you just double tackle. Dino grabs and then you Emma grab after the fact as another successful duo. And then last but not least, you got the Penny, I guess, which after seeing the battle looks like it's also incredibly strong, and I think it'd be really good on defense, maybe not as strong on offense.
Okay, I like it. And, you know, on this map, I feel like Museum's always been a bit more of a dive-centric sort of map, so we'll kind of see how the ban phase kind of comes through, but it does feel like this patch, at least, Chib, is slowed down a little bit with Devil Dino, right? Like, I feel like those cooldowns are so strong, and we enter the ban phase now with both Gambits getting removed.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. The lock into Dino here, we're going to see a ban out, and then it's going to be the same story where I do think it'll be Dino, whether it's the Phoenix now, I'm not quite sure, maybe. Yeah, that's what I would have guessed. And then we're going to see the Dino match back. I don't think the ban phase compared to last match is going to change like at all.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. It did feel like the ban phase was totally fine. And you know, this mixes it up a little bit, right? Because I feel like these teams are focusing more on the strat line, or sorry, on the duelist line. Previous matches, we saw a little bit more of the strat line. The Mantis, I think, wasn't focused on for the other teams, but we know Sentinels likes to run it, so kind of makes sense, I guess, to focus it for Sentinel's side. But I don't know. What's your take on like the Luna bans that we saw in the last series? I think that was happening a little bit more alongside maybe even those Rocket bans. It seems like teams are allowing these sort of comfort picks to come through. Besides, I guess Black Cat now is banned for Sentinel.
Yeah, and then the Rocket save. I think this is they're kind of studying what we saw from game one, and then, you know, this might have been something they've been running in scrims for a while. I'm not saying they didn't have this in their bag, but yeah, I think the Luna ban has been really strong early on. But I think maybe that we might see that shift in placement from Luna to Rocket, enabling Luna more. But Luna struggles more into the dive stuff, or Rocket doesn't struggle into that as much, has a ton of escapability. So that maybe we'll see that shift in place. Like, you talked about how it was seen a ton in week one. I'm with you. Yeah, you're right. We haven't really seen it much today. As we see the cleanup here, Star-Lord in place is going to be the main focus there for Thieves for sure. Yeah,
I mean, they know that Sentinels want to get rid of it. You want to play it on your own side, I suppose, instead of playing the Punisher stuff. It's a bit more flexible. But then we had to switch up to Elsa and stuff. I don't think 100 Thieves wanted to do that. They were more opting towards the Punisher stuff. We get that one-sided Rocket, though, because it's not protected on the side of 100 Thieves. So, I don't know. I mean, one-sided Star-Lord versus one-sided Rocket. I guess which one is kind of going to be more impactful? Because it does feel like there's a bunch of, I guess, good alternatives for the strat line still, right?
Yeah, there's definitely good alternatives. It's just more so you also lost the combination there. I think when you have the Star-Lord Rocket, it's really good. The Punisher Rocket's also really good. You know, we heard from Forky actually on that interview. The idea is you wait till you hear a straddle, and then you combine with Rocket with whatever combination it is going to be between those two, and you burn right through it, and you get a 2-for-1, you get a KO, and you move forward and try to force out more as we head into our second matchup, between these two teams. That first one was a doozy.
Okay, so you're liking that sort of get the Rocket Raccoon. We're fine with the duelist ban so far, and I think I'm a little bit with you too. I mean, it seemed good so far. Swamp Gaming, obviously, they got that in the previous or on the second map when we went to Convergence. This map obviously a little bit different, but Chip, looks like we're gonna get your wish. We're gonna see another Penny Parker play out of Dongmin. One of the only pros to really want to do it that often. I think he was getting criticism after one of his matches. People were like, "Why is he going live immediately after his match, streaming only Penny Parker gameplay?" Well, I guess we have our answer.
Dongmin making it work here. And I do think in this meta, it's, you know, this is the time where Penny does take a step forward, and maybe a lot of us, including myself, kind of didn't really see until we start right now and get eyes on some of the pro play. That's why pro play is so fun to watch. Self going to be on that Punisher. Punisher being a mainstay right now because, you know, similar counters to things like Groot and Dino is just raw damage. So if you're able to get that raw damage, it works out. You see the push forward. They go right through mines. No major worry just yet. This might be, if it's not successful early on in this corner from the Penny, we might see the removal of the Penny and try to switch outside of that, but we'll see what that looks like in a moment.
I mean, Crimzo just leaps on out of there. T-Rex, big legs, tiny hands, unfortunately for him, but Dongmin is trying to live. You know, meanwhile, they have to give up so much space, so much ult charge. Yusher went down early to Vinny, too much damage coming out with the damage boost from the Mantis of the Millennia. And because they're running the 2-2-2 stop comp front to back style, it's actually been able to give them a ton of space in terms of that damage output from this group.
Yeah, good movement here. Vinny does have that prison available. Doesn't use it just yet. Tries to get the Ironwood down. It's a massive ultimate here. Can they clean up? No, they cannot. Goodbye, Vinny. As Yusher cleans that up off the back of the Sia combination. Immediately gets deleted. Flamme with a nice Sia to keep the team healthy there. TTK going to walk forward quickly with the Psionic Seduction. Through the wall, great movement. TTK is not going to be able to find much here. Self now tries to clean up off the back of that combination, and neither of which are going to find much. And I might have spoke too soon. No, I did not. That's 2 for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, this is excellent movement. I think we would have seen a bit more aggressive play if that was Delena with the ult. Yusher on the opposite side, lived with 1 HP. Dongmin, the mobility of Penny Parker definitely has actually been very underrated. Now we come back through. Oh my goodness, they deleted Yusher in the middle of his ult. Millennia with the Mantis able to come back as well, as they don't have any other straddles. Unfortunately, Rai doesn't have his just yet, and Self and the rest of 100 Thieves off of Millennia's ult, able to find those KOs towards that cart and get it moving into the second phase of the map. That was a bit of a stagger towards the very end, but 100 Thieves, again, they get into the second phase with this composition. Now they get to move it forward with 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Sentinels, at least, are coming up with that White Fox ultimate to help peel off Delena on this Star-Lord. But, you know, these neutrals have been tough versus the Mantis that you mentioned earlier, and we've talked about it. Sentinels like to play the Mantis comps. 100 Thieves look to take advantage of their own.
Yeah, I think we're still kind of working through that answer. The question you mentioned before, is the Rocket or is the Star-Lord more worth it? I think Star-Lord is proving to be very strong still, as we will see soon. A Galactic Legend. Rai Mazing finds Vinny, though, and that's going to put Sentinels up on the defense for the moment. They got pushed through pretty quickly there with 4 minutes still on the clock.
Well, that was a big force physics from Oasis that pulled in Millennia. He went a little bit too far and, you know, a bit aggressive in that last fight. Sometimes being a bloodthirsty strategist can bite you in the butt in that last fight, though. 100 Thieves. You know, they do have ultimates available. Rai, also sitting with the White Fox Soul, can counter a lot of them. But again, 100 Thieves totally fine playing it slow. Again, waiting, like you said, for those straddles. This time it's Oasis to find Vinny early on with that see you later, though.
Yeah, like, it's difficult to run Fox into a poke comp this heavy because those ults, like, you know, the Final Judgment and the Galactic Legend in the sky are really difficult to sustain through when you're on Fox, because you can't deal a lot of that damage to heal yourself. So we'll see if that is enough of an answer, but it might just be more of an aggressive ultimate. There it is, Rai Mazing going to start off early to try to counter Delena, and that's going to be the solution. Now the team's just going to dance together, forcing out a few ultimates. Flamme able to escape in that moment in a crucial dash to get inside of that boundary before the end, and they found their answer. Self now going to start off with the Final Judgment, walking the team down indoors. Crystals get committed now from the side of 100 Thieves, as Self takes out Oasis and Dongmin and wants to find more, as Dongmin is no longer on that penny.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, they're waiting out these straddles for, you know, Rai Mazing gets the lead in the White Fox. Oasis uses the invisible boundary, but after those, it's pretty much over for them. And, you know, we've seen other teams, I think, run this like Loki sort of combo with the Rocket this time. Rai showing Iron Man for a second, going back over to the White Fox. And again, 100 Thieves, they have now their Vanguard ultimates. We can go aggressive with Vinny too, who is now on to his own Devil Dino, though gets his ult canceled by a CC on the opposite side, as we come in with a Psionic Seduction from Dongmin just to create a little bit of space.
Psionic goes out again. Rai Mazing, Yusher, Crimzo all get a piece of the pie here. Sentinels coming back with a vengeance. CTK gonna have to escape, but it won't last long, as it's dropping very low in pace for it. Oasis cleans that up. Now a reset attack, but still, again, 2 minutes on the clock. It's only been half since the last check-in.
It's been hard front to back so far. You know, we do have that Rocket ult in this fight. We'll see if 100 Thieves, again, want to wait it out early, delete it, and then come back in with the Mantis ult. They do have that Loki still, and Self onto that Ultron. So, again, playing hard around Delena in this upcoming fight. Punisher ultimate available for Yusher. Pops out with the see you later. Can they find the KOs early? Green's out. Does keep this front line healthy. And can't find the KOs. Mantis ult not enough to keep him alive, though. The shotgun comes out, and Self with the laser beam from across the map takes out Yusher.
Yeah, and we're still trying to discover, like, I mean, now they're both on, you know, you see there the Emma, right? As we see Crimzo finds Winnie, makes it a two-piece. Goodbye to Lena. Rai Mazing taking out Millennia. It's a clean sweep there, not committing too much. Just going to be some follow-up from Crimzo and Yusher. They're still building Oasis and Rai Mazing. But again, yeah, off the penny now onto the Emma. The question still remains, who's the best combo? It seems to be just comp-dependent, map-dependent, and specific location-dependent, as we can already see some shift Self going to be on that Ultron.
They want to walk it up now. We do have Vinny. You can go aggressive with the Zolt, get that bleed onto everybody too. We just saw Crimzo do it in the previous fight. It was a huge advantage for them. Pops the Dino on the opposite side. Delena comes through with the follow-up. Everybody avoids it though. Nice job disengaging it. Bit of a bait on their side. Oasis now pops a late invisible boundary, keeps Crimzo healthy last second, so they're all still in the fight at the moment, but you got that copy in a moment from Winnie. Self wants to pop out the Ultron in the sky with the damage boost on them, but can they find the KOs onto Yusher? He gets that support from Amazing. The BRB on the left side, they have to get rid of it. Gets moved last second. Nice job to keep that cooldown up from Flameng.
Yeah, really smart play there. There's that commitment now. It's just a full rush after the back of forcing out cooldowns. Can they get a pick here? Delena walking forward, using that shoddy right to the dome of the Dino, but is not 2 times multiplier, only 1.5 in a dome that big, much like Jet. There's the pick, though. Yusher falls down first. Delena able to start them up a number. Here goes the commitment now from Flamey, who's walking them forward with the Sia. TTK trying to find a few with the Sonic Seduction. Gets 3 walking, but off the back of there is no picks just yet. Crystal gets popped, 25% of that HP removed. Goodbye, Millennia. Vinny find 2. Yusher trades 1. Delena under Amazing. It looks like this will now be a good attack, but Yusher gets another pick here. Self still holding. Oasis trying to maintain presence on point, but no, the cap comes through. I do believe, yes, that will be point 2 for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, there's a few things in that fight that kind of happened that resulted in Sentinels losing. Obviously, it was a really good engagement by 100 Thieves, but tough fallback spot for Sentinels. Obviously, that right side peak angle ended up panning out for Delena over Yusher, who had to come from that left side angle. Usually see these defenses on second phase kind of take those respawns and then force back to that right side for that advantage on those right side angles for your Punisher player. But obviously, you can't get that if you're the side of Yusher, who's peeking right to left. But then again, 100 Thieves take advantage of that upcoming fight, which was overtime. And now last second, and Delena has the ult available. Also gets that damage boost, but Green's out early from Winnie. No shot ults to help follow this up, but Sentinels, again on the Moon Knight, can play front-to-back style. May have mixed up this team a little bit early ult from Oasis.
Yeah, we can see there's the commitment this time from Yusher. What a pick there. Finds 2, actually. Goodbye, Millennia and Delena. Their idea is to hold this point really early, buy them more time, give them a better chance at pushing through, as point 3 is very difficult to attack the entire way. Dropping back now as a unit, not committing much there. Oasis and Yusher, as they still hold on to 3. Flamey going to be close behind for the 4th. You see Vinny, TTK, Delena, Self, Winnie, and Millennia all should have ults in this fight. Oh, Amazing! Says Judge what? Goodbye, Delena, as Yusher gets a second pick.
Oh no, 2 telegraph from Delena. Excellent read by Amazing. Brings him in, removes that Punisher, and yeah, I mean, Jesus, good fight for them. Sentinels do use a lot, though, committing that Dino in the previous fight. 3 seconds, somebody has to touch last second. It's going to be TTK, so he'll be gone out of the fight. Actually, Winnie goes to the copy onto that Cloak and Dagger, so Millennia switches over to Cloak, now back over to Luna, so Winnie can get that Cloak and Dagger ultimate so they can touch last second, but Flamey does have the See You Later. Throws it out there. Do they have the damage follow-up? They do so far into 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2-piece there. 100 Thieves are dropping like flies right now. So we see the commitment on the hold. Right now, Yusher is going to find another pick. Oasis cleans up on Self. The touch comes through. This is not going to last long, yeah, as the hold is finally there for Sentinels. But, folks, 2 points pushed is a ton of space. A lot of teams being held before point 2 on this map. Will the defensive side of 100 Thieves be able to work out?
Yeah, I mean, the cardiac thieves are back. I mean, these guys just are still in the hearts of their own fans and others at the same time, and then smashing them into pieces at different occasions, right? So 100 Thieves, I mean, in their case, they need to keep this together because, like, towards the very end, they did a good job forcing Sentinels towards that side, but I was kind of wondering this Invisible Woman pick, and I want to see your take on it, Shib, because it feels like it's a bit of a difference in terms of how it's played, but it's been so impactful. Oasis, every Invisible Boundary seems to have a huge purpose on turning most of these fights, kind of seem to be a little bit ahead, at least in some department of the meta.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because I do think Invis has just been incredibly strong. The kit design for Invis just has so much protection potential, off-angle potential, using those shields. Obviously, the Invisible Boundary is a massive ultimate. But yeah, I mean, it's since kind of fallen to the wayside in terms of the ban phase, just because there's so much more threats right now. And I would argue Oasis, at least so far, out of a lot of these strategists, is getting the most value out of Invis that I've seen yet over these past few days that I've cast. I think, you know, we might see more of that in the future. There's some answers that have come into play, as Dino is another answer to Invis if you're not playing incredibly smart, because if you apply that bleed, it's very difficult to go Invis, then you track down on the chase and you chomp out of the ultimate and you commit together. But if you're discussing on Invis, you see that coming, you try to protect against it, you play outside of your ultimate, and I think that's what we're seeing here from Oasis, who's also playing aggro with that offensive side. So you know what, man, it's really kind of just some strong play right now from Oasis, which I think we needed to see.
Yeah, excellent points. I think that he's been nasty with the Dongman, by the way. Flanking real quick, setting up some Penny Parker mines, a bit of a cheese spot. That's the fallback angle, so keep that in mind. Back of your head for 100 Thieves. Do they want to fall back over there because they're going to have to give space to this Amazing Iron Man? Green's out early. Will anybody go down to those mines? No, it's Crimzo. The Dino gets shut down by Delena with that assault rifle, though he's brought back by a BRB. So everybody's still here on the side of Sentinels. There's just one cooldown out for Flameng.
And that's the power of the chomp into the Carbon Crush from Emma. You really just can't hold on if the Punisher's got a shotgun right behind you. Both dinos go down. Here's Amazing. Takes out Vinny. TTK on a Crimzo. Self gonna find Usher, though, as you see Self is back on that Atom. So that composition's coming back into play with Winnie on the Loki. Might see the copy up there. The damage boost very much going to be on Zelena 24/7. And when those crystals get committed, when you do have that team up, when you see, the backline of the Guardians, like, you just deal so much damage to this front line. So this front to back comps are bringing me back here, buddy.
Yeah, and Vinny, by the way, switched over to the Venom because he wanted to get back fast, I imagine. But now, usually Mr. I'm back fast is Jitward. In this fight, it's Vinny into this upcoming cart. Gets grabbed from the sky, but everybody's still healthy because we got Loki on the side who got that healing buff, that patch, same thing with the greens. Those cooldowns are removed. So that maybe sets up Rai with this Sky, Invisible Boundary, and Ultimate.
Yeah, we're likely going to see Rai potentially off angle before the commitment of Ultimate, or use it right into the Sia, or the Born Again, and it finds 3! Rai Amazing! And the res comes through for a few more after the fact, but what an absolutely disgusting commitment there from Rai, who might find a Penta. It's going to be a Quadra instead. Wow! What an Ultimate here by the Iron Man.
And we get a high-speed pursuit chase onto this this Adam Warlock, who's just scouting because he knows he can't res in this upcoming fight. Portal going to come through from Vinny. We'll have that res available in the upcoming fight. Same with the Mantis Soul. So they do have something to come back into this. Oasis has been big with this Invisible Boundary. They use greens early just to stall at the card. He has to, so this portal comes out. So Winnie's going to go down with a Soul Bond to keep everybody healthy from here. Does Self want to use the res to bring back Winnie to the fight? The answer is no. It's Delena getting enough value with the damage boost to take down Dongmin with this damage boost, and finds even more afterwards. The BRB brings back 1, but will any more find KOs on 100 Thieves side as they fall back?
Yeah, a lot of commitment here. So we can see Oasis starting up, Usher, Dongmin, everybody trying to take control of this point. Self with a big res now on an off angle, likely to even the odds a bit, give them some overhealth on the retake, and they're up numbers already. Vinny's going to be back in the fight. Crimzo does have Ultimate available, and that's going to be the only one committed early enough. So there's going to be no Dino to match still from 100 Thieves. Vinny has to use that portal to get back with the team. And there's Crimzo running right towards that back line. You see Millennia's positioning, staying far away, dealing a ton of damage, and getting some of those abilities back. Usher finds Selena, and that's going to be the first number up here for Sentinels. Can they get this push through with a minute on?
Yeah, the no rocket pick has been biting 100 Thieves in the butt, literally and figuratively, with the Dino in the game, because, they don't have the BRB to bring back one person in these fights. Those reses have been big, but once those cooldowns are used, it's pretty much over. However, that was a lot of time bit off the clock there from Sentinels, right? 100 Thieves now 3 minutes into 3 minutes into second phase, so a bit of a slowdown on their side from first point. Vinny's back over to that Devil Dino as well, and they switch things up again, back over to the Ultron triple composition. Delena going to be back over to the Star-Lord, helping counter maybe this Sky Iron Man that worked on domination. So it might actually enable 100 Thieves again. If they get this first fight win, that'd be huge. Maybe you can get some cheese play with Flamme and the See You Later, get those KOs in the middle of it.
Oh, there's another Maximum Pulse. This is not going to find value. Crystals will be burned, though, and there's going to be some cooldowns out. Going to keep walking forward. Winnie, goes low. Going to burn some of these clones now as the momentum is very much in Sen's favor. You can just feel the momentum right now as Crimzo is driving them back to the spawn door. You can see 100 Thieves playing very smart and defensive, waiting for the team before the re-engage. This is exactly what you're looking to do, folks. Make sure you're taking this into ladder. Don't just go in there and try to be a hero. I promise you, you aren't that guy. As we see the walk forward now. Out goes the Psionic Seduction, looking towards the backline. Rai Amazing away, able to walk away, giving them the space they need. TTK is driving forward. Nobody gets trance, though, and the fight begins.
And we have others on the other side. Yusha's been big. Same thing with Dongmin on the other side, but Invisible Boundary goes aggressive from Millennia. Keep everybody healthy here. Crimzo goes down. In fact, the BRB will bring him back, though. As long as you've used some ultimates, Delena coming up on his own. Winnie now pops the counter Invisible Boundary. Also, Ultron's Rage available in the sky. Sentinels have nothing. They have to disengage and live. But there's going to be so much damage in a moment once Delena builds up this ult. They have everything else. Unless something goes incredibly wrong for 100 Thieves, they have so much in the bank to win this upcoming fight.
Self now repositioning these drones. Still holding time as Self's able to find Dongmin. What a shot there. Looking for a second. Great utilization of cooldowns. Notice the movement. They descend and ascend and descend, excuse me. As we see there, the Ultron, you got to make sure those are bound. You got to be using that vertical movement to your ability to dodge some of the focus from the projectile and hit scan. And that is going to be a nice retake. And again, 1 minute and 20 seconds on. Ult advantage in favor of 100 Thieves for this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with how the series has been going, 100 Thieves and their defensive hold, I mean, they've been really doing a good job kind of coming back into these fights when they feel like they're almost lost. Ultron's Rage, though, again, cooldown management, keeping it up. Disengaged by Sentinels. Everybody living from it so far, but at least you maybe made some cooldowns at the very least. You have the right side flank angle. Usher wins it against Delena, who went inside. Shotgun to the face from Usher.
Yeah, and this is still... Oh, what a shot there from Yusha onto Self. Goodbye. Sentinels walking forward. Crimzo commits now with a Rampage. Tries to find one. Pulls the Dino. Back and forth. Goodbye to Vinny. What a tackle there. Oh, and here comes a good combination. Does it? It does! Come on, Amazing. Goodbye to Lena again in that final judgment. This is absolutely lights out play from Tony Stark here. Oasis going to drop Millennia, who's on the change into Invis. Yusha finds Vinny. Dogman onto Self and Yusha again, and that will be point 2. Will they be able to take this series and end it now, folks?
Oh my God, 2 minutes to go. That cart is right there towards the very end. This choke point, or not even really choke point. I mean, it feels like this is going to be a tough fight for 100 Thieves no matter what. They switch to full stall. Self over to that Spider-Man. Vinny over to the Venom with 2 minutes to go. Sentinels have a chance. The 2-0 over their rival in this entire esports scene. These two teams have always been neck and neck. And maybe Sentinels are going to get the edge of the group stage over them unless something comes out for 100 Thieves. An absolute miracle in this Spider-Venom comp.
All right, folks, and here we go. Self is going to be on that Spider-Man right now. Going to get back to this point just to stall it should it need, as we see the invisible boundary committed from both sides. Yusha's able to drop TTK. They're up a number now, folks. Millennia combines up, uses the boundary to answer, and there's another solution to slow the pace. Dogman trying to find backline, not able to make them move just yet. Dogman does find Self, though. Goodbye to the Spider-Man. Another number goes down as Sentinels are moving forward. The pressure, the presence, as you see Amazing in the sky, burning through. Goodbye to Venom. The numbers are falling, and the meters are gaining as they get to that line. Will they push it through? Right now, it looks like they just might. They do. Sentinels take home this series.
Oh my God, they get it done on the second map to 2-0 100 Thieves, who looked really good last week. And, you know, in this week, Sentinels get the better end of that matchup. They get the W over 100 Thieves. And, I mean, every time it feels like we start to, you know, rate 100 Thieves incredibly highly, they get a loss like that. Sentinels 2-0 fashion Shib. Phenomenal work from their squad and from some very unique compositions that definitely no other teams are doing.
Yeah, I mean, there was just so much stuff in that matchup. I think, you know, what's kind of cool about Sentinels and 100 Thieves is they're not afraid to run these like super weird compositions that you don't necessarily practice against. So when you get in there, you're trying to figure it out on the fly, and that makes it so hard to win when you're going into something you just don't have eyes on. Zoe, what did you think of that matchup?
Well, right now, I'm just feeling for the teams that will be going up against Sentinels in the not-so-distant future. Because what are you really taking away from compositions like that, right? Like, it's all of that was so much based on just countering and then countering the counter. So, like, there was just so much movement and so many things going on that I feel like some of the swaps we didn't even really get to dive into because they were just happening back to back somewhere in the midst of all the action. But overall, it's just a phenomenal game from Sentinels, and that also now means that both 100 Thieves and Sentinels are 2-1 in the standings in week 2, so both of them in a really good position to finish in the top 4.
Yeah, I think this is an important week to get ahead, right? Like, sorry, Shib, but I feel like it really is to go 2-1 in this upcoming week, especially when, you know, I think the discourse online maybe hasn't been the best around Sentinels. Kind of same thing for 100 Thieves. This was a very important game to win to set themselves ahead of the rest of the group in this really difficult group, Shib, that I think a lot of people maybe underestimated Sentinels going into today.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think both of these teams are still figuring things out, but also developing things. Again, we talk about the meta being so strange and teams are running stuff that's new every single game. So, like, I don't know that it's necessarily set in stone. And I think that's kind of the beauty is people are also still finding solutions to the quote unquote meta. And both of these teams, or at least Sentinels right now, found the solution to 100 Thieves because they took that home, but it was still a battle.
It also comes down to like just playing to your strength, right? And then that's something we saw from 100 Thieves already in week 1. They were just kind of playing what they wanted. They felt comfortable, like the vibes were good. And I love that Sentinels were doing the same thing. Because last week I feel like they tried to shoehorn themselves into a drawer that it's just not for them. So for them to just rely on the strength of their individuals and kind of be on the same page together as a team in that sense, that just looked really good for them.
Yeah, I think on that note, I mean, like Devil Dino's release, obviously this recent patch like has been big. And you know, it's always tough when a new character drops that is the meta and that is very strong, because you still have to get used to playing around it on top of the person playing and getting better at it. And I think Crimzo today looked like a better Devil Dino than TTK did at points. Like Crimzo, I don't know if we've talked about in this sort of light in quite some time. I mean, his Devil Dino looked really impressive today.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think he does a good job leading comms too. And I think in a Dino position, you want to have that kind of comms. You want to talk about when you're going to get those pulls so you can commit as a team with damage. And when you have enough damage like Punisher Iron Man, it can be enough after one pull to just get a clean sweep through the team. As we see Rymazing, 45 and 4, 33k damage, really clean play, 60% accuracy, even with a laser is just big work there. Well done, Ry.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just on the Iron Man. I feel like everything he pulled out of the sleeve today really worked well and created a lot of space for his team, Dogman.
Yeah, you play a little White Fox too in there, was able to switch it up. The Rocket Raccoon pick as well, I think that was going to be, was a talking point that sort of replicated itself from the last series. And in this one, it did end up panning out for Sentinels too. So that's something we're gonna have to keep a lookout on, like just to see the Rocket Raccoon win rates as we move on, as we have those stats behind the scenes that we'll keep showing you guys. So yeah, I mean, Sentinels focusing on that a little bit more so. A team's probably catching on, like Shib mentioned earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more focus on that 400 Thieves angle too, considering, they played well around it. The Loki stuff was really good. I mean, we saw so much support out of Winnie Millennia, but as well, Oasis, this brand new pickup for them to pair alongside Fomei. I mean, they've had struggles with their backline in previous iterations of Sentinels, but this time it looks to be a little bit more stabilized than in the past.
Yeah, you guys talked about it in the cast as well, right? We wanted to see Oasis step it up today because last week was a little underwhelming. Obviously, if your team loses, like the performance of the individuals, like just by default, will look a little more underwhelming. But it was great to see Oasis being so well integrated, and overall, it just looked really, really smooth as a team. So I do believe we have our interview ready for this one. It's going to be Rymazing, the Iron Man himself, joining us for a quick chat after this victory. Rymazing, welcome to the show. You're back on Iron Man. You're beaming. We're beaming. Everyone's happy. Fan service was provided. Did you have to push to make that swap? Like, did you have to convince anyone, or was Rymazing? Was Iron Man on the table for your team?
Oh, it's always on the table for our team. I think everybody trusts me on the Iron Man pick.
I love it. I mean, you guys have seen to just adapt, dude. I think in the Dino meta, damage like that, when you have like the Iron Man Punisher combo, just too much to handle in the Dino matchup. You guys have looked a lot better over this since even week one. I think you're growing as a team. What is the major takeaway that's made you guys lock in so hard?
Oh, I mean, I think this is just a classic Sentinels versus 100 Thieves match. You know, I get to play Iron Man, and I'm cheesing, and it's just different than every other match we play. And I think we're ready for it. We always are, and it's just a classic. And I don't even know what there is to take away. It's just another game against 100 Thieves.
Yeah, really is just it's a special kind of matchup between you guys, and I think. I guess after this past couple weeks, obviously it was a tough game versus Swamp Gaming, but you guys look a lot more comfortable in the meta. Like the Devil Dino stuff's definitely panning out for your team, and same thing with the Iron Man stuff. Like how did that discussion go behind the scenes? Because I know in previous iterations, like you talked about it being kind of hard to convince your team that Iron Man's good. You said it was a little bit easier this time around? Is your team a little bit easier to convince than in previous Sentinels kind of combinations?
I mean, I think we've always trusted about Iron Man. We played it in China. I played it like forever, and I think we played it last season as well in the preseason. It's not too hard to convince them. I think with the Iron Man changes somewhat recently, like a few patches ago, with the overdrive lasting longer, it was really good into like the Atom comp where they kind of keep the zombie walking in, and I keep extending the duration. So I think everyone just kind of trusted me on it, and it was great.
Well. On that, right? I mean, you guys had a play where I think Invisible Boundaried into the ultimate, like just to hide and disguise it. Was that a set play, real quick, that you guys had on Hell's Heaven?
Actually, no. I kind of just played off of our Su ult because I knew we were going to use it for the Pod ult, and it's a really good way to Iron Man ult because they can't really see you, and it's very, very strong. And I've been doing that for a long time, but yeah.
Overall, one last question here. As a team and a team identity, do you feel like playing to the individual strength and playing more unconventional comms, is that the way to go for Sentinels, or do you feel kind of forced to maybe also opt into the meta a little bit more in order to come out on top at the very end?
I think we kind of played unconventional comps today because we were worried about how we're doing on the meta in practice, and I think we also came out kind of knowing this was going to be kind of a different matchup against Thieves. Like they're kind of, I don't know, they seemed a little shy to play the dive, and we knew it might be kind of a brawl v brawl, and I think we felt very confident in that. I could see us playing a little bit more of the meta, looking at these next few matches against FlyQuest and whatnot.
Yeah, I think FlyQuest and Energy Shock are your next two for this week, though. It's done for you, a dub on the board, and that means you guys are sitting pretty comfy at the top there of the leaderboard as well. So amazing. Thank you so much for sharing the insight. And once again, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And the dog had something to say as well. We love to hear it.
Yeah, bye,
yeah,
dog.
incredible. That's so interesting to hear, though, that they just felt like in this particular matchup, you know, like maybe playing those unconventional comms against some of the Thieves is definitely the way to go. I wonder what they're going to cook up for next week, because they have some time now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we might see some more unique stuff. He said he was going to try to fold back into the meta. I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like for them. But yeah, you don't want to, but I'm sure we'll talk more about that, folks, right after this short break.
Show me that you were still the only one that matters for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wait up, open your hands, holding on to your heart. Look inside you. Can you feel it? The sparks in you. Light it up, unleash it. Wake up, open your eyes, raising the fist and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters yet again, we are rivals to the end. And rise up, open your minds, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. 한껏 높이 날아올라 눈누워진 밤하늘을 가로질러 Oh yeah, oh yeah. 필요할 때 내가 널 지켜줄게 간절히 바라면 이루어지는 마법인 거야 분명한 소리 들려 여기서 저기서 날 찾으면 달빛이 날 비춰와 시작해야 let's go 어둡고 흘러는 우주 따뜻한 눈으로 감싸나 손들 신비롭게 누군들일 거야 좀 더 기다려 I'll be there 쓰러지지 말 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 결정을 쳐봐 어둠이 떠날 때까지 아름다운 꿈을 밝혀봐 우리에게 달려서 그 세계우면
welcome back everyone. Zoe here, joined by Dogman and Iron Ship, and we're about to set the stage for our last match of the day. TSM going up against the force of nature that is Team Liquid Citadel. Now, Team Liquid Citadel have been looking good. TSM, they unfortunately started stage 1 on the struggle bus. So let's talk about what we saw from them and what stood out maybe as a redeeming factor. I think the first thing for TSM we have to mention was BTS. I think BTS on the Elsa looked good. Obviously, there were some role swaps here for TSM. Did we like them? Did we not care for them? Do we have opinions, Dogman? Surely you do.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, I don't feel like it was the best offseason for TSM, but, you know, at least they look good in their pictures. Like, in terms of just, like, a very photogenic group, they look great.
The aura is there.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, you gotta let that transfer into your gameplay. I mean, I think that they do have a good shot at kind of improving, getting better like every other team. Like we just saw, like, Sentinels look way better than Devil Dino stuff. I bet they could kind of enter that domain, but I mean, as everybody knows, the looming question over TSM is how are they going to fare against Team Liquid Citadel, and the answer is probably not that good, considering, I mean, Team Liquid Citadel are kind of like a final endgame boss, right? TSM are that, it's like not David versus Goliath, because I guess David won, but maybe it's more so like just like a 4-foot versus 7-foot matchup right now. It just feels like TSM, they have quite a ways away to win this one, and I wouldn't even say a puncher's chance because, like I said, the weight classes are a bit disparaging.
Yeah, and then you look over at TLC. I mean, what do we got to say about this team? This team is just powerhouses. We made the conversation before. Sometimes you talk about you had a dream team from the Americas region. Would it just be TLC? That's definitely in the conversation, although there's a ton of talent across the board. You know, you see Pauly, who's in the conversation for the best cap. Vess, same thing, but this time over for Rogue. Speedery, Energy, Cooper, Nero, all holding their own in some of the top of their individual roles. There's not much else to say besides this team is rolling through teams and have yet to lose against a team.
Yeah, so far no one really, could make them stumble here. And even in the preseason, which they came out on top of, it was really just Swamp Gaming that was able to make this team sweat. Now, of course, with the new addition of Vespa, it's like a wealth of riches. And then on the on the bench, they also still got some high quality players that they can use if needs be. So really, this is going to be a massive uphill battle for TSM. Also feel like generally, like, this meta, it suits the individuals of a TLC quite a lot.
Yeah, this is like, it just feel like Vess has picked up these sort of dive characters, and I think a lot of, at least the North American scene, a lot of these sort of shield tanks, these anchor guys, have been sort of rigid in terms of transferring off into other stuff, but they can't pick them up like he did going over to Rogue when he was on FlyQuest, and unfortunately for Spark Chief has kind of taken his own ex-teammate's job, so it's always tough. And it's for TSM, they really had to have won that matchup versus Stick Drift last week. I think that would have set them up, better for this upcoming week, since they've only played one match. We don't have a ton of experience with them so far. It's just a kind of disappointing opening show. So if they can at least show something today versus TLC, I would be, I think, happy as a TSM fan.
Yeah, I mean, I think this team, yeah, exactly. Like, it's tricky because it's always about time. We talk about the 10,000 hour rule, right? When you put 10,000 hours into something, you're going to become an expert. This team, when you talk about TSM, had just role swapped. That's going to put them all back down to hour 0 for the most part. At least 3 of the players, I believe, I have to look at the roster again. But, I mean, they're all incredibly talented, and they'll all dice all of us up in ladder. But when it comes to this pro level of play, they don't have the same hours as some of these players in their respective positions, which is going to make you question everything you do. It's going to make these fights so much harder. So that's my only, thought when I think of TSM.
I do think a redeeming thing in this particular matchup, even though they're the heavy underdog and this is not considered theirs to win, I think that might be a good thing because they might be able to play a little more free. And we've seen in the past that allowing players to play more free and not having the pressure of, like, this kind of needs to be a victory, just like last week's, like, a performance against Stick Drift, like, that was kind of their match. They had to win that in order to, like, make a statement early on, but it just turned into the Rita show and it kind of snowballed out of control for TSM. I don't expect to see the same amount of pressure for them when they go up against TLC. I feel like they probably are going to get away with playing just a little bit more loosey-goosey and therefore also just more relaxed, better plays overall.
I think this, like, for TSM, I mean, they do have some strengths. Like, I think this team could get better at these sort of front-to-back comps, or these strange comps that we saw out of Yaoi Lost. Like, this is what the old TSM, when they were Solaris, would have done. Play like Yaoi Lost it on Domination. They swapped up to, some crazy dive comps with a solo tank, solo Vanguard at points. I think it can work. It can be a solid strat, and if any team could do it, it's gonna be TSM with players like Guru that like to play other things besides Vanguards.
And we can see it's going to be Celestial, Husk off rip here again. Domination, TSM. I mean, a bunch of talent again. Looking forward to seeing what they match up. I like the idea here as we're saying goodbye to Zoe in a moment of them potentially using that as a buff, like you're saying, just kind of being more relaxed in this matchup. No.
Yeah, let them play free. Loosey goosey, that's what we're gonna see. It's not theirs to win, but we want to see a little something out of TSM today when they're going up against TLC.
Alrighty, buddy, and we're heading in. Now this should be a good one. I want this to be a good one. I want TSM to step up now and use this to their advantage. Try to find some success here in Dom and show that they are a team with talent. I mean, this team, again, on paper, really, really strong. I think the role swap is the only real downside as we see the Gambit ban, but the Devil Dino. Oh no, it's Gambit on both sides.
Yep, Gambit both sides, but I don't know, Shib. I think if I'm a TSM enjoyer, which I am, obviously, in this instance, I think we all are. I would just gotta temper the expectations a little bit. Like you said, it's like,
sure,
you want it to be a close game, but like you can't. It's hard to manifest versus TLC. Now there is a way forward. I think that for TSM, if they get this ban phase right, if they realize the Rocket Raccoon stuff that we're seeing, I think it's been good. If they play around it, that might benefit them because I mean, Rocket, everybody's trying to pick him back up again. He's got a different play style almost than he did in the past. But the Black Cat ban early on. Is going to be kind of interesting, I think. We've seen that out of other squads, but they also protect the Devil Dinosaur, of course.
Yeah, I think Cat is a good ban. Again, has found some success. Phoenix has been a little more impactful. TSM's great at the hit scan stuff, though. Always have been. So I don't know if they're necessarily worried too much about a matchup in that. They can at least contest with that. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many things to ban out for TLC. If I'm being honest, dude, that like I don't know what I would be happy with on a ban phase against them right now, at least, right? Until we start seeing them lose certain rounds. They just haven't been losing rounds even. So I don't know where their weakness is. But I do think, you got to keep it traditional as we're seeing here. The Phoenix ban's good. The Dino ban or the Dino lock is good. The Gambit ban makes sense. Cat makes sense. So they're not missing by any means.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter the order you do it, but the Star-Lord stuff has been solid, like you said. And then, I mean, Rocket's been sort of available so far. Same thing with Mantis. And I know, they can play the triple Mantis comps for the side of TLC. They like to play that sort of stuff. There's the Mantis Protect on the side of TSM. So they're showing that they want to maybe play triple with the Mantis. Maybe that forces that Ultron ban on the other side. But it's okay. It's gonna be the Loki on the opposite side for TLC this time around to prevent that team up for TSM.
Yeah, that could make sense here. As we're going to see the final lock-in come into play. Star-Lord, really strong in this meta. You can only choose a certain amount of targets, and they left the Star-Lord as the target here and Rocket's available too. So that combination's on the table should TLC decide to start making that work. But the final ban coming in here for TSM, it could be Rocket. If they think that's something they're willing to run, they haven't really needed or expressed that yet. But again, we don't know what we're seeing behind the scenes. Instead, it's Mantis.
Yeah, they get the one-sided Mantis at least. But this is the tough part. Like I feel like just with the specifically the Star-Lord ban and then the Phoenix one, obviously, but that Star-Lord kind of has been the best TSM look so far is when they get to play the Star-Lord stuff. And when they don't, I'm just a little worried because also there's fallback options for Black Cat. Like we saw even in the Swamp Gaming setup, they would play Black Cat or Daredevil. Like they would switch it up depending on where they were on the map. So Rocket's still getting through as well, makes it kind of interesting. But I mean, I don't mind the Mantis ban Protect on their side to get the one-sided kind of matchup. But again, character that benefits the most from that, at least in TSM sort of double hit scan player pool, I do like to see that Star-Lord alongside it. So I don't know. We'll be interested to see. I mean, Punisher seemed to be pretty good earlier on, and maybe they play around that. Who knows?
Yeah, we can see the compositions being floated here right now. TSM showing a bunch of stuff. I don't know that necessarily will be the case when they start up the match here. But they're floating Thing, Iron Man, and that's already starting to change. But Team Liquid Citadel, I think this is probably what we are going to see from them. Polly gets the cap, who has been just an absolute problem on that hero. It's just synonymous with the hero. If you hear Cap, you think Polly. And we got to see there the quote from Endgame from Cap here from TSM in quotations, essentially saying they need to make this happen now. This is a fight for their lives against TLC. And Cal is going to be on that Iron Man.
Yeah, they're doing something similar to Sentinels earlier. And we saw people talk about Penny Parker and how good she is in the cheese sort of set style. TSM like to do it. TLC, though, do they react? Do they get hit by it? In this case, everybody walks out, but no KOs found. TLC rotates around to the point, setting up the rocket to the backside. Speed, by the way, sitting above on that Daredevil dive setup. With Paulie and Vess playing the two extremely mobile sort of tanks on that front line.
Yeah, and these comps are looking like more of what we saw from week one, but, you know, barring the Iron Man, of course. But outside of that, getting that Luna pressure. Cal able to find Speedery early on, though. It's going to be a number up for TSM here. The res comes through to even it for the moment, but that's a cooldown to pull out. Cal able to escape. It's crazy that these Flyers are finding success here into a Dino comp who can just constantly anti-air. Cal, though, finds Speedery again, and that is going to be another, actually, true number up for this current moment. Being pocketed by that Ultron, looking disgusting, saying it's not just Amazing who can make this work.
Yeah, excellent support from the pack line. The Ultron gives him the drone. You have the pocket from everybody else as well as the damage boost from BTS. This is looking pretty damn good, and they win that first fight even though they did give up the point. So they have to reclaim it against TSM, who have surrounded that objective, are coming back from spawn. They still are walking together. Unknown again finds Nero, so at least getting rid of that Rocket Raccoon and that BRB. Cal again on a Cooper. You trade 1 for 1, make it 2 for 1. Ultron to come back into it, but everybody surrounded the point, still touching it is Vess, but they're going to lose Vess surely in the middle of the fight as again that drone keeps Cal alive. Nobody can find Cal in the sky. He's just formidable.
Yeah, well done here from TSM, but the entirety of that time, point was in TLC's care, already 51%, but great fighting and patience from TSM to not overcommit, not worry too much, play slow, and just get their win when they can. Cal, ready here with the maximum pulse. Will be the first ultimate available from TSM at the moment. Bedtime Story close behind. Guru and Bredy almost there as well. And Bredy, one of those who had role switched, looking clean right now. Just prepping. Cal in the same boat. Actually looking for a big play here.
You talk about this Luna being sort of KOable in these sort of comps, but will it be today? Everybody grouping together in that Devil Dino. Box jumps back to that health pack side. They do lose Unknown in the middle of it. Is that enough to find even more? Yes, it is. Cooper tracks down one. Pulse comes out, does peel off Vess. Excellent job to remove him out of the fight, but again, there's too much damage to the front line. Gilbert has to walk back on the inside against Speed with the Daredevil being let out, and that's going to be a point controlled again by TLC.
Yeah, TLC comes back in with a vengeance, just commits heavy. Vess losing that buddy shield, immediately catching the maximum pulse right to the dome. Say goodbye there, and then follow up immediately from Paulie and Speedery on the dive. Paulie not even needing to commit ultimate, finds 2. Speedery cleans up the 3rd, and that's that dive pressure that TLC has.
And they can see where they're coming from too. I mean, this Jeff setup as well should be big with the ultimate in the moment here. No ultimate either from Cal to counter Nero. So there might be more from it. Gilbert does swatch to that Penny Parker, though, to help deal with the dive. But in the sky on Unknown, they dive him, and he goes down.
Speedery takes out Unknown early, like you discussed. The eat comes through from Nero here. Going to find potential off map instead. He's going to like to just put him in a strange position, try to burn Guru on an off angle. Great play as Energy cleans that up. Insane comms there to set that play. Cal falls from Energy. Energy looking for even more as the Penny now is committed from Gilbert Noodle. 99. I don't think the touch comes through. TLC takes map 1.
Yeah, that should have been a lot better for TSM, honestly. Like, that first fight did go well, but again, TLC's macro play was too good. I mean, Speed was removed twice in that fight, but they had to fall back to do so, maybe, and they didn't have anybody touch the objective at the current time because they were trying to peel so much. But this is actually kind of winnable now for TSM. I mean, that first round, Ship, it felt like it didn't go, that poorly if we take a look at the scoreboard across the board.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think TSM looked good. The only problem was they just let the point happen too early. Like TLC just got point control, and that entire fight, they didn't really care if they lost it. They were just trying to extend their time and force eyes in different direction, buy more time. And they got 51%. When honestly, if that doesn't happen, this could have been a different story here. TSM holding that point early on might have given them another few fights to figure things out. And there was a chance there. Team Liquid Citadel, obviously Paulie on that cap, still holding on to that ult, really only using it when need be and just applying pressure. Likely hasn't gone down and just playing his own game. That's the problem. It's just this backline is constantly having to dance away from the pressure that is, now Paulie at the moment was Speedery, but he switches up and goes Ultron.
Yeah, switching to the Ultron stuff, off the Daredevil, they're realizing they're kind of living for a bit too long. Cal still on that Iron Man stuff that we saw to Sentinels, so maybe this is kind of becoming a trend for basically every side, but they're going to be on the inside angle, right? 10 seconds to go. They play around this point. Will the Penny Parker be able to set up in a good spot with those mines? Can Vess hold them off for now? I mean, TSM have ultimates to engage with in terms of Ultron's rage, which will surely force out Paulie. But they have the entire point to play around. They have a lot of engagement sort of room for their side.
Polly going to start up now with the Freedom Charge, getting them moving to stalling the point, trying to get this early cap again. You can't allow that to happen as the team does retake here. Guru back on point and an off angle. The eat comes through back and forth, and now the retake goes in TLC's favor. TSM at half. And now Energy commits heavy onto Gilbert Noodle, who drops back. Freddy at an off angle almost goes down. Good movement there by the entirety of TSM while still maintaining presence on point. Nice eat there, Guru, but it does pay for it as Speedery finds one now and is looking like they might get this point. Numbers up. So just a matter of time as Gilbert Noodle's in a dangerous spot. Good movement to get to the back line, but does fall here. Rage of Ultron available for Speedery, but again, they're not going to overcommit here. I don't believe they need to use any ultimates now. They're just going to slowly but surely clean up the rest and force a retake.
Yeah, the tough part for TSM is that now Speed's off that Daredevil, so he's not going to be going down as much. He can play it slow around Vest, and that not only strengthens Vest, but also himself. He's not going to be going down early. And, you know, maybe we would see like the Rocket bring back Gilbert in that fight, but now they don't have the Rocket, the Luna. So the sort of edge of trying to counter dive isn't going to work anymore because of TLC switching it up to playing the sort of comp around the Star-Lord heavy. And then you're also on that Jeff. Now they go aggressive with that Ultron in the sky and Ultron's Rage.
There's that Ultron's Rage, like discussed. Recent buff to that. Does more damage. Can burst through some shred outs. Guru with a nice shot there. Going to drop Speedery. That's going to be one up once again for TSM, who do look good in these fights. I'm happy to see this from them. A team that's definitely growing together and getting even stronger. Guru to start walking towards back on his Cooper, brings out the dance floor, keeps the team healthy. Energy on an off angle, biding time until some of this stuff goes away. And now recontest, recommits onto the front line. Guru finding Vest, though, another number up. But again, 54% here for Team Liquid Citadel and counting is all they're looking for. His bedtime story now finds Pauly.
Yeah, great work to go in aggressive, find those KOs, and big grabs from Guru onto that double Dyna as well. So they want to keep it up, obviously, against TLC, who now switch over to the Psylocke, get off of that Ultron, set up those dives yet again, and they're actually the ones looking for answers at the moment, as TSM, again, with that Iron Mantle is available. Last time, Cal kind of used it a bit of a zoning situation. Hard to use it last second, but I mean, Ultron's Rage last fight was big. Can Nero get a big eat, though, in the upcoming one?
Energy now starting up in the sky with the Galactic Legend. Answered immediately. Unknown almost gets deleted. Good movement there by Energy to stay healthy, and really well done by the side of TSM, who are trying to get this percentage back. 33% and climbing. Gilbert Noodle launches up. Cal holding on here to the pulse, looking for some sort of success. Speedery says goodbye. Unknown finds one. Polly onto Brady, deleting them quickly. Goodbye, everyone, as TLC takes this right back.
Yeah, the Psylocke swap allowed Speed to kind of be a little bit more mobile, set up on those dives too to find that Ultron after he has that mobility cooldown used. It was almost a good one for TSM. They did outlive that first dive, like you said, but weren't able to find Speed, who has been so evasive. That's the strength of Speed on Psylocke, as he just doesn't go down compared to when he was on that Daredevil. So upcoming fight again, Nero still has that ult available. Cal, though, holding on to that Iron Mantle. We'll see if he can counter the Jeff on the opposite side.
Yeah, and the Jeff has some potential. Once you see the buddy barrier there from the Dino, it's a free ultimate too, unless, you know, obviously something else pops up. They don't have a ton of shields on their team at the moment besides Cap, so pretty much a free dunk after that, and I could see that being the value of Iron Man, but I do think you can just farm ultimate even right now with Psylocke on Dino on this front line, as they don't have a ton of shields. You just press Q on the back line, force out a ton, and Psylocke does a really good job of marking Iron Man too, so I think there's just a lot of smart decision making here from Speedery, and Speedery takes out Guru with that front line, just absolute pummeling them.
He had the touch, but now they're losing everybody. I mean, they're not going down. They're not diving in. They're not being predictable. Smart plays out of TLC. Ew, that was a long shot from Cal. Doesn't find a KO.
Yeah, it's tough. We couldn't wait for the cooldown. Vest was just knowing that was the case, waited to use that shield, and then finally committed it to stuff the ultimate. Max value there in terms of an answer. Dance floor is out here from Brady, trying to take out Pauly, who escapes. Nero on the off angle, expecting Pauly's, movement there and reading it. Heals him right back up. Pauly, Speedery, goodbye as everyone falls. Energy gonna look for more. Guru goes down too, and this looks like Team Liquid Citadel is gonna find the first two maps and close this out.
Yep, job done for Team Liquid Citadel. Honestly, not bad from TSM in terms of what they did on the previous two rounds, but still, it was not even 50% of the board for either round. So really kind of still dominance out of TLC. Now, they're always good in domination. It looked a little bit shakier, I think, out of them. But, once we go to convoy convergence, I don't mind these comps too much. It's just a matter of TLC is just smart. They play it slow. You could see that the only way that TSM could win is if Team Liquid Citadel went aggressive and overly committed, but they didn't at any point. We'll see what happens on the next map, though, as TSM have the map pick. We'll go to a short break. We'll come back for the next map.
Hey guys, my name is Ryan Central, and what's the meta? I don't know. Ask Cozy or Moxie or any of the various co-streamers that are watching this tournament. Ask them what's the meta, because in all honesty, I don't really know. It's been a few weeks since preseason ended, and we've had 2 new characters added in, Black Cat and Devil Dinosaur, that are going to shake up the meta, as well as various balance changes over the last season. So I want to use this episode almost this week to use it as a chance to recap what happened in preseason, counting down the most impactful heroes across the draft phase, the bans and protects that we've seen in the esports scene across all 4 major regions and all 504 maps that were played for preseason in Ignite. Let's just go over the top 5, and 4 out of 5 of them as strategists, which is kind of crazy, but one of them is Loki. Understandable, he's up here, right? Regeneration Domain is still one of the best abilities in the game, bar none, and no matter what, he always has to be respected in a pick ban phase, even if you don't intend on playing him, because of the fact that he can copy ultimates. Certainly looking at stuff like Gambit, some of the NA teams in Americas going for triple Vanguard to just farm up a Gambit Loki combination and just get those Raging Royal Flushes going over and over again. It really is a case of like if Gambit or Invisible Woman manage to make it through the draft, getting rid of Loki or protecting him if you want to play around him is good. Invisible Woman actually makes the 4th spot. For like EMEA in America, she wasn't as popular when it came to like pick or bans, but it was like the Pacific and Chinese teams that wanted to make sure that they got a hold of her. But Invisible Woman in her own right, strong healing output, force physics to punish diving targets, to be able to pull them back as they're trying to get away, the barrier that she can give to her duelists to give some healing, mitigation, and basically just set them up to succeed. And then obviously you've got the invisible boundary to play in these tricky fights, put it on your team to protect them, but also as a way to catch enemies trying to disengage, because you can slow them as they go through the radius of the invisible boundary. You can use it offensively, and some teams did try to do that. 3rd place is Mantis. It took a while for Mantis to get going, but her popularity definitely started to surge towards playoffs across all of the regions, most certainly again in Pacific and China, where she was the 2nd most rated character over for those teams. Making sure that you have Mantis or the enemy team doesn't have Mantis basically limits your impact of triple strategist, whether you can play around it as well or not. Damage boost helps. Her ultimate is good in all sorts of situations. You have the team up again with Groot and Loki. It'll be interesting to see how she does now that her damage boost has been nerfed and now she adds like movement speed. I still think she's going to find impact, but is she going to be the linchpin of triple strategists going forward, or is somebody like Ultron going to potentially take that slot away from her? Hard to get a gauge, but Mantis is definitely up here as a strong choice. The 2nd spot goes to Elsa. The queen of the preseason finishes in 2nd place from how much she was picked and also banned. She was like the leading woman. In EMEA and America, she was the most potent character. It's just that Pacific and China, again, would have preferred to put Mantis and another character in that sort of first ban, first protect phase. The percentage damage that she was doing was strong. The fact that Instinct put Helix Advance down to a 2-second cooldown is really strong, and the great CC from her ultimate. Lots of these elements have been toned down. I would be shocked though if she doesn't stay in the top 10 for like the impact here when it comes to stage 1. Definitely expect her to drop, but I think some other duelists might contest her a little bit more. But yeah, here it was just put your best duelist on this character, feed resources into her, and she is going to absolutely feast for you. But there is one character that was a lot more impactful, and that was Gambit. To really highlight how impactful Gambit was, there was basically 1,008 chances to be involved in a draft, and Gambit missed out on 8 of those. There are 8 opportunities that he could have been picked in, and he wasn't. And almost 800 of those were bans. Teams did not want to play him, certainly in Pacific and China, where he was almost consistently in every single game the first ban. Raging Royal Flush providing ultimate charge boost, explosive damage, movement speed means that it was synergy with various ultimates was incredibly strong. And a key thing here is, unlike a lot of the other characters that I mentioned, he wasn't nerfed in season 7.5 or season 8. So Gambit still could very much be the top dog when it comes to stage 1 rolling around. It really is just a case of whether the likes of Devil Dinosaur could really start to push for like that first ban slot. I expect him pretty much immediately, but also like Black Cat could have those moments if teams can actually get used to playing her. We'll see how things are going to look for stage 1, but thanks for watching. Ignite the battle, and let's get back into the action.
And to absolutely no one's surprise, TLC is taking that first map. They are, of course, the heavy favorite in this one. But TSM did fight back. There were definitely some moment of brilliance coming out of that team. And that's really all that we were asking for, guys.
Yeah, I think they played a little bit on their heels, right? Like, I think that's what I saw from TSM. It's like they look good, but they're just a little nervous. It's like they're aware of who they're going against, so they're afraid to play a little more aggro. Like, even at that final touch, right? They could not move forward. They were just too worried about overextending and getting picked, and you got to just play with confidence, right, dog?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think in that last map they did to a degree, but Paulie going to be the MVP in terms of just never going down, always having his ultimates at the right time. And you can see just the value that he has in the game. Or sometimes it's not even like directly seen, I guess, by us, but his presence is definitely felt in that last series. And I think for Team Liquid Citadel, I mean, this is going to be an interesting map pick as we get to that in a moment, because I mean, like this team, like the problem with if you're in the lead and if you're always like scrimming against teams that are worse than you, everybody else is kind of catching up. So for you, it's easy to get kind of baited into compositions that are maybe not as good, because we saw in that last time like Speed trying to find an answer going over to Psylocke and stuff. And I'm kind of curious how up to date on the meta that they are at times too, because both of these teams not running the Rocket is kind of interesting. And I don't know, like long term, I'm very curious to see how both teams kind of adapt, because it does feel like Team Liquid Citadel might have, I'm not going to say struggling to catch up to the meta, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't fully have a good read on it, only because that they just kind of dominate everybody no matter what they play.
Yeah, that's the kind of pitfall, right? When you're all the way at the tippy top, like you're not really getting pushed out of your comfort zone, so you're not really forced to have too many pages or add too many pages to your scrapbook in terms of how do we adapt when X happens. For TSM, of course, I like that they took a few pages out of Sen's book here, you know, like Iron Man back in action, Penny Parker in the mix as well. Why not? Why not? Today's a good day. Today's a good day, shit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's fun to see. I think maybe the idea is, like, again, like if you burn Dino's Buddy Barrier and they don't have a ton of shields in their team, there's really nothing you could do except for just take that immediately and just goodbye is the dinosaur. It's like the meteor that just extinct all the dinosaurs is the maximum pull. So, yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. And you see, it's fine at success. Looked pretty good. Had 4 finals there, most on the team. But, yeah, I mean, Team Liquid Citadel, it's just like this team, I don't know what comp they struggle on, and I don't know what the answer is yet. But, you know, part of me is looking forward to seeing a team figure it out.
Some team has to eventually, right? It's gotta happen. I do like, of course, with the addition of Vespa, though, they're adding just like some different looks. We talked about it already as we were opening this very matchup between the two of them. And I think Vespa talked about it as well last week in the post-match interview, saying that, you know, I'm adding a different hero pool. He talked about how he has been grinding that Dino as well. So it's great to see that in action today, Dogman.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been really good at it. Museum Contemplation will be our next map. And contemplate this, Zoe. Okay, I looked up before Devil Dawn even released. Oh, you say what?
I'm already contemplating, but yes,
okay.
Hit me.
Okay. Are you ready for
visualizing?
Because,
yeah.
Listen, Devil Dino, I mean, shit, like, this thing has been, like, teased forever, right? Or, like, we all want Devil Dino in the game even before he released, okay? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And, you know, I was, like, looking up. I was like, okay, you know, Google, what is Devil Dino's superpower? You know, because I was curious what Google responded to me as. And I'm not one to like AI that much, but AI responded that Devil Dino's superpower was superhuman strength. And, you know, I don't know about you, but I don't think he's very human-like. So, I don't know. Just food for thought, maybe.
Yeah, humanity is not just for humans. Like, I think you're caging them in. Also, we keep on treating our pets like they are humans. So I feel like a dino can have the same, you know. You
have the superpower of being a mom, Zoe, because you can turn everything into a teaching experience. That's a superpower.
So
that you
true.
have.
So true. I can also just be disappointed in everyone. Like there's so many superpowers to being a mom. It's great. You should try it. I love it for myself.
I can't,
but
sadly.
yeah, I also love to see those teams back in action. Let's see if Liquid Citadel can close it out, and we're in for a quick day, or if TSM is going to come back.
All right, and we're going to dive in once again. A team that is looking to try to beat the team that I would argue defines the meta. I think when I watch TLC play, I sometimes think to myself, all right, this is the best comp in the game, because they've yet to show me otherwise. So looking forward to seeing more of this. TSM electing to get rid of the Gambit. I don't think we're going to see that change after it seems like since week 1, because of the win rate. When Gambit got through 63% against every team that allowed it through is just too much, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we'll keep looking at that, like we mentioned about the ban phase, and then also the overall sort of win rates, like you mentioned, Shib. And you know, on the other side, we have Black Cat banned again. I think that was actually, in hindsight, not that bad of a ban to focus Speed on some other things. But you know, I'd be a little bit worried if he starts figuring out throughout the series. Star-Lord ban, Phoenix ban, kind of the same old so far, Shib, as the last map. You talked about it in the last one. It's going to keep being that way, right?
Yeah, this is the exact same lock-in too. They're going to rely energy on that Star-Lord, just apply a ton of pressure, force out a bunch of cooldowns, and then they just walk in once everything is done and try to just snowball into them. It worked well last time. I don't see why it would be any different right now. The Mantis lock again for the side of TSM. You know, they look good. I do think TSM look better than we've seen in a while. They're starting to come into their own in these changes. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but like this kind of shows to me a little bit like in the past, you know, the group stages are always like this. It feels like, I don't know about you, but it feels like teams when they're going for the exact same ban phase. I mean, I know it's a BO3, so it's a little bit faster and you have to kind of stick to your guns.
Sure.
But once we go to the playoffs, it feels like we have a lot more counter banning coming out. Like it feels like teams when they don't have a good read on the meta are doing this. They're just mirroring what they did map number 1, map number 2. And if it keeps going that way, especially for the losing team, it just doesn't inspire a lot of confidence to me of that you have a good read on the meta right now.
Touche. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I also think like once we go into the group, like once we, head into playoffs, you know, they get their stats person on the horn and essentially say like, all right, break down everything. Where's our weakness? Where's our strength against each individual team? Where they're running specific heroes, what does that look like for us? And there's really so much that goes in on the back end that we don't see. And you and I have had chances, you know, to speak to some of these, you know, folks that are on the roster that are doing some of this stat stuff, and it opened our eyes, man. Right? There's really a ton to that side of things as well.
Yeah, not every team has like a coach or an analyst too, because like speaking of which, I think TSM don't even have a coach or a manager. It's all like player management almost a little bit on their side, or analyst. And for TLC, obviously they got a huge staff. So, and I feel like we'd look back at like you talked about those analysts, obviously for Swamp Gaming, you know, they kind of liked how they were doing their ban phase a little bit. And they just recently picked up the Na'Vi, you know, analyst in former analyst as well. So we'll see how TSM do. They're going with the same stuff they did early on the previous map, and same thing with Sentinels going out for Iron Man triple.
Yeah, that is going to be the comp they feel confident on. Central portal kidnap was the idea there, using actually a downward portal, likely into a mine setup, as Gilbert is going to be using attack Penny, trying to find some off angles, shut them down with a mine spawner, shut down some of the dive potentially if they're electing to do that. But TSM instead is playing, TLC instead is playing a little more front to back and just enabling with that triple comp up. Polly takes the off angle in a solo style. Gilbert tries to find one, forces portal, or teleport out. You can see Polly, there's that flank we're talking about.
Given their hard playing around Cal, just hard focus around keeping him alive on the Iron Man so far. We talked about sort of being Thanos or being LeBron. In this case, Cal has to be that and then some to take down TLC in the sky as they're fully surrounding the cart, but nobody's going down just yet. Both sides take a ton of damage, but the healing output is there. Ultimate's surely going to come up in a moment. Ultron's Rage first for TSM, and for TLC, they're coming up on that dance floor. Same thing with their own Rage.
Yeah, that is the idea, like you're saying, just protect one and make them a raid boss. Cal able to find Vess, and there's that raid boss we're talking about, Unknown, trying to press forward onto Speedery, who's dancing back and forth. Polly stalling the cart. Notice how Cap makes sure that cart is being stalled at all times by as much time as possible. So much value in that. Goodbye, Speedery now. Cal finding another. Guru takes out energy, and they are beginning to move here. Goodbye to Polly after the stall. Gonna likely see a portal come through, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from TSM on the attack so far.
Yeah, we've entered a sort of like a hard front-to-back meta, but, you know, we'll see how it happens for TLC on the comeback, because it just feels like in that first fight, Polly was basically ineffective. They have to touch last second, too, with this dance floor, but maybe they get one shot by some damage boost coming up.
All right, folks, and here we go with the maximum pulse. Come on, Cal! My goodness, man.
All right, well, yeah, who needs a damage boost when you have a one shot in that case? Cal from the top rope, no shield to block it. Either because they don't have the Invisible Woman on TLC's side. I mean, you can White Fox maybe block it, or the Buddy Bubble, but yeah, I mean, too much value out of that ult from Cal that time. And this we're talking about the last map, Chip. I just feel like this comp is going to be a lot better on these linear payload maps where they can just hard play together, because it just seems like TLC can't get KOs. The healing output and the overhealth is too much from their squad.
And I really do like the switch of Cal onto the duelist role. I think Cal excels in the duelist role. We've seen that even in the past, even playing when he's on the strat line, running at him and getting a ton of finals. Like, just kind of where his skill set lies. So, good switch up. Clearly been a strong change, at least from what we're seeing on this run. Energy on the off angle. I didn't see the ult committed. Speedery now going to start with the Rage of Ultron right towards the back line. Polly finds Brady, though, throughout the chaos. And it's matched back and forth with the Rage. But I don't see any picks right now, just keeping the team up.
Kind of wondering what Guru ulted in that last fight, but I guess they get to keep moving forward now. In the sky, White Fox as well gets deleted fast. Vest now comes back with his own energy, takes down BTS. That's a huge KO, because that's during the Mantis ult too, so TSM have nothing now in the middle of this fight as they have to keep falling back. Shib, excellent follow-up on those picks. But TSM now sent back to spawn. They still have a pretty good time bank. I mean, this is the fastest time bank we've seen on second phase at Museum so far today. Ultimate's available still for TLC to kind of stagger it out. But again, TSM playing around Cal has proven effective so far.
Yeah, TLC coming back with a vengeance, though. You can just see them coming back and just dominating once again. They took that personally, but, you know, honestly, it was just off the back of a massive ult from Cal on point one, but those are the game-winning plays that you need to make. Right now, we're going to try to burn that Buddy Barrier and do the exact same thing here with Cal, likely onto the front line, Energy dancing. Buddy Barrier, I believe, removed, doesn't even need to commit it. Cal able to find Vest. There's that charge from Pauly, but Cal finds Energy, who's dancing. Pauly on the back line, though, dancing at full HP. We might see a commitment of ultimate. No, electing to hold on to it. Pauly escapes there. Spidery goes down, and now TSM once again are continuing to walk.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll swap off this cap and stuff too. And also in that last fight, it was great work from Guru to get that grab. I mean, just the neutrals, not even with any ult, just the damage boost to the beams. It just feels like this comp is just a death ball, and TLC, like I mentioned about the meta earlier, just feels like they don't have a good read on it. But they do take down Guru. Speed gets one because he went a little bit too far. Guru going again. It's just like the only downside with this team is they're a little out of sync.
I think the idea here from TSM is run strange stuff to throw Team Liquid Citadel off.
Somebody clip that, please. I gotta see that. Did you see? There was like a little bit. There were some bombs on the wall, and he's got deleted instantly in Energy.
Bro, I saw those 2 fights ago. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know it was gonna happen like that. But no, that is just, that's what I'm thinking. I think TSM's idea is let's run strange stuff. This stuff they haven't scrimmed against. Try to make them think, what do we need to do to change this? Throw them for a loop and find success that way.
Yeah, I wonder if TLC's gonna adapt. Energy, okay, that's the adaptation. Just get Cal in the sky before ults even come out. That'll get you some value. Everybody falls back, have to use that dance floor to come back into it. And TLC, all 1 HP, barely living. Have to dodge basically minefields. That's the Penny Parker on the opposite side.
Yeah, and here goes the commitment now from Energy up. Happy holidays. Goodbye, Cal. Do I see more committed with ultimate there is Beretti. I'm not sure it's worth after the downside, but thought it could be winnable. Vest now finds BTS. Numbers falling as TLC retakes heavily. A minute on the clock. Still up. TSM with ult advantage just slightly, and it won't be for long as Nero's going to be right behind. This is still another intense fight situation. Spidery almost goes down there with a nice lockdown, but no, Pauly going to clean those spawners up, and the team's going to force Gilbert back.
So I like it. These Penny Parker mains looking a lot like, you know, Spider-Man. Obviously, she's their own iteration of it. But, you know, you can just take an off angle, fly back to the team whenever they want. And I mean, Gilbert as well. Same thing with Dongman. 2 players that love to play a lot of that Penny Parker. Maybe kind of learning off each other a little bit. They try to work into this upcoming fight with a ton of ults, like you mentioned. Gilbert is going to kind of run around. Is the target focus for now. Just has to play it slow together. Again, around Cal. Pauly trying to set up something on the backside with Spidery.
There goes BTS now. Soul Resurgence walking them forward. Gilbert using that to spread some mines and move them and take some space a little bit. Pauly with some good escape. Cal still holding on to this ult is gonna use, oh, what a freeze from Cooper. Goodbye, 50% ult charge just like that. What a freeze. Again, Pauly now gonna find Unknown. 13 seconds on the clock as Cooper takes out BTS, and more deleted as you see the power of the Luna, who finds another with a triple. Energy gonna find Cal, and that could be it here on the offensive side for TSM. It looks like it will be. The portal is trying to be committed from Unknown. Not sure there's enough time here. Ticking down. It does get through. But will it last? As out goes the Fox.
Yeah, they're going to have to... Oh, no, it won't. Lartrox also grabs everybody off. Yeah. Excellent work by TLC. I don't know, man. Am I crazy? But I feel like TSM's comp might actually be better. I don't know than TLC's. It obviously, you know, they lost. But, like, the only downside is that they're not... At least in the last series, we saw, like, the Invisible Woman with Oasis for Sentinels. I think that was, like, the culmination of this comp, because like you saw at the end, like we called that freeze. It was an excellent freeze from Cooper, but that freeze would never have happened if we had an Invisible Woman on the just anywhere, whether it be BTS, whether it be Beretti. They could have just blocked off that freeze, right?
Yeah, it's a tricky conversation to have with the backline. It's like, do you give up Luna's KO pressure for Invis's utility, who just has so much utility? But, you know, I think right now in the meta, especially if you're going to run the Penny and try to play off Dino Penny, it's a tough question and that I don't know the answer to, buddy. And I'm with you. It's like, that sounds like a right play.
Maybe you just drop the Mantis, because like you're already getting the damage boost and stuff from Drone and Luna and stuff. Like it might be okay dropping the Mantis, right? Is it not just overkill having that damage boost?
Yeah, I just think you're trying to find any edge in a Dino v Dino matchup, right? Like, even if you boost your Dino, who does so much damage, it can be enough for you to win the trade. But again, like, that's the stuff that I think, you know, if the team sat down, maybe they have had those discussions. That's the kind of stuff that can change everything. And, you know, we go back to the statisticians, and I might have butchered that if I'm being honest, but statisticians, you know what? I don't even want to say it again because I'm just butchering it. But either way, that's the kind of stuff that they talk about that'll help them win it. You did. Yeah.
It's okay. I went to way crazier spots than that. So you're always in a safe space, I think, here. And so are you guys getting these Twitch drops today as Marvel Rivals Ignite kicks off again. Week number 2, Shib, day number 1. But this is just the round robin group stages, right? This BO3 playthrough. TSM, though, already back against the wall. Feels like at a very early time in their, young organization in the Marvel Rivals esports scene.
Yeah, we can see the engagement now. TLC shifting things up. Speedery on the storm here. All these new picks coming out of the woodwork in these matchups today. It's just awesome to see. So many different heroes being played across the board, being banned out. Polly gonna off-angle play, trying to find some success here into the flying side. And that's a decent pick into this comp. I actually like to see it here. Polly gonna apply a lot of that hit scan pressure up towards Cal and Unknown, and just force them to put their eyes in different directions outside of the Dino. Brady finds Vest, though, and now TSM on the attack is able to be up a number. Brady with another pick onto Energy is cleaning up as BTS finds Speedery. Numbers are falling for TLC.
Yeah, this has kind of been, so far, that's the thing. Brady's actually been doing pretty damn good on the Luna Snow so far, even though they are in that 1-0 deficit. Having to pick up that strat roll, has done it before, played a lot of Adam Warlock previously for other teams. We'll see if they can keep it up. They do have that ultimate available. Nothing to block this. Actually, sorry, Nero is on that Invisible Woman, so we can block maybe this Ultron in the sky, or rather Iron Man. Also can ground him with those bubbles, so already pressing off Cal, who's forced away from this first corner in that engagement. But a lot of ults coming up again, and if they have to play around this Luna Snow dance floor, guess what's coming? Cal from the sky.
Yeah, he's going to try to burn that buddy barrier or whatever else they might use at this moment. There's the commitment onto Speedery, who is low, but is able to get in there. Cal throws it out of the sky, falls. Huge freeze. Cooper is just built different with these snowballs. Speedery finding Cal there. Out goes the commitment from Gilbert. Try to spread some of those mines. It will be deleted, at least the spawner. So they're trying to find more Vest, playing a little more safe now, waiting out some of this Rage of Ultron, looking towards the front line as the Rage of Ultron keeps everyone healthy. Cal still holding on with Brady in the dance floor. The Glartrox available here for Energy, and folks, you can actually launch that Glartrox over the point, which I do think is kind of one of those hidden techs that'll help you find more success.
Ooh, nice Penny Parker slowdown, though, but Speed doesn't get the ult canceled. Glartrox on the right side, off the map, maybe takes off himself, and 3! What a valiant sacrifice. Paulie gets the KOs, obviously, afterwards, but he goes off the map because he's bringing Glartrox to himself and throws himself into the pit with the Glartrox and removes 3 on TSM.
Yeah, it is a huge play, but again, TSM gets that point here. Still walking forward, Cal, BTS Guru. There's the portal play. We're seeing this a lot at the top level from the best teams. Immediately portal, stop this point from moving instantly, guarantee some fights right on here, knowing you're not going to need portal just yet, and you can use it later on point if you're still holding. Cal potentially using this ult soon here. Yeah, I saw this coming onto Cooper, but the shield goes out. Vest with some great patience is able to use the buddy barrier to stay healthy. That was huge work from Vest, who finds a pick after. Energy's going to get 2, and that is just textbook clean play from one of the best teams in the Americas region, if not the best.
Yeah, the team play has been beautiful for TLC as well, swapping Speed over to that Star-Lord alongside having Energy back on the Elsa. They're able to play that front-to-back style with enough damage output to find the KOs. And same thing with Nero being on that Invisible Woman. So, and like you mentioned, Paulie going over to that Deadpool. So this looks a lot better out of TLC so far. With 3 minutes to go, we're basically last fight territory now, Shib, and there's not any ults either for the side of TSM. They have to deal with Paulie's damage output that's going to come with the Banhammer.
Yeah, Banhammer likely looking up at the sky here on this attack. Should buy them some space, forcing some of that damage, at least the triple pocket they're trying to provide on the Iron Man into a weird spot. Yep, there's the commitment. Instead, it's going to be on Ultron, trying to find the pick, but nice freeze there. Match right back from Brady, and it's going to pull out an invisible boundary. Can they get that pick? Still not able to make it happen, and that's going to be, in the conversation of saying, those nerfed guns maybe not doing enough at the moment, as Unknown now walks them back with the Rage of Ultron. The retake and positioning is here now from the side of TSM.
Yeah, they're able to come back into it. And with 2 minutes, they can set up the mines. You always have that one shot on these flanks if maybe Paulie gets overextended, has that HP to work with. Vest does get stunned, brought back in. Also, Glartrox! Oh no! That's 3! Into the mines, though. Does it kill the Glartrox? No, it doesn't. Energy finds 2.
Wow.
And that could potentially end the entire series for TSM, who just out of nowhere, right side, Energy finds 1. Was pretty much an MVP on that map. I don't know about you, Shib, but TLC, get it done.
Yeah, that team, just so clinical. Every single decision was smart, made it work as they do shove through point 2 quickly. TLC locked in, huge ultimate to end it right there. The Glartrox still has immense value, even in the mines, is going to be enough.
Yeah, and I can't lie. I think at points, for Team Liquid Citadel, they figured it out towards the very end. But honestly, TSM's comps felt kind of solid, like straight up. I feel like they were just missing 1 or 2 things maybe, but let's bring Zoe back in here to kind of recap everything that happened as Team Liquid Citadel get it done in 2-0 fashion, and today overall was relatively fast.
It was a fast day, but overall, I still have to say, I feel like we've learned a lot about the teams, not just the winning teams, but also the losing teams. I think what you just mentioned there as well, TSM's comps, they're looking good. Like, I think this team is on the right trajectory. If they can continue in that fashion, and if they're going up against a team that they're just matching up better against, because quite frankly, none of the teams is going to match up well against TLC. I think they can get a win or 2 or 3 even under their belt.
Yeah, I think that's
I can see that, right, buddy?
Yeah, like I feel like that's the difference between having like expectations almost, right? Like that's kind of why, you before the season starts, if you don't have a lot of expectations for a team and they do like that, like TSM still gets 2-0, but at least put up a fight, I think we can be impressed as like a neutral enjoyer of the game, right?
100%.
Yeah, and they also have the buff of running this weird stuff, right? Like, I think the triple pocket there was huge. As we look over at Pauly, 69.7% accuracy here is obviously insane, only going down 2 times, and that's what he does best. I think Pauly's just so good at being a Vanguard that is doing what needs to be done. Stalling point, invading the backline, and staying alive. And I think that is just the testament to playing that cap, playing that Vanpool, which you don't see a ton, I don't think, in this meta right now, but into double flyer like that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I do like that the Vanpool is still around and kicking, at least for some of the teams. And generally, as you just mentioned, the lack of KOs, or like deaths rather, onto them. I think that's just kind of a thing for the team in general. They're so good at creating space for each other, saving each other, like diving in and out and back again, in order to like avoid being down or down a man or at a disadvantage.
Absolutely, and you know what? For these teams moving forward, I think we're entering a weird phase. Like before, I think when we looked at the group stages, Swamp and TLC were both kind of like pretty hard to beat for anybody. But like we saw some weaknesses out of them today, and that's kind of I think something like you mentioned, Zoe. We're going to be learning a lot about every single team, especially these underdog teams. That, like, to be honest, I don't think TSM in last group stages would have put up like that close of, I guess, a game if the meta wasn't like it is now. I think we're in a closer meta than we realize. Just a couple things need to get figured out. But I do think, you know, a lot of the teams, the parity might be closer than people give it credit for.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think today, you know, we're starting to see some of these teams find success and change things up. I think the shift in meta has, you know, made some of these teams that maybe would have struggled in the last meta and are making it work now, or maybe moving up in the bracket. Even that we saw Fly look good today, right? Like really good into Swamp. So I think there's, you know, especially as we don't see these larger mismatches in terms of seeding, I would say, like there's going to be some upsets. I think we're going to start seeing some different stuff that could shake up what we expect from this bracket.
And I absolutely love to see that, how much a meta can actually switch things around or turn things around for certain teams, because every once in a while you're just unlucky. If the meta just really does not fit you, and I mean, you're not just going to let go of all of your players just because the meta was the right fit, right? So like, you don't want to like overreact to something like that. So for us to like head into this new era now here in Marvel Rivals Ignite, and the teams being able to utilize their players accordingly, that is a wonderful sight to behold here. Again, this entire match in numbers. Yeah, and as we talked about, like just very few deaths on the side of Team Liquid Citadel. They're just so good at covering for each other.
Yeah, I think that these guys are some of the best in the entire game for a good reason. Obviously, people talk about that backline on TLC being one of the best in the entire world. And they definitely have proven so. So I think they're going to keep it up, obviously. And then, you know, I think it's interesting because I was almost expecting us to enter this sort of like full dive meta with Daredevil, with Black Cat being super good. But, you know, on the opposite side of the spectrum, just with how much healing output these strats do in Buchanan and Triple Strategist, it just feels like everybody being nearly 20k healing is kind of crazy on top of the damage output that they do. So, yeah, I think we're entering like a weird phase where you can actually play counter dive to a very effective degree if you're good enough.
Yeah, so far, what's day 1 of week 2? What's your takeaway from the meta here, Ship?
Gambit won't see the light of day, I think, is going to be the first thing. Dino is still in a good spot. Some comps are running Dino kind of to play his own game and not having a ton of healing, and some are running very front to back. So I think people are still figuring out what's the best solution for him, whether it's for the meta or for their team fit.
Well, maybe we can shed some light on that by interrogating one of the players from the winning team. I heard that we have Vesma joining us for a quick chat after this very dominant 2-0 victory. Vesma, welcome back to the show. Great to see you again. And of course, congratulations is in order. But I don't even want to talk too much about this particular match. I want to talk about how your team is approaching, I guess, your practice time, because we often talk about the danger of a top team getting complacent, you know, when they're not really being pushed to their limits on a match day. How does Team Liquid, or Liquid Citadel rather, avoid falling into that comfort zone? And like, if you can share that, like, which teams are you scrimming in order to stay sharp?
I mean, we have in scrims a little bit. Like sometimes we get complacent, we'll show up to a day and we'll just be like chilled out, and then we'll start losing and we'll be like, okay, let's log back in. So it's not really like a big downtime for us, but we do scrim only really like the other top teams, so we're scrimming like Fly and Swamp, some Navi, like NRG, basically just like the other NA partner teams, and we do try to get mostly Swamp in. I think that's like our #1 scrim partner right now. I mean, they're just a good team too, so it's pretty easy to like stay sharp.
Cool. But I gotta shout you out on the fact that obviously discussing Rogue, you're not going to be seeing a ton of Rogue play because Gambit's been removed a lot from pretty much every ban phase we will see here right now. But you stepping up on Dino, we saw some good patience. You stop an Iron Man ults, only pulling the buddy barrier out when you absolutely needed to, or if you knew a play was coming, which was just big plays. So my question now revolves around Dino. It's, what is the biggest counter for you? We're seeing flying comps, which I don't know I always agree with. We're seeing Rocket now make a step forward. What is your biggest issue when you're running Dino?
I mean, I think today was pretty rough. Like, I would get Penny stunned, and then I would get grabbed by Dino, and then I'd get dragged into a Penny nest, and then stunned again. I'd get frozen. So like these chain CCs are pretty rough. Like I just kind of had to play like really slow and really safe, not really go for any plays. My job in this is kind of to just live. Like if you go look at the matches, I had more damage than my entire team combined, like both games. So I just sit there and I'm kind of like a sponge, and it's just my job to like not die. But yeah, that's what happens in these matchups, where it's like they have a bunch of stuns, and then sometimes you can get like super aggro and really get in there, but not into what they were playing today.
Yeah, it feels like that you like aged in that series, man. Like I think last time we saw you were like clean shaven. Now you have like a whole goatee setup, dude. Like that's crazy. But like, dude, like Vesh, like on that, like I want to see if I'm off base here, because I feel like because you guys have been so good, and like what Shib was talking about, you guys have good scrim partners. But like the Penny Parker stuff you just talked about, like that's kind of shown up this week, and people are kind of adapting a little bit more, I feel like, to that sort of counter dive comp, and it feels like it's actually pretty good. But obviously, have you guys played that very much? Are you guys interested in even going to that sort of hard pocket one guy and, you know, play around an Iron Man or the Elsa, whatever you want to do? Or are you guys happy doing this sort of surround dive stuff that you've been kind of consistent with?
Well, we want to be able to do anything. Like if we need to pull that out, like we can. Obviously, I don't think we've practiced like the Iron Man specifically stuff. That's pretty new. We haven't seen any of that in scrims. He does have it, so you know we could. Yeah, all of this was very new. We haven't seen any Penny or Iron Man or anything like that in scrims, so it was pretty rough.
Well, we're very excited to see what else you guys have in store for us. Vesma, thank you so much for sharing some insight, and best of luck in your upcoming match.
Thank you.
You are most welcome, and we're back again to, you know, just kind of sum up the day and the learnings of the day. Dogman, share with share with the class. What have you learned today?
I don't know. I tend to overrate some things sometimes, you know, like overreact.
And I love that about you.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah. I think that, well, like for me, like I was over hating on Invisible Woman, I think, in previous weeks. This week I'm back. You know, I think Invisible Woman is underrated. You know, like we're back on Invisible Woman train. I mean, you know me, I was like talking about how terrible that character is, and now look at her go. She's like one of the best at just doing everything, I guess, and countering specific comps. And I think there's like Iron Man stuff, like you said, like they're not even fully in touch with it. I would be curious to see if we keep seeing this in future weeks, because for as much as we learn, we also, you know, we're probably on the other end of the spectrum where it feels like we're really smart, but we're probably not.
Isn't that always the case, though? And also,
Yeah.
I don't know, esports casters and hosts overreacting to what's happening. Like, name a more iconic duo. Now, but the numbers don't lie. These are the teams at the very tippy top right now. So, yeah, again, I don't think we saw any big surprises here today, Shib. Like, the scorelines kind of... They went as expected, although we did see some sign of lives from the losing teams, which is exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, I think the Sen, the Sen Hunter T game was awesome. I think both teams were in the conversation for like very even, but it's always just so back and forth with them. So that was the biggest, maybe quote unquote upset for me, even though I do think it was anyone's game. But yeah, I'm with you. The crazy thing now is we've seen a lot of like large gaps in terms of quote unquote seeding from these matchups. So I do think this roster and the way this is spread up here in Group A and B is seriously subject to change. Maybe barring some of the top teams like Swamp and TLC. I think a lot of these teams are very close and still figuring out metas. So it's still anyone's game.
It is indeed. And Dogman, we have so many matches on the docket for tomorrow. It's a 4-match day. Any of these piquing your interest especially?
Yeah, it's got to be the FlyQuest NRG setup for me. Obviously, it's always fun to see some We Lost gameplay, but that's got to be it. I think that FlyQuest and NRG are, he just said it in the interview. FlyQuest are one of the best teams right now. That's why they're scrimming them. But they're still 0-2 in the group stages because Group B is a group of death. So for me, it's going to be the FlyQuest NRG matchup. What about you, Shipskis?
We lost in Stick Drift. I think for me, it's going to be a good one too. Both 1-1 right now. Obviously, we lost one against Team Liquid Citadel, which is crazy. But but I think both of these teams still want to try to keep proving that they're on the top side of the seeding. So looking forward to seeing that match as well.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for that one as well. And also, always when TLC and SG are on the schedule, I just kind of hope that one of the teams exposes them for something, somehow, some way. So that always, of course, keeps me glued to the screen. I'm sure we will not be disappointed at all the matches tomorrow and the learnings we can take away from it. We're only in the middle of week 2. But it is only 3 weeks of group play. So like the teams really have to crank it up a notch in order to come out on top. The top 4 teams from each of those respective groups will be making it to playoffs and get an opportunity to get a big paycheck at the very end of it. Now that's it for today though. Shib, Dogman, thank you both so much for joining me and calling the action. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Of course, on behalf of everyone off camera as well, thank you so much for watching. We will be back again with 4 matches tomorrow, same place, same time. Don't want to miss it. Now rest up, hydrate, and we see you tomorrow.
Hey guys, my name is Ryan Central, and what's the meta? Stage 1 has officially begun across all of the major regions, so let's see just how that meta is looking across the 108 maps of action that we've seen in Ignite so far on this patch. From this first week of action, we've got 4 major winners and 1 big loser, and the biggest winner is the king of the meta in pre-season, Gambit, who has actually climbed up in popularity. He was the sort of most impactful character in the game at the end of pre-season. Not only is he still at the top, he's actually climbed in popularity. He is constantly the first ban, first protect at this stage, and everybody's agreeing on it for the most part. He's been involved in every single draft across all of the 4 major regions, but there are a small group of teams that are trying to splinter away to go for different bans that aren't Gambit, some of these other names on this list as we're about to highlight. And the reason for that is these teams, because nobody's had the chance to practice Gambit because he's constantly banned out, if they leave it open, teams are going to be like, well, we're really rusty on Gambit. I don't really want to pick him, do you guys? And so they're trying to see if they can actually put them on compositions that they're just not well versed on, certainly when people are trying to get the reps in on stuff like Devil Dinosaur. And speaking of Devil Dinosaur, he is the second winner. It's been a roaring success for Devil Dinosaur with him being introduced into the game in Season 8. And he has been contesting Gambit a little bit as a first ban, but really not that often. Like I said, team splintering away. Dino's been the first ban and trying to one-side it in some cases, because teams just have been prepping a lot on Dino because of how much he has really thrown the meta into a curve. He kind of fits into all sorts of compositions, even though he's just naturally brawly. It seems that you can sort of throw him in and play around him no matter what the map or the stage. So some teams have really started to just build on that as much as possible. It's maybe an over focus or an over correction, and some teams have certainly been okay to let the Dino through, play up against it, and actually have good counters for him, such as Emma Frost. But really, it has been like a good standing for Dino. But I do think that that hype is going to drop and taper off over time. I would imagine so, but of course, we'll see exactly how these teams want to play it. The third winner actually is Luna Snow, which is more of a surprise. She's jumped up massively in popularity, and specifically as like a ban option. Teams do not want the other team to be playing it, so they want to get it off the table. In previous patches, her healing and damage output was improved. Stuff like Ice Arts' cooldown reducing when your player that you've put the Snowflake on gets an elimination means that you can really just snowball the way that you can keep and contest these fights and keep them going on. And of course, like a team up with White Fox, who's gone up in popularity, not to the same level, but the fact that you can allow like Healing Cleave and Charm Cleave and orb enemies off of that with Luna is really handy. It basically means if teams want to go for White Fox, they can. You just want to make sure that that team up isn't available. And the fourth and final winner, it is worth saying that a lot of characters have benefited from this patch, but the major winner, the final one I wanted to highlight, was Black Cat, who is another big addition now that we start to see her actually being played in Ignite. Similar to Dino, she's one of the top protect options for various teams. They really want to play around it. The skill floor is massively high. It's hard to be good on Black Cat, especially in coordinated play. So it's hard to see teams get the most effectiveness out of it, unless you're like Tanuki with some of the gameplay that's on screen. But teams are starting to get a lot better with it, and they have some good plans, and they really want to incorporate Black Cat into their compositions as much as they possibly can, especially because she's pretty decent against Devil Dinosaur, whereas Daredevil can get run down by him a little bit. So Black Cat and Devil Dinosaur having really good debuts in Ignite, but there's one character that is certainly fallen off the list, and that is Elsa Bloodstone. Not only has she fallen down the rankings from being the second most impactful character in the game, she's dropped off the face of the earth when it comes to how popular she is. In Stage 1, she has not been banned nor protected once in any of the regions. Instead, the likes of Phoenix and Star-Lord have found leaps in popularity after their own individual buffs, but I still think that Elsa is underrated. We have seen some moments like Chupio actually having a lot of success with Elsa and some of the other EMEA teams, just when it's appropriate, right? She's still good. She's obviously been nerfed pretty hard over the last couple of patches, but I still think that she's going to be contesting a little bit more. I'm just shocked that she has fallen off massively, but I would like to see that improve just a little bit, just not too much, a little bit. Like I said, there's a lot of characters that have either been benefited or are struggling on this new patch, and we're going to see how the action unfolds as we get more data, but that's it for this time. Thanks for watching, and back to the action.
오랜 시간 간직해온 열망 까만 밤의 빛처럼 빛나 네 눈앞에 바로 왔던 나라 탑을 딱 봐도 superstar 딱 보면 뭐든 널 지킬 나란 걸 꼬집혀 볼수록 점점 빠져들어 카리스마 넘쳐 흘러 oh yeah 분명한 소리 들려 여기서 저기서 날 찾으면 햇빛이 날 비춰와 시작이야 let's go 아득도 흘러난 우주 따뜻한 눈으로 감싸나 순간 신비롭게 녹아내릴 거야 좀 더 기다려 I'll be there 쓰러지지 마 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 작품을 쳐봐 한도 믿다 내일까지 아름다운 꿈을 밟고봐 우리에게 달려서 세게 오면 눈이 부신 모든 순간들 지켜내야 해 내가 좋아지려면 꿈꿨던 너와 나 그래들의 승리와 명예 The weight of both the worlds is in our hands 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 작품을 쳐봐 한도 믿다 내일까지 아름다운 꿈을 밟고봐 우리에게 달려서 그 세계 오면 어둠 있다